Hey, what's up everybody? Digibro here, bringing you a podcast about the new season of anime, Winter 2016, starting off a new year with a new season with some new friends. I've got a bunch of cool guys with me, guys who run their own anime channels, all of whom you should check out, but for now, you can listen to them talk to me about new anime. First of all, coming live from his mother's basement, the professional shitbag himself, Mr. Jeff Thu.
Hi, I'm Jeff. Nice to meet all you people.
Following him, the best guy ever with the best channel ever, who talks about the best anime ever. It is best guy ever, or Guy, or Nate. We'll probably call him Nate.
Hey guys, but you can call me Guy for branding purposes. But glad to be on a platform that I actually deserve instead of my tiny little channel. I'm the best man. Everyone go watch my shit.
And last but not least, one of the newcomers, new faces to the anime sphere, but he's making a hell of a lot of videos in a short span of time, Mr. Subsonic Sparkle.
Hey, everybody. Good
and
to
we're
see
just
ya.
going to go down the... Oh, sorry, did you have more to say?
No, I have nothing to say. I have no idea how to go about promoting
Talking
myself.
over the black guy right away, Digi. Of course you
cultural
are.
appropriation, man.
All right.
You know, black people invented words. I don't appreciate this.
So I'm just going to go through this chart. I'm going to have the chart on screen for people watching the video, and you can just follow along, and we're going to talk about the shows in order. We're not going to talk about any second seasons, because most of us haven't seen the first seasons of those shows.
Yes.
What about second cores of current?
No, we're going to skip Shirayuki Hime.
God damn it, that's so
That's
good.
the best show of the season.
Yeah, but first of all,
it's
we've
not the
all
best.
talked about it in other places about how good it is already.
Yeah,
so,
that's true.
And we'll have the opportunity in the future. You know, this is for new shows, all right? New shows. Shows that people are curious about, they don't know about, you know. I don't think any of us are watching Assassination Classroom Season 2. So.
Nope.
Unfortunately, because Assassination Classroom's pretty good, but...
Not the biggest fan. It's all right.
I'll take your word for it. All right, we'll get started. Not all of us have seen everything, so we're just going to have whoever has seen it talk about it, but we're going through alphabetically. So, starting with Active Raid. Jeff, I know you watched at least most of the first episode of this.
Yeah.
What did you think of Active Raid?
I was, what's the word for it? Bored to tears? Like, it was... I don't know, man. I started watching the first episode, and it's just like police... chase and shit going on, and then the side story to that is some girl reading exposition on a website on her iTablet. This was like one of the first shows I watched this season, so like my memory of it is already a little hazy.
Well, it's chaotic. The first episode was confusing and chaotic. There was a lot going on, and none of it made a lot of sense.
Yeah, all I remember is, like, I got to the point where I was like, oh, I see what this show is going for, and I was like, I've seen this done better in so many other things.
That's the thing. Active Raid is basically like somewhere between Patlabor and like Die Guard, and maybe a little bit of Tiger and Bunny in there. It's sort of a powered suits...
Yeah, it's Pat Labor with those Gatchaman crowds CGI robots in it.
Yeah, they do. Now that you mention it, they do look... I thought Tiger and Bunny, but they do look more like
I was
Gatchaman.
thinking Tiger and Bunny too,
Yeah,
Tiger
I don't know.
and Bunny too, yeah.
I've watched the first 2 episodes of this, because when I started episode 1, like you, I just was like, what the fuck is this? Like, it seemed really just like... Nothing that was happening I cared about. Is there like... Do you guys hear Apache helicopters outside my house or something? Like, is that picking up on the mic?
They're coming for your lolicon. They're coming
know
for your
that you're shitting on
lolicon,
Active
bro.
Raid, dude. Production IMS is on that shit. Production immolating male, straight, cisgender individuals.
Thank you,
such as
Nate.
Yeah,
Thank you for the good effort.
They're coming to destroy you.
It was just confusing and weird, and then I gradually realized that it was going for like a, you know, bureaucracy thing, like, you know, there's we're trying to do our job, but there's so many different loopholes we have to go through, and so many people we have to apologize to, and like, you know, and the work itself is meant to be chaotic and sort of jarring, and I started to pick up on that as the episode went along, and I was like, okay, I'll give it a shot. Episode 2 was definitely much more coherent than the first episode, and made it more clear that it's supposed to be kind of like a comedy show. Like I said, I guess I'd consider it similar to Tiger and Bunny in tone, where it's, or I guess Pat Labor is also is pretty funny, but it's not as like good or well written as those shows, or well structured. It's chaos. I don't know about it.
That's the thing. Like I do feel like I've seen the whole bureaucracy as a comedy thing before, and it's just like, why would I watch this instead of watching Pat Labor again?
There's about 60 episodes of Pat Labor that I haven't seen, so they might have a little bit more priority than this one.
Because they're actually good.
Yeah, the main girl is like this weird, low-rent, bitchy Tsunemori Akane. Like, she looks kind of like Akane, and her role in the story is kind of similar, that she's like the new girl who's at work or whatever, and she's like, you know, she wants to do everything by the book, and everyone else is like, you fuck off, you know? But she's not as good as Akane. I don't know. It's a strange show. Reminds me of a lot of things, but not necessarily in a positive way. But I don't know. I'll keep trying it out. I can see mecha fans, this being a show that they are willing to apologize for because it's a mecha show, and you know, like
they apologize for every mecha show.
Right. Well, there's two different kinds of mecha shows. The ones that you legitimately wish people would watch, and the ones that you watch and feel vaguely ashamed that you enjoy as much as you do, just because they have mechs in them.
Do you guys like that like transition they do from normal animation to like the Tiger and Bunny robot animation? Because that made me stop watching Tiger and Bunny, and I have a feeling you do the same here.
Oh, dude. Holy shit. The CG animation in this is so embarrassingly terrible.
I have no doubt.
I tweeted out a picture of it, but there's like this one scene where he gets inside of a bullet to be fired out of a cannon at the crime scene.
Okay.
And the texture on the bullet is literally like a fucking reboot metal texture from 1992.
Oh man. I can't
I saw that, I was just like, what the fuck, Japan? How do you think you're allowed to get away with this?
When they bring in CG, that just gives them excuses to just cut corners on everything.
Most anime are kind of improving in their CG nowadays.
That's a great transition.
Yeah, to A-jin.
Actually, no. I want to stay on this for a second because I just clicked over to the staff and I noticed I hadn't looked at the staff for Active Raid at all, but it's actually the chief director is Goro Taniguchi, the guy who directed Code Geass, and that explains the Code Geass vibes that the like mechs have and feel. He also did Escryed, Infinite Revias. He's done a lot of great shows that are often chaotic like this. Yeah. So, but I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say like, oh, but this show's definitely going to be great in the long run because Goro Taniguchi is, working on it. Like those shows all had really strong first episodes, and this one doesn't really. So, but who knows? It could turn out either way. I don't think it's going to be terrible, like some of the shows we're going to talk about. Does that make a good transition into A-jin?
Was A-jin really that terrible?
I don't know. A-jin, sorry, you're supposed to ask.
All right. Let's start with Subsonic. You seem to enjoy it more than everybody else. Why don't you tell us about A-jin?
I thought it was a decent time. Like, the thing that struck me the most about it was that the CG was, like, slightly more bearable than most shows. Like, it still ran at, 30 frames per week. But it didn't look as good as, like, Buranki, whatever it was called. But the designs were pretty decent. And the colors, I thought, were pretty cool. Like, when the blood started showing up and stuff.
Yeah, no, that's true, and I think it was a lot better animated than most CGI shows. Like, there's that one scene where that guy is tugging on his lip, and
I like that one, actually.
Yeah, most CGI shows just don't have the bones for that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, and when I say the bones, I'm not being metaphorical. I'm talking about the actual animation bones. They don't have the transformation in the lips to do that.
Yeah.
So... Clearly, they're putting like more effort into the animation than most
But at
other...
the same time, then you'll see a scene where like they're walking down the road and like the two characters are talking and their faces are animated. The other people are like locked into position while like just their legs are moving. I saw that a couple times, man.
And a lot of the background characters kind of just like the exact same person copy pasted.
Yeah, man.
So it's still a CG show. So
in the opening scene of A-jin, like there's like it's in Africa and like.
Yeah.
Was it just me, or were all the black guys literally the same character model?
I couldn't even tell what was happening until I watched the scene like a second time. I had no idea what was going on.
I legit was like, okay, this is not a black guy joke, but they are all the same guy. Like, it is the same fucking character model. All the guys who were getting shot, like, were identical.
What was the relevance to that scene again?
It established that A-jin were intimidating immortal things. That was
I think it was supposed to be the birth of them. Like, it said that they were discovered in Africa 17 years ago or something.
Oh yeah, the ridiculous thing about this show was that they never gave us a reason for the A-jin to be feared. Like, the teacher says some really sketchy stuff. He says, one of you could be one. If you find one, you probably get a reward if you give it to the authorities. In a nice
watch
little
out, kids.
chain
If we find out you're an
lock.
A-jin, we're going to fucking do experiments on you for the rest of your life. So you better... It could be you. Could be you.
And at this point, we know exactly who it is. But they haven't done anything to suggest that they're a threat or that they're not human in any way. They just can't die. So why is there any reason to, like, persecute them?
Hey, did anyone notice how the blonde kid didn't do shit and everyone hated him anyway?
Yeah,
what was going on?
Purpose
he was just sitting on the side, and they're like, "Do not go near that kid. Fuck that kid, man. He is the biggest asshole you'll ever." And he just like waves out, and like, "Hey guys, hey, what's going on? What the fuck, guys?"
It's because he was blonde.
But
That's
he was
why.
blonde as a kid too. I guess he was bad from the start.
Yeah, he's a Yankee kid. They don't like those Yankees in.
If you look at him on the poster, he's the only one that doesn't just fade into the background.
Yeah,
so they're just intimidated by the fact that he has personality and someone actually.
You know what I like
to
think?
Design.
I like to think that this is the story of Kazuhiro Miller as a child. This is him, growing up, becoming a man. He's gonna go on meet Solid Snake later. This is him being a badass, saving the world from A-jins or whatever. Also, the girl in this show looked exactly like that one from Bakuno. And incidentally,
what the hell?
Yeah,
she looks exactly like Ennis. It was fucking
weird. And not
weird.
to mention, this show has like a very, very similar plot about these immortal people. I mean, in this, they're like a world-known thing. They can't die. And both are about immortals. And that was also my favorite thing about the show. Actually, my favorite part was the end credits where you see the guy killing himself in all these different ways. That was awesome.
That was the edgiest.
I hope it just turns into fucking Groundhog Day, where it's just a montage of him trying to like kill self.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, the one thing that it needs is that that Metal Gear Rising Revengeance automatic like dismemberment. Mechanic so that they can do the Bakuno thing where his limbs fly back on all the time.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I hope so.
The black mist, the lost smoke monster effect is not exactly intimidating.
So I think none of us really give a shit about this show. That's
I tried to watch it. The subtitles were like fucked up on the copy
they were
I
so
got.
bad.
Because no one's apparently streaming this.
The A-jin has leaked.
People are theorizing that it's not being streamed by anyone because it's going to be picked up by Netflix eventually.
Good luck
That's
with that.
wishful thinking.
Well, because A-jin is the same people who made Knights of Sidonia, which was dubbed by Netflix themselves.
Is that based on the Muse song?
No. Well, it might be named after it, but like it's not based on it. The plot is not similar to the Muse song's
just
plot.
Not at all. Knights of Sidonia was actually pretty good.
Well, the thing about Knights of Sidonia, because like I tried to watch the show, but like the fucking low frame rate on the CG and the like. Because they make it, I guess that they just use like normal animation frame rate, which is jarring when you're looking at CG. Like it just doesn't look right.
It looks like a storybook representation of the show. Like it's flipping through pages of it.
And the character designs, the character models in that show in Knights of Sidonia, like they all looked exactly the same, and they all looked like Play-Doh, and it drove me insane.
I was gonna give it the benefit of the doubt, but the frame rate on this distracted me multiple times.
Yeah,
it was just like, what the fuck?
It took me back to that. Like it just kind of reminded me of like
PTSD
after Knights of Sidonia,
low frame rate.
Well, like Knights of Sidonia kind of convinced me, like because even though that show clearly had a lot of effort put into it, like in terms of design and everything, but it still just was like it was not enough for me to be like, I'm buying into CG now, and this season. Because CG is here to stay. There's going to be more and more of it. There's going to be more anime like that. And like,
I have faith that it's going to eventually start looking a little bit more Pixar-like.
In some of these shows, it was integrated not too bad.
Well, we're going to get to that in a bit, but this show was the one that I watched and I went, this is, like, I guess if Knights of Sidonia was like the current gold standard at the time, A-jin doesn't feel any better than that, and there's other shows this season that are better than that.
Yeah.
So at this point, it no longer feels like the gold standard for CG. It just kind of looks like... I hated how everything was, like, too fluid. There's, like, no snap in the animation.
Oh, man,
A-jin.
when the dude was, like, drinking that cup of tea, I was like, who lifts their arm that slowly? No one does that.
The whole home scene, he looked like he was walking in slow-mo.
Yeah.
The old man who gets, like, knocked out by his scream
Yep.
Holy crap.
All right, so are any of us gonna continue this show?
You know, I might want to give it one more episode, but I like just as a form of self punishment.
Well,
I
Jeff,
think I deserve
you
that.
watch everything, don't you? You don't even drop shows.
Really?
I drop shows. I have to drop more shows because, I'm working on so many different things right now. But, I might watch one more episode of this. I don't know. I dropped Active Raid, so that's one thing.
Yeah, that's true.
If someone competent gets a hold of the subs, then I might watch it.
If the subs are improved, yeah, that'd be good.
And if I hear good things about it down the line.
I might just watch this on Netflix, though, when they pick it up, assuming that they don't do to it what they did to Precure. Have you seen Precure on Netflix?
Oh, God, that was so disgraceful. I was so unhappy.
Glitter
It's
Force?
A Netflix original Magical Girl series, and I'm so hyped, and it's just friggin' Precure.
But it's Glitter
Precure's
Force.
great.
Is that like the official, like Precure was removed? It's just Glitter Force?
It's just Glitter Force now.
What was wrong with Precure? It's English words.
It's literally Saban, the people who do Power Rangers, and they did
cool.
Power Rangers it. They took it and they made it into a different show using footage from the original. Yeah. It's like a thing no one knew was still happening to anime in the current decade. All right, let's move on.
4Kids lives on.
I was going to say, it's the 4Kids effect. Glorious.
Well, I mean, it's Saban. They've been doing it since the 90s.
That's true. They're the original 4Kids.
Not to anime for a long time. All right, next up, I know we all watched this because we were
sure
all
did.
bragging on it the whole time, is Ao no Kanata no 4 Rhythm, or AOKANA for short. Jesus. Nate, you can get us started on this. You seem to be the most upset watching it.
All right, okay. So the show is about people who discover a magical miracle that lets everyone fly all the time. And the first thing they do is give it to high school girls so that they can fly over people wearing their skirts. It's the biggest... I love in shows when they invent some magical thing and then explore the ramifications that has on the world at large. Here's a perfect example of a show just not giving one solitary fuck about any of that, and just like imagining if you're like a 6-year-old and you think, oh man, what if girls could fly and they still wore skirts? That would be so fucking dope, bro. That would be the best. That's what
weird.
the show is.
It's weird though, because they didn't go the obvious why is my fucking gain so high? I'm like clipping constantly.
They did a little bit.
They didn't go the like there is some fan service in there, but they didn't do the obvious thing because like okay, the school what gets me is that the wings are a part of the uniform. But the skirt is also a part of the uniform.
Yeah,
like,
they didn't like fix the problem.
They came to. No,
it would be one thing if this was a show where the characters had powers of flight and they happened to be school kids and they had skirts.
Right.
But it's part of the uniform.
Well, what they did was they took anime and then just added a trope of flight. They didn't think about what it would mean if you combine those two. They just did it. And
they're just like, mankind can fly now. Better send them to high school.
Nothing was changed.
Except that now there's a flight-based sport that the girls are playing.
Which is
fucking lame Quidditch.
Oh, that was so stupid. I hated that bit.
At least something was happening. I don't know.
They're playing a sport now, and here's what's confusing to me, because like watching that episode, you might think, okay, maybe this is going to be like a sports show or something.
Yeah,
this is a visual novel based show.
Oh god. So it's exactly the same as that other one that we're going to get to, except with hot girls instead of hot guys.
Oh, do you mean Norn 9? Did you watch that?
I didn't watch Norn 9. I'm talking about the other sports show.
Okay, I know what you're talking
about. Hot guys.
Yeah, never
Too
mind.
fucking many.
We'll get to that one. AOKANA, man. I didn't get like the point. I was just like, what's the
point is it's an anime
what's the
with
appeal
girls in
of
it.
this
That's
show?
the appeal. You know, I like the pink-haired main character. She was kind of cute.
Yeah,
like,
I didn't hate this show overall. Like I thought the main goal was pretty cute. But the way that this show really let me down was because I figured out it would be a show about flying, and if you do an anime about flying, you can do so much cool animation. And you don't even have to like have a giant. I didn't expect like Kiki's Delivery Service, but if you have, if you're just creative, like Goku flying on a Nimbus or something.
No creativity.
But in this show, it was a head-on shot of them in a flight pose while the background just zoomed out to give like the illusion of movement, and it was the laziest thing. And then during the actual game that they played at the end, they just turned into CG models.
Yep.
So
they sure did. But actually, this is a show where I thought the CG kind of worked okay sometimes. I pretty much noticed it all the time, but was like, oh, this doesn't look horrible. I don't know.
It's Studio Gonzo. They have a very long history with CG. They were like probably the pioneers of doing it all the fucking time in the early 2000s.
And doing it wrong.
Yep.
Yes, they were never good at it, but they've been doing it forever. And
oh god,
figured some tricks out.
And as a result, every Gonzo show has aged terribly, with the exception of like NHK. But yeah, it's I don't know. I just didn't see the point. Like, I got halfway through the episode and I just started talking to you guys because I was like the main girl, she's like kind of hyper, and that's cool. Jeff called her the pink-haired bimbo.
Right, yeah, the pink-haired Ditz character is like something that used to be in anime all the time. Like, Girls Bravo had it,
she gave
Mabu Raho had it, but now pink-haired girls are all fucking tsunderes all the time, and it's nice to go back to pink-haired girls just being fucking idiots.
You know what?
That's good.
You know what idiot girl she reminded me of from a show that's like the infinitely better version of something like this is Kaleido Star.
I haven't seen Kaleido Star yet. I need to watch that.
Kaleido Star, in fact, is actually, I believe, a Gonzo show from the mid 2000s. Main character girl is another like hyperactive idiot girl, but she wants to join the circus, basically Cirque du Soleil, and
cool.
she joins and she's bumbling, and
that's
I guess her hair's more
cool
purple
animation
than pink,
and
but,
something like that.
Oh yeah, that's the show. When Kaleido Star came out, it was like highly regarded for its animation,
cool.
and for generally being pretty okay. I wouldn't say it's an amazing show, but it's pretty good, like shoujo sports drama type thing. Whereas this kind of felt like nothing, literally nothing.
The weird thing about the main girl was that she seemed to be the main character, but then it's based on a visual novel, and in the visual novel you play as the guy, but the guy has like. The guy has like no lines in this episode. Like he doesn't have all that much screen time. There's this one random scene where he walks in on this girl getting changed who we never see again.
Oh god!
Well, of course, because he's the main character.
I forgot that was the best part of the whole thing. He just looks across his room, and in an open window is just some girl he's never seen before getting changed. How did we come to this point? Who is this character?
The show was pretty light on fan service up to that point too. So
and the show's just like, oh, we got to have a naked girl in this episode. Check that box off.
I swear to God, I hope they never address that character again. I want that to be a one-off. Just
she was in the ending.
She just lives next door to him and gets naked all the time. That's what I want.
And by the way, that girl like screamed, "Close your fucking blinds! You have the power!"
Jesus! That's all her fault.
It's entirely her fault.
For the record, at least she was pretty hot. All right, let's move on to the next show.
All right.
This is one that is the most popular show of the season.
Yes.
It's the one everyone's talking about. It's getting really hyped. You guys all like it.
Yeah.
I think it's okay. Boku Dake ga Inai Machi, or A Town Where Only I Exist, or Erased, as its slave name has called it. It's
I'm going to call it Erased because that's easy.
I guess I'll start off this one, since I'm the voice of dissent.
I've been very curious as to what you have against this show.
Me too.
All right, well, I didn't like episode 1 at all. Episode 2 was fine. But this is not my kind of show at all. Like, here's what I want you all to do, because I can appreciate some things about this, right? This comes from, it's A1 Pictures, it's the director of Sword Art Online, so obviously
10 out of 10
immediately.
Obviously I went into it with some pretty low expectations. Now, this director has done a lot of interesting stuff. He's done a lot of like, he was an assistant director on The Girl Who Leapt Through Time and Summer Wars, which are both phenomenal movies. Summer Wars is one of my favorites. He worked on some of the more interesting A1 Pictures shows, like Occult Academy, which was a lot of fun to watch.
And Silver Spoon. Don't forget
Silver Spoon, which I don't like at all, but that's more because I hate animals and nature and everything. But after episode 2, I appreciate that what this guy brings to the table. There's some great shot compositions. There's some good animation in there. It's not badly directed at all. But I don't get the point of this show. I don't get the appeal.
Let me tell you why
I need everyone else to explain it to me right now.
Okay, let me go. Okay, you go first.
All right, so
we're basically going to say the same thing.
Yeah, Digi. we've talked before. It seems like you don't enjoy mysteries in general.
No.
Yeah.
Because you're just like, why the fuck should I care about these characters? I don't know the premise of this show right now. Because the point of mystery is figuring out what's going on. And you're like, I want to know now, and I want cute girls to show up on screen. And all I'm getting is this guy making fucking manga and being angry at stuff.
All right,
I don't
I
like
hate
him.
this guy.
He's angry at a high school girl. That high school girl was hitting on me. I'd be like trying to hide a boner and stuff. And he's delivering pizza.
Look, this guy bothered me out the gate because he's 29 years old. His first, he's just like this mopey shitbag who doesn't not good at anything. He fucking sucks at manga. He goes to he works at a fucking pizza place in his late 20s. You know, this girl talks to him and he's just like, oh, what is that? A Generation Y joke? Which he says that twice in the episode, and it was driving me fucking crazy. God, just what an asshole. Like, if someone said that, if I overheard someone say that, I would probably start up an angry conversation with them.
That's why he says it in his head. Because he's like an asshole in his head.
He's supposed to be a recognizably dickish guy that you could like picture in the real world.
But he's not he's not interesting in that way. He's just some mopey dude.
Hang on. Here's the whole idea here is that yes, he's a douchebag now, but we're going to explore why he became that way, and that's the whole time travel thing. We're going to see what happened to get him from the chipper little kid he was.
Well, see, that's the thing,
asshole.
Nate. Here's the thing about shows like this.
Yeah,
they are all staked on promise.
That's true. I totally agree, and
It's
it
all
entirely
staked
depends on how
promise.
well they handle it. And
you
have to have hope. That's what you got to do.
That's the
to
thing, though. Why would I ever have hope in a world that lets me down constantly? From a studio that lets me down constantly. This guy directed Sword Art Online. We all thought the first episode of that was cool. We all thought, because it had promise. The premise of the show was, this is a game where everyone, if you die in the game, you die for real. And we have to fucking make it through 100 floors of this tower. And in episode 2, they fight a boss and a guy dies and you're like, shit's real. And Kirito's like, I'm a beater. And you're like, oh, I'm beaten off. And then you see them, they're like, all right, we're going to go on this adventure. And then Kirito goes off and dicks around for like 100 episodes. And then him and Asuna go fuck in the woods, and then eventually some guy shows up and is like, oh, we're finishing the game, and then it's over, and then everyone's like, what the fuck did I just watch?
Dude, I'm totally
and then
with
Asuna gets kidnapped and a lot of tentacle rape happens.
We will forget about all that happening, you know. But then you watch all these shows, and I'm not like I appreciate that A1 Pictures has a lot of people who cycle in and out. There's a lot of new directors, new writers. You know, it's not one team, but it's a weird coincidence, if anything, that all their shows end up being disappointing.
You know, dude,
I'm with you. A lot of promise.
I totally get why you're not into it, and that makes perfect sense. However, I haven't seen that much A1 shit. And, I have a little bit of faith. And, based on episode 2, episode 2, it was crucial for me giving this show any kind of a chance. And episode 2 did not fail. It did what I hoped it would do.
Nate, what was the last mystery show you watched, though? What was the last mystery show?
Episode 2 was incredible.
Episode 2 was great. It's great. And you're right. It still depends on how it all works out in the end. All I'm saying is things are looking pretty good. They're looking good right now.
I don't get, like, looking at a show and being like, this seems like it might be interesting by the end, therefore it's interesting. To me, it's like, it's guilty until proven innocent,
dude, you gotta have faith. Like, there's some things that you can only appreciate that way, and if you just shut everything down immediately, you're never gonna get to enjoy something like Ghost Trick, for example. Ghost Trick could have ended like shit, but it was great.
Jeff, how was The Perfect Insider? Did that turn out okay by the end?
The Perfect Insider is pretty good, I'd say. It delivered. Mystery, don't want to spoil it, but it delivered pretty well.
I get the cynicism because, like, recently, A1 Pictures has had a trend of releasing, like, 2 shows, one of which is, like, a blatantly terrible light novel adaptation, and the other one is one with tons of promise that everyone likes at first, but then just, like, nosedives. So last season, that was Asterisk War and Perfect Insider. So statistically speaking, the show will fall apart. But I have to, like, just judge it.
Did you hear that? He said Asterisk War had premise,
now,
did you?
No.
He was talking about
all right, here's the
one.
thing. Look, Boku Dake Ga Inai Machi is based on a manga. The manga is still going.
Exactly.
I heard that.
That's the thing that scares me.
I lost my shit.
The director of the show has said, this is what he said. He said, the show will have the ending of the manga.
What does that mean?
No one knows what that means.
That means that somebody poorly
by the time the second season of this show's over.
That means that somebody poorly translated whatever interview question he was doing, is what it sounds like.
He's just being
I would look into it. I looked it up on... this came through Anime News Network as a story, but he was saying that it would have... Basically, he was saying it would have an ending.
Yeah.
And that it would somehow be the ending that the manga would also have, even though the
maybe
manga's
they've
still
told
going.
him what the ending will be. I mean,
Maybe.
Could be. Now, I've been on from before this show started, the anime and manga board on 4chan, and I was reading the discussions, and almost everyone has said that this manga starts off really strong, and then at some point, there's something that happens, and it's just kind of like, what? And then it just kind of gets kind of dumb.
That's what
and people were
time
saying that the
travel
anime
stories.
probably wouldn't even make it to that point because it wouldn't be long enough. So it might be okay, but then it might get kind of dumb. And here's the thing. Mystery manga, when they don't resolve pretty early, they tend to get really dumb. Because the author has something successful on his hand and he just keeps writing because he has
Detective
to,
Conan going these days? Have they wrapped that shit up yet? What's going on over there?
Conan is still good, though. That's the thing. Like,
Conan's not like this, though. Conan's not a one mystery. It's like each episode is its own thing.
Right.
Yeah, Conan is like self-contained baby's first Sherlock Holmes mystery. It's nice. My stance on this thing potentially getting terrible is that A1 Pictures shows get terrible or almost entirely because they adapt material that gets terrible later, or gets terrible right away in the case of Sword Art Online, and eventually good direction can't save a show being that bad.
I don't see any reason, though, to have faith that the manga is good for this series, because so many people are saying that it kind of gets dumb later, and that it's not over.
I'm saying if they just wrap things up, like, I want the end of this arc with this girl. If that is concluded in these 12 episodes, and they just cut it off there, I will be
with the same level
happy.
of consistency that we've gotten from these first 2 episodes. Because I just have to judge them on the quality that we've seen so far.
They're incredible in terms
Episode
of
one.
direction.
These 2 episodes I completely loved, especially
Episode 1,
2.
the fucking sound design, terrible.
You're wrong.
Every time he activates his power, it makes a fucking Transformers noise. That's like...
The dubstep power?
That was really annoying.
That was annoying.
Fucking annoying.
Okay. But that's like one problem out of
he's got
a lot of great sound design.
I hate his voice in the first episode. I hate that they made him sound like he's like really naturalistically reading his lines, but no one else really is. Where I felt like everyone around him was an anime character, and he wasn't an anime character, you know?
The mom was good. I like the mom.
The mom was a great actress.
The mom
great
sounded
character.
like she was the same age as the guy. And I know that's kind of the point. Yeah. She looks the same age.
I like how she rode the line between being an asshole and being like an endearing character. I thought that was interesting. That was some real human development going on. Like, yes, of course she wants to protect her son and do all the, I don't know, be a mom. But then she's also kind of a selfish asshole who's just... bumming off,
trying to hook them up with teenagers.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good
I'm
thing.
pretty sure that the voice actors playing the guy and the girl in the first episode are probably the same age.
Sure.
Yeah.
The voice actress who's playing the teenage girl is clearly playing anime teenage girl, but the guy who's the same age, voice actor's probably the same age, is playing 29-year-old jaded asshole guy, you know, and it just sounded like he was from a different show from everybody else to me.
Well, they're trying
isn't
to
that
create
interesting?
the contrast.
She's a bubbly young high school girl. He's a jaded asshole douchebag. Maybe there's some intentional,
I'm just saying
there.
that you can the mom had a voice that sounded like an anime older person voice, and the girl had a voice that sounded like an anime younger person voice, but the guy didn't sound like an anime character, but everyone else did. If you're gonna if you want the guy to sound natural, why not have everybody sound natural? Why not hire a 16-year-old girl to play the 16-year-old girl? And just have her sound
because they want to have a good actress
in
the role of the 16-year-old girl, as opposed
but not
to
the main guy.
The good he's a good actor. It's good acting.
I didn't find
role.
a single character more offensive than any other anime I've ever watched, probably. So, I was fine with it. Everyone sounded fine to me.
Yep. I liked his delivery. I personally thought that it sounded good and it gelled well with what the tone of the show. that he would have this sort of natural way of thinking after going through like 29 years of his life with this whole rewind power that he has, and just getting all the optimism.
But it didn't seem like half-assed to any of you to like just like because that's obviously what they were going for, is to have him, you know, reflect the tone of the show, but like maybe have everyone reflect the tone of the show.
I'm with you. I would have liked it more if people sound more real, but that just applies to anime in general, and I feel like, you know, that's part of the package deal when you watch an anime. There's going to be some of that shit.
All right. I also thought the first episode, I thought the directing was flat in episode 1. Not in episode 2. That one looked really good. I thought it was great to use the aspect ratio. Everything looked pretty nice. Yeah.
I agree 1 was a little janky.
Episode 2, the scene in the park, holy shit. That's like
episode 2 is just
beautiful
sequence after
filmmaking.
sequence of great scenes.
Episode 1 had like a few really good moments, like when the kid is about to be taken away and his mom spots that.
They were looking around the place.
That scene bothered me the most, because when the camera's panning around them and it's like just flat angle of them both just like looking around, and the camera's just like panning around, and I just thought it looked totally flat in that particular. That was the moment I was going to bring up as the one that bothered me.
Disagree.
That's like a shot intended to like show the confusion, because like there's nothing, like they're not spotting anything, and then she sees something, and like right after that there's that great shot with
I just
like
thought
the guy
the way it was
taking away
filmed
the kid.
Looked really flat, man. I thought it looked flat.
And when she gets
there's
murdered,
no answer to this.
When she gets murked, that's a very good scene. Super well directed.
Yeah, it looked really nice. The blood.
I just thought the show felt like super, like, you know, kind of edgy, try-hardy to me, man.
You
like,
hate everything that A1 Pictures does 100% of the time.
That's not true. That is not true.
I was
liked the
surprised when
first
you said you
episode of
hated
The
Silver
Perfect
Spoon, because
Insider.
I was like,
I just haven't finished
Silver
it.
Spoon is like the most non-A1 Pictures show that they've ever made.
I don't think so, man. I think
it feels so like wholesome and not manufactured the way a lot of A1 Pictures
okay,
shows do.
And this is the same director
the reason
and
I don't
writer
like Silver
as Silver
Spoon is less to do with A1 and more to do with I hate nature and I hate animals, and I hate
love
that the
nature
show tries
animals,
to sell
so
you
that's why I
on-
like it. I don't think enough anime represent the farm and stuff, so that was cool to see.
What I think that A1 does well, like particularly well, is like dialogue and this sort of character drama when there's not like big action going on, because their big action scenes in Machi they're okay, in Sword Art Online they're often hot garbage. In Asterisk Wars, they're fucking terrible. But when they do dialogue and they actually have the leeway to stage it creatively instead of putting it in as Digi would put it, a fucking cafe again.
Right.
They like Silver Spoon has really great character dynamics.
Yeah, I love the freaking chemistry of the characters in
How
Silver
much
Spoon.
of that is A1 and how much of that is because Hiromu Arakawa knows how to write a fucking manga? And like,
might be true, but
did it just use the manga as the fucking storyboard, or was it actually like a uniquely storyboarded thing? And if so, because I remember when I watched Silver Spoon, I remember thinking that it just felt like moving manga, you know, like they didn't really do anything to it. But I could be wrong. I haven't actually read the manga.
Well, I mean, it's the same director as this show. Right. So
this one does not feel like moving manga.
Yeah,
that much
I know this one.
I read the
used
manga.
the anime
I read
format
the first...
really well. Mm-hmm. Like it did a lot of stuff that you couldn't have done in the manga, like how he talks over himself in his child voice and adult voice. That was
That's
a great
true.
detail.
That was a cool.
Yeah,
that was cool.
That was
a
amazing.
very good detail. Because it's like, and he'd surprise himself every time he said something like from the heart.
That he was thinking, yeah,
that was cool.
I don't know. It's hard for me to buy into this stuff, man. He gets put into his child body and he just like goes to school. I mean, I guess he'd have to. I don't know what else he would have done, but like, it's just
get arrested for truancy. Maybe that sounds like a good plot.
That's what I mean. Like it's something that I don't know what else he would have done other than go to school. But like, it just feels weird when I watch shows like this where like there's that kind of like a high concept that you really have to buy into, you know?
Yeah,
like,
it doesn't really make any sense when you think about it, because he's kind of attracted to like the 10-year-old girl the show suggests, and it makes you wonder how moral that is. But also, this couldn't really be happening. So
yeah,
like this could never make sense.
his body is. It's kind of weird because there's like, at some points it seems like there's a dichotomy between his body and his mind.
And
like,
for the record, that's the stuff I find the most interesting about this show. Like, the stuff in episode 2 that I did like was thinking about how I was like, man, what is he more, the 10-year-old or the 29-year-old? You know,
probably the 10-year-old, because he has the knowledge of the 29-year-old, but he has all of the like
see, I'm not sure about that.
The physiological urges of the
problem
10-year-old.
His problem-solving abilities he brings up later are clearly that of an adult. You know, ever since I saw Jumanji, at the end of Jumanji, when the girl goes back in time to be a kid again, after living like 30 years as an adult, it was always
holy
a
shit,
fantasy
she's
of
gonna
mine.
Take over the world.
Yeah, exactly. She's got all the skills of an adult. How easy is fucking middle school going to be for her now? It's going to be a fucking cakewalk. She can do whatever she wants, and she knows the fucking future.
Not just that, like she could go to her parents and be like, "Hey, this Apple company, buy fucking stock, do it."
Yeah, exactly.
Do it.
But you know, even putting that aside, just experience in life with the mind of an adult, I think is a very interesting concept, and that was kind of what I was hoping to see from the show, and I am seeing some of it. I'm seeing like the problem-solving skills of an adult.
Here's another thing, though. Here's the moment in episode 2 where I realized that like maybe it's I know it's me. I know that like this show not being appealing is more me than everyone else. I know it's not a bad show, but like there's the scene where the guy, you know, in his child self is talking to the girl, and like this guy's a 29-year-old man.
Okay, I think we're going to disagree completely, but go on.
And I just felt like he almost. Like, how can he communicate with her, like, sort of on her level like that, you know? In a way where, like, I feel like he buys into her bullshit to some extent.
What, like her abuse? Oh, she's just playing that.
No.
See through that because he's an adult.
No, not the abuse. Let me finish.
Okay.
She says all this stuff about how she's like, oh, you just put on that face so you can hang out with your friends and, like, be this kind of guy. I hate that kind of stuff in all anime when they try to, like bullshit psychoanalyze each other. And I feel like he bought into the shit she's saying. Like, she's like, oh, you just put on that face so you can make friends with everybody. And I'm like, it's a fucking 10-year-old. You're being psychoanalyzed by a fucking 10-year-old.
Dude, I'm just saying, a 10-year-old can be pretty mature.
That is what it was like back when I was 10. And I'm like, dude, come the fuck on, man. You should have, like, a detailed knowledge of, maybe because I know too much about psychology or something, or because I'm, I don't know, smarter than the average 29-year-old, I guess. But, like, I just felt like this guy should know so much more, and there's no reason this girl should be, like, revealing
This is a 29-year-old pizza delivery man. This is a 29-year-old pizza delivery man.
Yeah, and I don't want to watch a show about a 29-year-old fucking idiot.
Stop.
Some downer asshole
you don't
guy.
Think a 10-year-old who has experienced abuse would have something to teach you about the world? That is bullshit. They have tons of experiences. She's had a whole life that we can't even understand.
Not about the world, but about her, like, about, she's like analyzing him. She's like telling him what his emotions are. And it's like
she does the exact same shit. She pretends every single day that she's not getting fucked up every single day. She sees him doing something similar. It resonates with her. She sees that. That's what the whole thing's about. You're a fucking idiot, did you? I'm gonna come to your house. I'm gonna fucking strangle you in your bed.
Like, the thing that she said was that
I
he was
agree with you,
performing,
Nate.
and that's what he was right. She was right about him. She said
she was only right about him because he agrees with her that she's right about him. But
well,
like,
it's all open to interpretation.
I don't know. I feel like as a 29-year-old man, he should have been able to, like, already understand himself pretty well and know things about his, because I sit around and think about my past all the time and what the things I did meant, but I don't know, man.
He's a failure. He's a failure, and he probably hates himself. He probably doesn't like to spend a lot of time thinking about himself.
It's hard for me to grasp a character like that. I love myself. I think I'm amazing,
Oh, we all agree there.
I look up, if I want to watch a show about a 29-year-old, I want him to be, like, really successful and cool so that I can project myself, like, oh man, when I'm 29, that's what I'm gonna be like,
I've got good news for you. He's gonna get cool. He's on his way.
You think that, down the road. But it remains to be seen.
That's true. I can't deny it.
Like the thing about his character though is I think he is aware that he's like putting on this facade because that's what his manga editor keeps telling him, that he's not putting his real self into anything.
Right.
Yeah, the hints are there.
Yeah, so it's
I
like,
didn't even realize that.
Yeah, that's
nice
like the
detail.
first line of dialogue.
Yep.
It's a very coherent and
he
consistent
understands
show.
that about himself. He does say that. Like
he does.
Yeah.
He
gets why
doesn't
his
want to
manga
talk
sucks.
about like the shit that fucked him up. He's not interested in exploring that because it'll be too painful or whatever.
Also, another thing I noticed about this episode was I really have to question the school when they read this crazy emo poem from this little girl and they have nothing to say about it. Who's clearly
Japanese
getting
schools
her
don't give a
head
fuck.
beaten in by her mother, but they're just not paying close enough attention.
Japanese schools don't give a fuck about like I mean, have you seen their suicide rate, man? And this is the 1980s. They're like, go home, play Dragon Quest. But if I go home, my dad's gonna hit me over the head. Well, I bet you fucking deserve it. Like that's the teachers at Japanese high schools in
They
the
have to make
1980s.
reference to the Famicom and the Dragon Quest, otherwise we wouldn't
know what time it was.
That's the only thing that puts it in the 80s at all.
Other
No,
than that,
like,
it just
the
looks
thing
like a
is-
regular day.
The thing is that for the Japanese, that's like more of a cultural touchstone than like 9/11 is to Americans. It's like Dragon Quest 3 came out this year, and they're like, oh, I know like exactly what I was doing on that day of that year. Because on that day, I got to level 20 in Dragon Quest 3.
Okay. You can all call me at the end of the season to tell me how I was right and how the show fell apart. Let's talk about a show that
that's going to happen.
Actually,
I have this fear that the show's just going to fall apart, and he was completely right all along. We wasted our time.
let's talk about a show that I like.
Silver Spoon was good. I hold out hope.
Okay. Let's talk about a show I like. Bubuki Buranki, or BBK-BRNK, as it's listed on Crunchyroll.
Is that an abbreviation? Because it's longer.
I like Bubuki Buranki a lot. This show, for me, actually, well, I should probably pick somebody else to talk about it first. Jeff, you go ahead.
Okay, yeah, I also like Bubuki Buranki a lot, even though I watched it as BBK BBRNK.
Yeah, BRNK.
I don't even know.
It's one of those titles that's so ridiculous that I kept saying it to myself over and over again. That's why I'm able to just rattle it
Bubuki
off like that.
Buranki.
Yeah,
when
I hear
gotta-
something that silly, I just keep saying it all day, like Bubuki Buranki.
I kept pronouncing it Bukake.
Bukake, yeah, the Bukake show. So that show does CGI a lot better than
Yes.
the other. What I can't even remember the name of it anymore. A-jin, that's it. So that show does the CGI thing a lot better than A-jin.
Is it,
except that
is
the
CG all the
animation
way
is
through?
worse. Yeah, it's CG all the way through.
Okay.
With these
I completely
giant...
disagree about the animation being
Whoa.
worse.
I like it doesn't have like that same level of detail to it. There's some moments where the animation's really good, but there's some moments where it's like they're kind of these dead-eyed.
Yeah. Did you watch episode 2 yet?
I haven't watched episode 2. That's like on my list for today.
Is like a non-stop action scene, and
I'm looking forward to that.
It definitely kind of bounces between moments where you're like, "This looks really awesome," and moments where you're like, But the thing about this show, like, Bubuki Buranki for me is less a matter, like, it's less a show that I'm like really into, and more a show that I think is showing us the promise of CG animation in the future. Because first of all, it didn't skimp on the character models. They actually look like anime characters. Like,
that's true.
They have cool designs. They're all unique. They all, they have great faces. If you watch episode 2, they make a lot of anime faces that I've never really seen CG characters like try to make before. That look pretty, again, sometimes they look awesome and sometimes they look a little weird.
They look really bad.
Yeah, but like it's interesting, and I'm glad that they're trying, that they're like sort of making progress, because I do want to see if CG is going to be around forever. Which
if it makes
is,
development cheaper, that's good for everybody. If they can make it look good,
all they have to do is just get whatever magic Arc System Works is using for Guilty Gear Ixard and bring that in.
Exactly.
Ever since I watched Shirobako, I don't know if any of you guys watched it, but in that show, Ichiro Itano, the legendary animator who created the Itano Circus, where a million missiles fly around the screen and everything, and all kinds of other stuff. Ichiro Itano makes like a cameo in one episode of Shirobako, and he is like working now as a CG director, like like training people in how to make CG look like animation. And like the whole episode is about him sort of like saying, you know, CG isn't bad, we just don't know how to do it right yet. And he's trying to teach people how to do it right. And Bubuki Buranki was the closest I've felt so far that they were starting to make it look like anime. And
I agree.
It has very, very heavy Trigger and Hiroyuki Imaishi influence is like massive on this show. Imaishi actually storyboards the opening theme, and this studio, Sanzigen or whatever, I think that's the name of the studio. That's what it says on this chart. But they are the ones who do the CG parts in Trigger shows. They did the CG for Kill La Kill. They did the CG for Panty and Stocking. They worked on as well back in Gainax days. They've done a bunch of stuff with Trigger and Gainax. So, like, these guys are intimately tied to Imaishi. And if you watch episode 2 especially, like, most of the action, like, the individual beats, the way that stuff is animated is obviously inspired by Imaishi. Like, it's they're ripping on his style pretty hard, you know? And again, not all of it succeeds. There's moments of, like, yeah, this feels like Kill La Kill, and there's moments of, like, this is the really low-budget Kill La Kill. Like, you know, the one that
Episode 4, yeah.
Yeah, but, like, well, episode 4 is, like, a different story entirely. But,
that's
like,
true.
yeah, it's not necessarily an intelligent plot so far. Episode 1 was, like, showing us how the main characters, like, arrived on Earth and their mom was, like, holding off all these mechs or something. Episode 2 is, like, a giant fight scene, the whole episode. It's just, like, mech fights and sword fights and fight.
That sounds like it'll get boring at some point.
Well, I think it's going to now go take a break, too. Like, the way episode 2 ends is like, you know, the bad guys have been established, the good guys have been established, they're going to go off and, like, figure out what the fuck they're doing after this point. But, like, it was just a lot of fighting, and, again, some great, some not so great, but the background art is fucking gorgeous.
Oh, yeah, I was just going to say that the set decoration in this show is just, like, holy crap, so good. Oh man, that one scene in the first episode with the robot in that underground grotto.
Yeah,
that was just like, holy crap, that looks amazing. And the unfortunate, it's kind of unfortunate that we haven't had good CG up to this point, because like I see stuff like this and I'm like, other anime could be using backgrounds like this for better cinematography, and most of the time they just don't.
Did
and
any
sucks.
of you try to watch Ronja, the Thief's Daughter Ronja?
Nope.
This was from last year. It was a show directed by Goro Miyazaki.
No. It
was the collaboration between Ghibli and the studio that had done CG for other stuff. I don't remember what they're called, but it was a CG show with like that was clearly Ghibli's style, but in CG. And I watched the first episode, which I believe was like a 45-minute episode or something. Because
that worked so well for Ni no Kuni.
I was gonna say,
yeah. It was weird, because the backgrounds were all hand-drawn, and they were fucking beautiful. Like, unbelievably gorgeous backgrounds, really cool setting. The characters and the story seemed pretty interesting, but the CG was like, you know, like, I would say it's not as good as Bubuki Buranki, but it was a little closer to that style, like, of character designs and everything, but just not as clean and not as good. But, like, the way that they animated faces and the way they animated movement was, like, had lots of the hallmarks of Ghibli, but it didn't feel right, and it was so weird, man. It was so weird.
Yeah, Ni no Kuni problems, man. See, Japan is still catching up to doing CG anime as well as the French Canadians did on the Naruto games from Ubisoft.
Yeah.
Because those look really good, but Japan still can't do it even that good.
I remember Code Lyoko looking better than most of these new...
God,
Code Lyoko is gorgeous.
God. No, it's terrible. It's the worst show I've ever seen in my entire life. Oh, God. Everything about that show repulses me on every level.
I love Code Lyoko. That show is really cool, in my opinion.
You say so.
All right, so Nate,
cool.
do either of you have any thoughts on Bubuki that you didn't get to share yet?
I haven't seen it, do not know. I think the guy has a nice Marty McFly vest, though. That's cool.
Yeah.
I like so I just saw to the end of the first episode. I like that guy with the gun with the bullets that have eyes on it. He seems like a great whole horse. I like Whole Horse in any anime. So the fact that Whole Horse is in this anime makes it like 10 times better right off the bat.
I like the girls in this one, of course.
Because they're 12.
No,
I don't remember any of the girls.
adorable.
I only remember like the sister. I don't really remember anybody.
There's a girl in like a pink like
She's got the big hand thing.
Yeah, she's got the big hand, which is fucking adorable. Her and the hand are adorable. There's a girl who was introduced at like the end of the episode. There's like the pink-haired and green-haired girl. The green-haired girl is pretty kick-ass in episode 2. She's just kind of like the energetic, fuck 'em up, kick-ass type girl. And I like that type. Anyway, I guess that's it for Bubuki Buranki. Let's talk about Dagashi Kashi, the one with the hot girl.
Oh god, I see
I think
Dagashi
she's the only
Kashi.
appeal of this show.
Yeah.
Subsonic, you want to lead us in with that?
Yeah, sure. It feels kind of like a by the books romantic comedy with slightly better comedy than most of them.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's going to drop the hook of
Have
of
you
the
watched
candy
episode
shop
2
stuff.
yet?
No, I watched the first episode.
Okay, that's why you're saying it has slightly better comedy. 2 is a fucking nightmare. Oh, God. I went over to my friend's place last night to watch it, and we just sat down. We were like, oh, boy, the first episode was so good. This is going to be great. And then we sat down to watch it, and it's literally just like, it's Family Guy, the anime. Like, she just says something, and then they cut away to, like, something completely fucking unrelated. But instead of the cutaway gags being, like, short and to the point, the cutaway gags last for, like, 5 fucking minutes. It's so painful.
I think you're too generous to episode 1. It was the first show I watched this season. I liked it. I liked the main girl, but none of these people are interesting in the slightest. Like, and even in this, they cram in like, the main character is like the best. He's the best guy. I don't need to project
it's a comedy
myself.
show.
Into this
I thought
guy.
it was funny that he was like that.
When I'm watching a rom-com, I can just lower my expectations and say it's a rom-com.
Well, okay, if not for the tsundere girl, I wouldn't have thought this was a rom-com at all. I would have just thought it was
the
a comedy.
cafe girl.
And
the cafe girl.
They here's the thing: when they first announced Dagashi Kashi was getting an anime, then they were like, showing pictures of the manga on ANN and being like, "This is getting an anime." And I took one look at Hotaru, the main girl, and I went, "Holy fuck, she's hot!"
You actually know her name. That's impressive.
Because she's hot. And she has like the crazy eyes, and I'm all about crazy eyes. That's
I saw you tweeting about how hot she is, and I got hyped to watch the show, and I was let down.
The Hex Maniac from Pokemon? She kind of reminds me of that. She's
a little bit.
Best girl.
I'm all about crazy eyes, man. It's my fetish.
The main character clearly is too, because he was like
so you must love
drawing
Sasuke,
manga.
dude. Naruto must be like your favorite show.
Oh yeah, man.
You want crazy eyes? We got you covered.
No.
You got a mad boner for Nebi or Neji or whatever the fuck.
So anyway, guys, I saw the promo art and everything, and so I went to check out the manga, and I read the first like 4 or 5 chapters, and it was pretty funny. And the thing is, like, only out of this first episode, only like 2 chapters from the beginning were there, and I think they reshuffled it all so they could get the cafe girl in early.
Yeah,
because she wasn't in the first few chapters of the manga at all. It was just like a slapstick comedy about Hotaru and the main guy, like just talking about candy for like 5 fucking chapters, like making candy jokes.
That's episode 2. That's episode
it felt like
2.
A
it's
fucking
painful.
Peypsi commercial. It was painful.
Yeah,
I hated it.
They were cramming in like product placement, but then I realized
even if it
it's
wasn't
part of the
actual
show's
product
theme.
placement, I would believe this wasn't like sponsored, but it felt like it, and I hated it.
Right.
And guys, do you get it? One's the sweet girl, one's the bitter girl. Whoa, parallels! It's like poetry.
That's great. I like that,
man.
I just
whatever.
got that. I thought it was a weird decision to introduce the coffee girl in the first episode.
I think that's a cool way to do opposites, is to have
cool.
them, one be like she's all about sweets and one be like she's about coffee.
But she's not even just about sweets. She's into junk food. How is she not fat and disgusting with acne all over her face?
Because it all goes to her tits, man.
Oh,
yeah,
she's an anime character.
That is
It all
a
goes to her
fantasy that
tits.
exists nowhere.
Look, okay, so I read the first few chapters of the manga. I didn't think it was funny enough to keep reading. I thought it would be funnier in anime because there's a lot of puns and stuff that like. Because the thing about like reading comedy manga is that you're reading a translation and something is always lost there, where like I knew if I'd be able to hear their voices while knowing what they were saying that it might be funnier. But then the anime they got Ayane Taketatsu to do Hotaru, the girl who played Kirino, which I know Nate would be furious about. And
Thank God I didn't know. That would have made me hate it even more.
I didn't think she fit the role that well. Her voice is a little too high-pitched, and I expected her to sound a little bit more, like, insane.
Milfy?
And
a little bit milfy.
She usually plays thinner, lower build characters, not the main girl.
And Hotaru didn't really sound like the voice I had in my head was not quite what she was.
Yeah.
And I really like the idea of her character that she's kind of an idiot, like a total idiot, and she just loves sweets, and she doesn't seem to have like any social norm shit at all, right? Like, I like that she's not the tsundere, which is why when they introduced Coffee Girl, I was kind of like, oh, okay, there is a tsundere, she's right there, you know?
Yeah.
But, like, I like that Hotaru is the type who would just be naked in front of people and not give a fuck because all she thinks about is candy
good.
and nothing else means anything to her, you know? Like,
I do like that.
I'm a big fan of single-minded characters who just don't think about anything but the one thing that they're obsessed with, and
that's why I love Haikyuu. That's why I love Haikyuu.
I want to love Haikyuu, but that show is so melodramatic that it's hard for me to handle.
I like that about Tomoko and Tomoko Market. How she just cares about nothing but making
Tomoko's
mochi.
a great example, and that's a much better show than this. But
but like, at one point, the main character's dad says, "Oh, you two should get married so our businesses can do a merger." And I was like, "Oh, so it's nisekoi, except with gangsters."
Without being about the dumb rom-com shit, you know, where
Nisekoi is
like,
so bad.
I cannot stand nisekoi.
Like, I keep watching it, but I keep, I know it's like fucking purgatory of anime, that it's never gonna end, nothing's ever gonna fucking change.
It's Shonen Jump, it's gonna last 100 years.
Yeah.
Dagashi Kashi, though, this show, like, leading up to this show coming out, there was already a lot of porn of the characters.
Of course.
Well, no,
she's hot.
That's not normal, though, because, like, with most anime, it takes until the anime comes out before there's any, like, doujins or anything.
No, but you've got a cute girl in like a gothic dress with like that weird flower thing.
No,
and
also
then you've
the
got
Coffee
a
Girl had a lot of porn too.
Because she's a punk chick with like lots of piercings, and it's like
she doesn't have piercings, does she?
Yeah, she's got piercings in her right ear.
Oh, well,
yeah, she's got like a whole
lot in Japan.
No, she's she's a Yankee girl is kind of what I got.
In any case, you know, I've gone on the hunt for doujins for shows, and it usually takes until the show's like wrapping up or like it's around over before I start seeing shit. And this show already had a lot of porn. It already had a bunch of stuff. And here's the thing. Here's what bothers me, and this bothers me about the show. This is the greatest sin that the show commits and that all the fans commit. All right, Hotaru in the manga is like, she's kind of like Haruhi in terms of her design, where her tits are the perfect size and any bigger is too much. Like I know you guys might disagree, but for me, Haruhi's like my max boob size. And I think Haruhi has such a perfect rack that if you draw them bigger, because everyone thinks, oh, she's got big boobs, we gotta draw them as big as possible, then it completely disrupts the flow of the design and doesn't look right. And with with Hotaru, all the fan art draws her with giant fucking tits.
That's because there's a discernment between big boobs in the real world and then big boobs in anime. So Haruhi's like, if you saw her in the real world, she'd have big boobs, but in anime language, they look like freaking.
They look normal. Yeah,
Rias from High School DxD has big boobs.
But in Dagashi Kashi, the whole anime, they made her tits much bigger, like, than they were in the manga, or at least they come off as bigger than they were in the manga, and it bothers me because this happens all the time, where they take, like, I guess it's partly that it's easier to animate. Like, to have just big ass titties instead of trying to get them the perfect size all the time, you know?
Yeah. See,
like,
this makes it weird to me that you like Rakudai Kishi no Cavalry so much more than Asterisk Wars, because main girl's tits in that are huge.
I don't like the girls in Rakudai. It's just a good show. I'm not attracted to anyone from that one.
I thought that you judge shows.
Yeah,
I thought that Digi just judge shows based on how much he likes their tits.
I don't know why people have these weird conclusions about Digi. If you listen to anything he says, it's pretty clear he's investigating quite a few things about the shows he's watching. I don't know, whatever. Can we move on to the next show? Because I'm dying to talk about it.
Okay.
Oh, it's Dimension W.
Yes,
yeah, Nate,
please.
go ahead.
Let me go into this. Okay. So we're in the future, right? You know, you know about the X-axis. Everybody knows about the X-axis. You know about the Y-axis? Of course you know about the Y-axis. Have you heard about the Z-axis? You've probably heard about that. But did you know, if you go far enough on the X-axis, you find the motherfucking Z-axis and the W-axis.
W-axis.
And you know what's on the W-axis? Infinite power! power.
Yeah, that's
You get no energy. Let it go.
Holy shit. They get superpowers from an extra axis that doesn't even exist.
That doesn't even make sense.
The way they explained it was the most incomprehensible thing.
Oh, they got it.
But I loved how they were showing that, and I was like, okay, so how are they gonna project this extra axis? And it's just like, that's just negative X.
Just X.
Have you ever done math before?
No, you guys were all shitting on it, but I watched episode 2 today, and I watched that because they play that fucking sequence in every episode.
Oh god,
every episode.
I'm gonna kill myself.
Bury that.
Yeah, they do the whole fucking explanation of the Dimension W
they really
at the
thought
start.
This was a solid explanation. We're gonna put this.
No,
in
but
every
here's the thing, you
episode.
guys. Like, the way the
What's-
graph is represented is that it's showing that X, Y, and Z axes, like, there's the positive and negative side, and the positive side of each axis is our dimension. So on the negative side of the X-axis is another dimension. So
doesn't make any
assumably,
sense.
the other end of the Y and Z axis would also have other dimensions. It's just a whole negative... a series of negative
That
dimensions.
doesn't make
But
any
that's
sense. That's
not-
not how dimensions work. That's not
That's
how it
just a
works.
mathematical representation of space.
But negative numbers don't exist, right? Like, they're imaginary numbers. But what if
Yeah,
they
but-
did exist and they were another another dimension?
Okay, so the
fucking
fixed
say any
point
of that
of
shit.
0 doesn't exist either. Like, the 0
Yeah,
point
there's
on a
nothing to
graph
cross over.
is just wherever the fuck you put it, and then negative numbers are whatever's behind that relative to what you're graphing.
If they're trying to make up some like dark matter shit, then fine. But
Yeah,
you
what
have
I'm trying to say
that.
is, like,
you have to talk about it.
for existence to exist, there must also be non-existence, right?
Well,
But
that's not what
non-existence
dark
can't
matter is.
exist in our universe, because how could that be a thing? You can't have non-existence,
Don't
because then it
tell
would
me
exist.
that was communicated
so then
by
on
this
the other
XYZ
end,
graph. It does not. They did
but
not go into
if you
any
look
of
at
this.
it, if you look at the way the graph looks, the y-axis and the z-axis, they both have a solid line that then becomes a perforated line when it goes into the negatives.
That
and
doesn't
the X,
mean anything.
It's so stupid!
There's no making
it's like-
excuses for this show, okay?
It's like they were just like what they did was they were just like, hey, like there was some fucking animator who was just playing around in Maya, and he's just looking at the XYZ transform, and he has no idea what math is. Nobody ever taught that to him. He's like the one guy in Japan who failed out of school but still became an
He
animator.
was put in
and he's
charge
just
of coming up with the premise behind the show.
yeah, and he's just
It's
staring
a
at this.
sci-fi show.
Yep.
It's and that is why it is by far the best show this season. By far.
Absolutely. Like, because this was just come up with by some guy who's fucking smoking mescaline and staring at the bottom left corner of Maya and being like, this shit is blowing my mind!
Of course. Why didn't anyone think of this before? I just had a breakthrough.
All right, calm down about the fucking W-axis, all right?
I get it.
What
the
they,
show.
what they should have done,
Here's
what
the
they should
thing.
have
Look,
done
I watched
is
episode 2 of this right before we started this podcast.
Okay,
I don't think any of
okay.
you saw it.
I didn't see
this universe, nothing in it makes sense.
I know. It's
like
Yeah.
when we
it's
get
fantastic.
when you get to episode 2, it's like they keep establishing things, and like all of them are just bizarre and like out there. Like in episode 2, then the main guy has to fight these two like androids that this rich guy like sends after him, right? And he like knocks them out. And he like breaks their power core things, right?
Yeah.
And then the guy, the rich guy, like tries to pull the thing out of the power core, and he's like, "Oh, you shouldn't touch." The main character guy's like, "Don't touch that. It's like if you're not a professional." And then the thing starts going haywire, and they're like, "The dimension is collapsing."
Oh no!
And then
not the dimension.
and then so the robot thing like starts like like all this red lights coming out of it, and it's like like it looks like it's imploding, and like then there's like this like
Dude,
like a bunch of faces coming out of like a red mist or whatever, and then the rich guy gets sucked in, and the guy's like, "I can't
Holy
help you."
shit.
Then there's like an explosion, and then it's just like this giant body tree that's formed out of
What?
like a sentient body tree
Did that
thing,
come
and
from
it's like,
Dimension
what?
W?
And it's like, this is what happens when a dimension implodes, and it was
You get a body tree.
I was like,
What is a dimension?
Dude, like in the
What
end of
is
the
a
first
dimension?
in the
don't
end of the
know.
first episode, when like the old man is like being caught by the police, and he's like, "Just look at my thing." I was just like, "Please let it blow up. Please let it fucking blow the fuck out of this entire fucking city." And it did. Oh
Yeah,
shit,
yeah,
it
it was
a nuke.
great.
It was the coolest.
It was an
Except
EMT
everyone
nuke.
survived who was like right next to it. Everyone's fine.
Yeah,
so.
it's a
What?
pacemaker nuke.
Yeah.
But oh god, man, there's
I
so
loved
much.
it. I honestly loved this show. It was fantastic.
All
For
they
this
should have
reason.
done all they should have done with the extra dimension is they should have just, like, taken just that scene from Interstellar with all the fucking bookcases stacked onto infinity and just, like, put that in the anime and then just, like, zoomed out and that's inside these batteries that they put inside of their guns. And it's just like, this is infinite energy. What's the energy? It's a father's love for his daughter stretching across time.
Of course.
Yeah, I gotta say, this is definitely... It's odd. It's not a show where the sci-fi matters, right?
No,
like, it clearly is one where they're just, like, making shit up. But then, like, it's also really weirdly detailed.
I know, it's
like,
bizarre.
There's a lot going on with it. Like,
why do they keep going into it?
They're used for a lot of different purposes. There's a lot of different shit you can do with it, but it's so poorly established that it doesn't, like, come off as cool. It just comes off as like, oh, I guess that's a thing, you know.
Someone clearly thought it was like the best idea ever, and then they were just like,
man,
okay, fine, we're writing it in.
The level of camp in this show is so endearing, and I absolutely love it. It's definitely my favorite show this season. I'm not even joking.
This show comes from Studio 3 Hertz, which is a new studio, relatively. They did a show called Sora no Method last year, which is really fucking boring but gorgeous to look at. It was just like a cute girls doing whatever show. And the studio, like the people working on this show is a lot of like Darker Than Black team. Like the creator is the guy who made Darker Than Black, did the character designs for it, I believe. And it has that feel of like a Bones or Manglobe show. Like, I guess I'd lean more towards, like, design wise it looks like a Bones show, but like the feel of it is more Manglobe.
Oh, and by the way, the main character uses like knives on a wire.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Just like Kay. Yeah, now that I think about it, he did use that. I don't know how many of you have seen Darker Than Black. Just Nate, anybody else seen it? Jeff, you seen Darker Than Black?
You guys haven't seen Darker Than Black? Oh. I'm surprised.
I don't think Jeff is there. Jeff, are you?
Oh shit, I'm here. Sorry, I just had to...
Have you seen Darker Than Black? I bet you have.
I muted my mic because I was coughing. Yeah, I have seen Darker Than Black. The Madness, Something Beyond the Gate. I can't remember how the theme song goes right now. No, but
that... soul pledged to the darkness. Yeah. Now I've lost it. I know I can kill. The truth exists beyond the gate.
Yeah,
I could do the whole song. But
one of the best openings ever. Chinese Electric Batman. Great hero. Makes no goddamn sense, but is really cool. I definitely I can definitely see the connection between that and Dimension W. Like Dimension W is just fun.
It's just that they made another show just like it and said, you know what, guys, this time we've got the explanation down. We got it nailed, and we're gonna let everybody fucking know how smart we are. I love it.
It's different in that it's not superpowers. Instead, it's robots and technology. Episode 2 does a lot of like, well, I guess both episodes are like establishing there's a mystery going on behind the scenes. You know, the girl is pretty cute. I think this show is way overconfident in how cute this girl is.
I agree. Yeah, because I think a lot on her.
I think it's banking a lot on it. Here's the thing. All right, I was watching episode 2, and I'm literally thinking that. Right, I'm thinking like, man, this girl is kind of cute, but she's not like the cutest. And like this show really seems to be like playing her up like she's so damn cute, you know. But then there's a part where she like she's given a change of clothes and she goes in the bathroom and she comes out and she's wearing the new clothes, and I'll give it credit, the clothes are really cute, right? But it gives us like this, you know, like the shots where it's like bloop 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 bloop, like showing her, you know, in her outfit and everything, and then she says like, how is it, do I look cute? And I'm like,
God,
you couldn't be more blatant. Like,
I'd just
you're
like to point out that an old ass man programmed
it.
her to do that. Just saying, everyone think about that. All right.
No, I think the idea is that she's like a perfectly human.
I'm sure she's his daughter brought back to life or something.
No, because she was around before the daughter died.
Oh, really? Okay.
But I think she is a robot. She's just perfectly. She's like, you know, an Astro Boy. Like, she's as human as a robot could be. You know, but yeah, I mean, there's some creative action, some cool stuff. It's just that it's not like quite on the level of quality of a Bones show. Yeah. Where like you know, like Darker Than Black was pretty tightly directed and pretty tightly done and has like a pretty good story, and this show feels like it's a little too goofy to be quite as cool as that, you know. The opening the OP from the creators, the same band who did the Gangsta OP. Did anybody else remember the guy's dance? That like awful dance he does at the start.
Oh yeah,
God,
it's like nothing is happening. There's nothing like going on in the background. It's
No.
just him dancing.
It's just him dancing, and it's like really awkwardly framed. His head kind of gets cut off by the top of the screen, and it's like, it's just this weird dance. It doesn't look good at all.
I need a lot more sparkles in my openings, or I'm very.
And he doesn't seem like a guy who would be dancing at all. Like, it would be one thing if it was like Gangsta, where they had like the stylized visuals, and like you kind of understood that this isn't something that's happening in reality. It's like a fever dream, you know. But it wasn't like that. He was just dancing, and I don't know why. It was strange.
that's
I liked it.
because they needed a filler shot.
Great.
Yes,
They needed a filler
Yes, they
shot.
did.
That's I need to do an episode about like bad OPs at some point.
That's a good idea.
Just to be like, okay, so here's Sword Art Online. It's a bunch of fucking bullshit. This one shot with the mirror is literally the only thing that conveys meaning in the entire thing,
And
the rest of it
whole
is just
plot.
eye candy.
The season 2 of Sword Art Online OP literally spoils the entire plot.
You know, a surprisingly large number of OPs just spoil a ton of shit.
I'm okay with that when it's done well.
Like, Jeff has analyzed a lot of OPs that like that are showing things that happen later, but you won't understand what they mean until later.
Yeah, okay.
In Sword Art Online, like, it straight up shows the kid who is Death Gun, and then shows Death Gun like him like transforming into him, even though it's supposed to be a mystery.
Okay.
Like,
Yeah, well, I mean,
pretty
it's
blatant.
obvious that he's going to be Death Gun, though, because he's the only other male character in the entire plot.
And he has no other reason to be in the story at all, other than to be Death Gun.
And how else is Kirito going to bang everybody if there's another guy who has a deeper emotional connection to the girl he wants to bang than...
All right.
That guy has to be a
we all
crazy
watched
stalker.
Dimension W. I don't think any of us were super impressed with it, but are we all still watching
Dude,
it?
I was super
want to
impressed.
watch
I
it.
had zero
want
opinion
more.
on this show.
I like the one thing I was super impressed with is those big-headed robots look fucking great, and I want more of those things fighting.
I will say you might like in episode 2 they introduced the character Loser, and he literally looks like the main persona from Persona 4.
Oh, cool.
It's like the same design, but it's like a
So
guy.
Izanagi? Like Izanagi as a dude?
Yeah, it's like Izanagi.
That's awesome.
Look him up. Look up the
Okay.
character Loser from Dimension W. He was on all like the promo arts and shit, so you should be able to find him. But yeah, he looks like a persona, but like is a person. And I guess his thing is like his face was all fucking burned off in a war, so he like wears the mask to, you know, hide his face.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool. Episode 2 was a lot. It was more fun than episode 1. It still didn't make any fucking sense though.
Of course not.
Oh,
Of course
that
not.
is totally Izanagi's mask. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's like the same exact design. It's incredible, and he's got like the trench coat and everything, you know. And when he uses like his special moves, like the whole art style of the show changes. Like it becomes like a pop art like looking. It's pretty neat. But again,
I love it when shows do that.
yeah. All right, let's move on. I don't think anybody but me and Jeff watched this. I couldn't finish episode 1 of Divine Gate.
I didn't
God.
see it, so I'm going to the bathroom. I'll be back.
Yeah.
Divine Edge.
Yeah,
Edge is the
yeah. Oh my
edgy edge.
god, it was edgy.
Divine Gate feels like Project K or something on a really, really bad day.
yeah.
Just like not well thought through lore whatsoever, and the biggest sob story for the main character, like his parents literally left him in like a dog cage, and they left
in
him
the
food out for him
backyard.
in a bowl.
It was ridiculous.
He had to fight wild dogs for his dinner,
then the
which
brother
they
would just
left
walk
out
out
in the
and mock
fucking
him.
rain.
Yeah, it was a bit much. I thought the art style is interesting, but I don't know how well it works because
So like, it has like a really heavy shaded art style with
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that ink blot style of like shading, which can look really good, but A, you have to animate it pretty smoothly, which
Yeah.
they don't, and B, the other colors have to pop, which they don't.
Yeah, it's
like it's like halfway to like a pop art like Redline style, and then the rest of it is just like normal anime palette, and it looks really fucking ugly.
If you want to see this style done well, Redline would be like an extreme example, but even like the Psycho Pass second opening like where it's like the harsh colors and then the harsh blacks, you know, like anything like that. It's like a comic book look but like comics look good because they're not moving.
Yeah.
This show is moving and it looks weird because they don't look like humans. They're just like weird comic drawings that are like when they move, it's jarring. And
see,
strange.
that's my the thing is that's my favorite palette to use in any Arc System Works fighting game is the one where they have that shading style. But again, they make the fucking colors pop because if you just like do that on like regular anime character models, it's like, why don't you have 3-step shading? It just looks like they got lazy and were like, fuck it, making it black. Like one guy fucked up on one line and they're just like, you know what, we're not tossing this out. We're just doing this for the rest of the series. I think the character designs
suck. They're just like each one just has a color and that's about all they have. There's no like they don't stand out. I think that's might be why the art is like that.
It's
I like to see a man commit. Like, I am Fireman. That's all I am. I'm nothing more.
His hair's red. His clothes are red. Except the main guy, he's got blonde hair, so he throws everything off.
Yeah.
And he's in anime, so he should have blue hair. But instead,
everyone else is going to be theme colored. He might as well be theme colored too. But no, he's got blonde hair. Total edgelord. The opening, I knew that I had a feeling this show was a little like, you know, like a little too like edgy as fuck from the first scene where they're on like the train and like, you know, the guy takes the girl hostage and he's all like beating her up and shit, and I was like, geez, like, you know.
It just has no tact, it has no subtlety.
Yeah.
So it just feels like hokey.
This guy summons up a fucking, like, flaming Sai out of nowhere, and he's just like, I'm gonna sacrifice you to make the divine gate appear! And then, like, blue guy shows up, and he's like, do you see the divine gate? And he's like, I don't give a fuck what's going on, I'm gonna cut your head off.
Yeah.
And then, like, later, they're like, hey, we heard you killed your parents, but we don't believe that shit. You're still
like,
cool.
oh,
he's like, I did kill my parents!
Everyone in the school is just talking about how he's killed his parents. I imagine why he's so pissed off.
Are we allowed to just, like, is Star Wars spoilers okay at this point? Can we just call him fucking Kylo Ren? Because he's basically just fucking Kylo Ren.
I think Kylo Ren is a better fit for his story and makes more sense in context.
Oh, yeah, no, this is like Kylo Ren injected into the middle of fucking Digimon. It makes no goddamn sense. And you know what the worst part of this episode was? Nothing happened! Like, in terms of plot progression, it's like, we're gonna bring this guy into school. It's like, okay, so this episode they convince him to join the school. He's like, no, fuck you, I don't want to join the school. He goes to talk to the guy, he's like, no, fuck you. It's like, okay, he's having a flashback. Maybe he's gonna resolve something about his parents. No, he just finds out this kid was fucking watching him while his parents were abusing him. I don't know who that kid is.
I was confused about that. That's why I didn't end up finishing the first episode, because I was watching, like, the very beginning, there's, like, the action scene, and I was like, alright, whatever. Like, maybe they're gonna have, like, because the setting looks kind of cool at the beginning, where it's, like, this rail going through this, like, dark-looking city and stuff, and then, like, he walks through, like, a dimensional gate on the rail, and I was like, that's kind of, like, at least they're trying to do something that looks kind of unique, but then, like, I got the sense very quickly that it wasn't a really unique setting. It's just a place where people have superpowers, and it just is.
So Digi, you know why it looks cool? Because they stole it fucking verbatim from Persona 3.
Oh yeah.
Like, okay, so it's like this
the
kid.
The city, though, it doesn't really look like Persona 3.
No, not the city. But, like, okay, so the conceptual stuff that you're thinking, oh, this is pretty interesting. It's like this grim, gloomy thing. Guy gets on a subway train going somewhere. Event happens, and they're transported into another dimension.
I'm very familiar with the opening scene of Persona 3, the game.
Because you played, like, every time you play that game,
well, the thing is, Persona 3, though, the opening scene is, like, ripped straight from Serial Experiments Lane. So
yeah, they keep it's echoing over and over again. Yeah. But to me, like, a lot of the stuff in this show, like the kid who's mysteriously connected to him and is, like, trying to inform him on stuff.
Very Persona 3.
Like, there's all of this stuff. They go to this high school. They're recruiting them.
It's based on a video game. That's not surprising.
Yeah. I bet it's
the bright, shiny colors.
Is the game a JRPG?
I could tell it was a video game when they had, like, their powers have, like, a very specific... Oh, it was the mission system. Because when they beat the guy, it said, like, mission complete. And I was like, oh, this must be a video game thing.
Let's see what Divine Gate even is. Because it's a smartphone game.
Oh, good.
Why am I not surprised?
In Japan, everything's a smart mode game, to be honest, though.
And it's Studio Pierrot, so that explains why the animation is...
Pierrot, I guess they do that style, but, like, they usually do it a lot better. JoJo looks a lot better.
JoJo's not Pierrot.
It's not David. That's David.
This?
Never mind.
David Production.
Okay.
No.
I get them confused.
Pierrot, they did like...
Pierrot does Naruto
and Legend of Korra Season 2, which was
they did that. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Fun
Pierrot
fact,
did some good
also,
shit in the 90s. They did Yu Yu Hakusho. So.
Cool. Pierrot was great in the 90s. It's just that, they did Yakitate Japan, which is the best show ever.
Oh, fuck yeah.
But it's just like, I don't know, man. Ever since they took on Bleach, they've just like they've realized that they don't have to try with fucking anything.
It's true.
The reason that you're connecting them to David Production is because both studios worked on Level E, and Level E was just like huge, awesome animation, and everything after
Level
that.
E was great. David Pro is great. Fuck Pierrot now. Okay, let's move
Tokyo
on.
Ghoul's
There's
okay.
another show that I think we're all gonna fucking shit on. At least me and Jeff are definitely gonna shit on this. I don't know if anybody else watched it. Nate, did you watch Grimgar?
I sure did.
Sub, you watched Grimgar?
Yep.
Anybody like Grimgar? Anybody?
Let me tell you, this show had some of the nicest looking backgrounds I've seen in a long time.
They kind of look like Yoshi's
The
Island
watercolors,
right,
those were
now
great.
let's
Everything
shit on
else
it
was
forever.
total garbage. It was a complete piece of shit.
I want to start us off on this one.
Did you? I just want to put a pin in one last thing. Pierrot did do baby steps, so Pierrot's okay by me.
Yeah, I mean, that show doesn't look good,
Except
though.
that's the worst thing about Baby Steps.
The worst thing about it is the animation.
But they also did Osamatsu-san, so...
Alright, let's talk about fucking...
Okay, I will stop fucking around.
Fucking
Grimgar. Let's shit on this anime!
Yeah, alright, Grimgar. Jesus Christ. Alright, where do I start? Because here's the thing. Grimgar is a show, I thought every aspect of it was terrible, with the exception of the background art.
Yep.
And, again, it's an A1 Pictures show. I went into this ready for it to be bad, and I don't like this director. This guy has done a movie called Nerawareta Gakuen, which was a Sunrise production that everyone thinks looks amazing, except I think it looks like complete shit, because the animation style is super weird. Basically, his style is that, stuff's kind of over animated, and it has like these weird effects on it where things get blurry. Like let's say someone's like shaking their arm back and forth, right?
Mm-hmm.
There'd be like a really intense motion blur on his shaking his arm. But it's like over animated. There's tons of frames, but it's all like shaky and weird and blurry. And he does that all the time. And I think it looks like fucking shit, right?
All of his animation is like watercolor style, but the shading is like palette knife. It's weird.
And they all have like really detailed backgrounds. All the shows he's directed. Nerawareta Gakuen, he did Ayura, which is like 3-minute episode shows that like...
And Ayura's actually pretty fun.
Yeah, and all anybody knows about Ayura is how gorgeous the art is. Like, it's really beautiful to look at. And the weird fucking OP. But, like, I don't like this guy. I don't like this studio. I didn't have any expectations. And, like, I expected the animation to be weird and jarring, and it was. And I know that this is going to be a show where people are going to say, at least it's pretty, because they're going to say the background art looks good, the animation looks good. And I found the animation really jarring and strange, because there's this opening fight scene where they're all, like, fighting in the woods with all these goblins, and it just kind of looks like the characters are, like, superimposed onto the backgrounds, like they're not really in them.
It did have that effect sometimes.
Because the art style on the characters looks different from the backgrounds, and...
Sure does.
They don't shoot them in a way. This is what bothers me about all fight scenes that fucking all the bad ones. Like in a good fight scene, you use establishing shots to show where the characters are standing in relation to each other. Like in One Punch Man, you always see the ground, you see their legs. And in this show, this whole opening fight, you never see anyone's legs. It's all torso. It's all like weird perspective. You can't tell where everybody is in relationship to one another.
That fight was perhaps the most confusing thing I've seen in animation. Definitely this season. I was completely out of my... I had no idea what was going on.
It sure was smooth, though, wasn't it?
It was smooth, yeah.
Silky
but like,
smooth.
Because they spent all of the money for that episode's animation
on that opening scene,
one
yeah.
4-minute segment. And
It was like,
so,
man, oh shit, she's shooting an arrow. Oh fuck, she dropped the arrow. Oh, that guy's got a knife. Oh, okay, what's going on? That guy's got a big sword. Oh, he's stuck it in the tree. What? Who are these people? What's happening? I lost my mind.
When this director doesn't have to like try to put a plot in some stuff, he's good. Like he worked on Arakawa Under the Bridge. On like certain like episode director, and he did the key animation on the OP, and like that's like okay, like that's really crazy and out there. He did apparently he did some episode direction on Kaiji.
Arakawa Under the Bridge is the kind of show where you could have put anything in there, and the show is a comedy that's like out there, so like
it just
having
works.
Weird animation works for the show, you know.
But he also did parts of the opening of Your Lie in April, and I think it was mainly like those watercolor painted bits that like show up. But I mean, those worked there because they were underplayed and used to like
and
accentuate
it's
certain things.
Yeah.
But like for a whole series, I don't know, man.
It's
like
weird.
having this detailed, complex shading and these soft watercolor edges on all of your character models makes it really fucking hard to animate it well.
Yeah.
So they just don't try half the time.
And every time this is the kind of show where the more you try to make your show look like it's supposed to look good, then every time it doesn't look good, it's that much more jarring. Where, like, I watch a lot of these little, like, 3-minute anime bullshit shows, and they're, like, you know, they look like they're drawn on, like, they're not well animated. But, like, they don't try to look well animated. They have simple character designs, everything looks normal, you know.
Except for Marshmallow. Marshmallow is the best animated show of this year.
Yeah, that's true, weirdly enough.
Well, are we going to get to that? Are we talking about short shows?
Yeah, we're going to do the shorts. But, like,
okay, awesome.
But with this show, like, every time it's not quite right, it's more jarring. And what bothered me more than the bad fight direction, which is something that always bothers me, what bothered me the most in that opening fight scene, there's at least 3 moments that I counted where someone yells and their face is completely normal. Like, they're not making a yelling face at all. They're like, we gotta go to their right flank! And their face is just like, talk.
Dude, that's especially great considering how the one guy's like, this is a battle for your fucking life. If you die in the game, you die for real, motherfucker.
And he's explaining that, and his face is completely normal. No one's making yelling faces. Like, watch the scene again now that I've told you, and it will like really fuck with you. There's at least one moment where it's like a few lines, too. Like, a guy says like 3 different lines, and his face is just totally stoic.
Well, that's like the anime thing. If they animate it before the actors put their lines in,
right?
So obviously, all these actors were like, "I have to match these." It
probably wasn't
lip
finished.
And,
you know, like they probably were voice acting over unfinished cuts, and they didn't know what it would look like in the end. You know, and then there was just not enough communication because A1 is not a tightly run studio; it's a bunch of fucking contractors. Which
depends on the show, but
every time I shit on A1, I want to come at. There's this. Maybe I won't name him directly. There's an anime YouTuber who kind of has it out for me. Who's a piece of shit. His name's Kanipa Show. Anyway, he was raving about Grimgar. He was raving about Grimgar, saying how great it was. He was all over Twitter talking about how great Grimgar is, and he was complaining. I don't know. He fucking loves it.
Did he love that supremely awkward commercial like the? Okay,
I looked on ANN. I looked on ANN, and like all of the ANN reviewers seem to love Grimgar, and they're like
weird.
They're talking about how it's like this slow-paced story with like a lot of melancholy elements.
Slow-paced,
I totally saw that they're going for like this melancholy of people trying and failing to survive in this world.
Right.
But the thing is that they spent 5 minutes talking about a girl's fucking breasts.
Oh, that was the worst part of the whole fucking
moment
thing.
Where I was really wondering
all right,
what
before
the
we get
hell
ahead
I
of
was
ourselves,
watching.
though, I was bringing up Kanipa because he was saying on Twitter how it bothers him that people shit on A1 for like doing light novel adaptations. He was like, everybody does them, and A1's not one studio. It's like there's multiple parts to it. There's a lot of, it's almost all contractors, and I'm like, that's exactly the problem with A1, is that it's all contractors, that it's not people who seem like they get time to communicate with each other, and they're not run on like a tight schedule. They seem to fall behind a lot on shows where they have shows that go unfinished or just come out looking like shit, you know? It's like, because they're just constantly producing shit. They're constantly attaching people to new shit and pumping it out, and like, I can totally imagine that like they were animating this opening scene, which is supposed to look really amazing. There's all this fluidity in the animation, but if they don't finish the animation, if they don't have it complete before the voice actors get it, then they don't know what the faces look like. And if it goes back and the animators don't get the voice acting in time to change the way the faces look, then they don't make the faces look different. If you watch like episode 2 of Shirobako, where they had the whole scene where the girl was like, you know, like they had animated it kind of normally, but the vocal performance was so dramatic that they went back and reanimated the scene to make her voice, to make her face dramatic. They clearly don't have time to do that
situation, I wonder.
Yeah, A1 doesn't do like Blu-ray corrections either.
Yeah,
so
it's a
like
thing.
Like that's a shaft, and I caught your British for a second there. I was like, what did I just say? No, that's like Shaft and David Productions and stuff. They do that all the time. But like A1. Like A1, when they get a good team together, they can make good shows. But the thing about A1 is that they don't have a studio culture at all. No. Like you can tell even with like Madhouse that Madhouse has certain like things that they value. KyoAni, you can definitely see that they have certain things that they value in everything that they make.
I'm not too sure anymore.
Well, no, we can talk about that when we get to it. Like, almost every studio has, like, a core team that, like, defines its culture and what its output is to a certain point, and A1 doesn't have that, which means that A1 can put out some really great creative stuff, like, World Conquest Zvezda Plot, which I still think is one of the most brilliant original anime.
I need to watch that. I like Tensai Okamura. He directed Darker Than Black, and he directed that show. And
it's got a lolly in it, so
it does. I don't really like the lolly in that show. That's
you don't like the lolly, but she's got the. I mean, she's got the giant hand thing that you like from Bubuki Buranki. Yeah, she's got that. That's her superpower.
Yeah,
she probably doesn't smoke enough for Digi.
Okay, the thing about Zvezda Plot, wasn't that one... I think that's one of the ones where I was watching it, and, like, my impression of the character is this is legitimately a little girl, but then they put her in, like, a kind of revealing outfit, and I was a little weirded out by it.
No, like, but she's also, like, 1,000-year-old immortal. So
of course. She? Oh, okay.
Yeah, well, so, like...
That's hot.
What matters is okay. You're okay with that then. But,
yeah, if she's 1,000-year-old immortal, then you know why to put the dick in the pussy.
Hearing that dumb excuse.
Can we
she's
move
a
on
soul
to
from another dimension.
A1 Pictures, like A1 Pictures, they make Space Brothers, but A1 Pictures also makes Fairy Tail. And they also make Sword Art Online.
There is zero consistency to the A1 Pictures shows. You can have something like Shinsekai Yuri come out the same year as Sword Art Online.
The same time. The same season.
They're only inconsistent.
Shinsekai Yuri looks like shit and is a piece of garbage, though.
I like Shinsekai Yuri. We're going to fight you. We're going to fight you on that.
Back to Grimgar here.
We don't need to talk. Yeah, we need to focus on Grimgar. Let's skip. I want to jump right to the worst thing about Grimgar.
Okay, go for it.
Right?
The boobs.
I think we all agree. This show, I'm watching this, right? The opening, there's that opening fight scene where everyone's fighting, right? Yeah. And the girl, the one girl's got the big tits, and she like swings her sword, and her boobs like jiggle all over the place. And I was like, all right. So right out the bat, this show like has like a serious tone, but I already see boobs jiggling. So I'm already like,
that Dynax bounce. Son.
This is gonna be kind of trashy. Is the impression I'm getting, right? Yeah. And then all throughout the episode, it keeps showing those girls, and like every shot, they're like contorting to show their ass or something, or like it's always like the tits or the ass. They're always showing their tits and ass, but they never talk. Neither girl ever talks until 15 minutes in. Yeah. The guy starts asking. He starts talking about the girl's boobs
nice tits, bro.
out of nowhere.
Feel those.
The only dialogue the girls get is about their tits.
And it's in relation to this one asshole being like, no, fuck you, I'm not going to listen to you because you don't have big enough boobs. She has bigger boobs, and therefore is more valuable to me as a human being. And nobody pushes him off the fucking cliff, which he deserves.
No one stabs him in the fucking face.
I mean, I'm not going to say that he was, like, supported in his opinion. He was clearly the bad guy here.
Yeah, but come on, they all just sat there and
they
listened to him.
Well,
and
they
how did
underplay how much of an
comeback,
asshole.
the way that the other girl like tries to, you know, like save the first girl is to like go over there and start like basically like getting all up on her.
That's
like,
true. That's
like
true.
To make, you know, like I guess she was trying to.
It did make him jealous though.
It made him jealous, but I was like, you're just. How is this? Hurting
that's
him.
not what humans
This is
do
clearly
in
for the
that.
audience. This is for us. Like it's obviously supposed to be hot. It was hot. You know, it's like.
And but on the other hand, they don't have enough of busty, milfy thief Onai-chan.
Yeah.
Like I wanted an episode of him training instead of an episode of them sitting on a fucking cliffside talking about tits.
I want Nate to talk about his biggest problem with this
That was by far my biggest problem with the episode. Okay, so you're put in you're in like a new Log Horizon, a new Sword Art Online. You're in a new world. All these people are in a completely new situation. What is the one thing we want to see them do? We want to see them figure their shit out. We want to see them grow. We want to see their progression. We want to see a fucking training sequence. And what do? They fucking cut it. They skip over it. That would be by far the most interesting thing they could have put into the show. And they just are like, no, we need to get back to having these girls talk about their tits. That is a much better use of everyone's time. Holy shit, I was so fucking pissed that they skipped that. And not to mention, we don't even know what happened. So, like, did they actually improve their skills, or did they just, like, what happened? I don't even know.
They just got a certification, and apparently she can throw magic around now.
Yeah,
I don't know.
And they're all still fucking balls at this shit. They can't do anything. So what was even the point? It's terrible.
I mean, they only got a week of training, so that's like...
And we saw none of
talking about this. I'll be right back.
Okay.
The one thing that I thought was kind of interesting about it, premise-wise, is the fact that they don't remember the real world, and they're like struggling to like connect, connect with these
every anime
ideas.
that begins with amnesia ends up sucking.
I mean, Amnesia,
Amnesia is usually bad. There are some very good JRPGs that start with Amnesia, though.
I think Elfenly...
I mean, you know, Silent Hill 2, great Amnesia story, you know.
Silent Hill 2...
It can be done.
Steambot Chronicles, which nobody has played, but I will talk about that on my channel one of these days.
Angel Beats,
cool.
Angel Beats is Angel Beats.
Okay,
is
we get the point. Amnesia can be done right, and yeah, they could do something interesting here.
Well, I wouldn't know. I don't know if I'd say that Angel Beats does stuff well because Jun Maeda is
Angel
the worst.
Beats kind of falls apart.
You know,
Jun Maeda is the worst anime writer of all time. But non-controversial statements aside, Grimgar, Fantasy, and Ash should be Grimgar, Fantasy, and Ass. Am I right?
Oh, dropping bombs! Yo, let me ask you something though. Okay, maybe this is just speculation, but remember in the tit scene when the fat-titted girl is like, "No, you guys don't get it. I'm actually fat."
Oh
and
god, I hate that
what?
freaking
What are you
scene.
talking about? No, hang on. Because yes, the scene was painful, but in that one thing, I think they might actually be going for something kind of interesting with that. Because if I'm not wrong, she said that she's actually fat, and you know, it seems to be implying that in the real world she was fat. But then in another scene, was I wrong?
Oh,
was
is
this
that
just
what
me?
you think? Is it? It is
No,
that she thinks she's.
I saw
I
her.
thought she was just like anorexic or something.
She just
maybe,
has
but
self-esteem issues.
I've got another piece of evidence here. And am I wrong? Was this just the sub? But at one point, the redheaded dude is just like, yeah, back when I was a girl, I was like, what? Wait, what? When did you
that
say
happen?
that? I could have sworn I saw. I did not go back and look. If nobody else saw it, maybe I'm just imagining.
Maybe that's why he's being such an asshole. He's not like obsessed with the boobs because he's obsessed with boobs because he's a guy. He's obsessed with the boobs because he's one of those girls who feels up everyone's boobs in anime, because there's
like
always one of those.
Yeah, maybe. I'm just saying, perhaps there's something interesting going on with their
if all of that turns out to be true, I will definitely reassess my thoughts on this show.
Okay,
and like, here's the thing. You know, we talk about the fact that these characters, the girls, get no screen time and no dialogue except to talk about their boobs. But the thing is that this potentially anorexic, miserable, low self-esteem girl with big boobs has more personality that I can describe than anybody else in the show.
That's so true. We know one thing about her. One thing. She's embarrassed about her body. Okay.
And that's more than anybody else.
The main character has sleepy eyes. He's got sleepy eyes, and everyone keeps giving him shit about it. Holy shit, that's endearing.
He's got
I think
sleepy
everyone's
eyes,
in
and he
this
gets.
show are really ugly.
I know my eyes were sleepy watching this. I'm just saying.
I told you guys.
God damn.
I told you guys, it's a great fucking sleep aid. I was like, finish with this show.
That's what you did.
Stride did to me.
Princess Stride and this show are like the ones where you're just like,
my dick is
right
too hard
before
during
bed.
Princess Stride, but okay, let's
No,
go back.
like, yeah, the only other thing I guess that we can say is a personality trait is there's that one like effeminate gay guy who runs the shop who's like very anime gay, you know, like the Kefka or whatever of this anime. He doesn't like being called a pervert, so that's something.
Do you just call gay people pervert in Japan? Is that something that happens, or am I wrong?
I mean,
completely about
gay
that?
marriage isn't legal there. Gay marriage isn't legal. They can be pretty close-minded. They had to make Yuri Kuma Arashi to be like, hey, being gay is okay. So they have problems in Glorious Nippon in terms of
Grimgar was the
Imagine
kind of
that.
show where by the end of the first episode, I absolutely hated all the characters and wanted them to die. And yet, even if this show does end up killing them all, it will not be satisfying to me because I don't enjoy those shows that are just about killing a bunch of cute anime girls, because I'm always just like, this is such a waste.
Yeah, I don't want
like if I want to watch cute anime girls, I'd prefer to like them in something, not to watch them all get killed because they're assholes. All right, let's talk about a show that does star a cute girl, a kyutogaru as she calls herself, HaruChika. Did everybody watch this one?
Sure did.
I haven't seen episode 2 yet, but yeah.
It's currently my second favorite of the season. I watched the first 2 episodes. Nate, you can go ahead and start us off on it since
I'd be delighted to. So let me see. What did I like about the show? First of all, everyone's got really colorful eyes. I'm already into it. That was really cool.
It's that KyoAni thing.
Yeah,
it's PA Works thing. They also do that, and this is a PA Works show. But
that's true.
PA Works definitely cribs off of the KyoAni textbook, and this show. That is like weirdly evident because this show is kind of like a combination of Hibike Euphonium and Hyoka, and like it feels very.
I want to say I have conflicting feelings about the very first scene where they're doing that thing where they show the conclusion and then they go back to the beginning. They're going to show us how they got there. I don't really always like when they do that.
They don't do that in episode 2, so
okay, that's good.
Nice.
That's good. I know it was just an establishing thing. And so clearly this is like a thing where we're gonna assemble our crew One Piece style, and we're gonna go on a big quest and like achieve our dreams at the end, kind of like Ice Shield 21, I guess, is sort of the thing it reminds me of. And I pretty much like every single character, but the best thing about this show by far, I mean, I like pretty much everything that happened in it, but at the end, the girl says she wants to be a cute girl, and like she meets her childhood friend. I was like, oh, they're gonna have a romance, and the guy's gonna want to be more manly. Holy shit! When I found out that he's fucking gay and they both want to bang the teacher, I was like, this is fucking ace. This is rad. I love this. This is so cool.
It sold me, dude. I was already into it, and that sold me because they even set it up like this is a little bit of a spoiler if you haven't watched the show because of the way. I wouldn't say it's a major spoiler, but they definitely at the very end of the episode play up like she thinks that he's going to be into her, and then she finds out that he's into the teacher. And I love it, and I love because what I love about the main guy about Haru is that he's like. He's a very believable gay character to me in terms of like having like he has like the attitude, but it's not played up. It's not like, oh my god, he's flamboyant, but he's kind of bitchy, and he's kind of like the bitchy gay guy. He's kind of an asshole, and I love it. He constantly makes fun of Chika and undercuts her, and like it's just kind of a dick.
The funny thing is like almost all of those personality traits also make him seem like a light novel guy.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
So that's why it's a surprise.
It's very
just like the surprise was so refreshing. I absolutely loved it.
And he's not super campy. I think this might be the first anime I've seen with like a gay character who's not like that campy, except for
gay male
Wandering Sun.
There's a myriad of female gay characters out there.
With Wandering Sun, it's hard to say like who's gay and who's not so much as who's
because they're trans too,
right? Well, it's also like the whole show is kind of about like I get mad when like I always say that Wandering Sun is about a boy who is dressing as a girl because he never actually concludes that he is a trans person in the show. I've heard that maybe he does in the manga, but like I think it's wrong to like automatically jump to conclusions when the whole point of the show is that they don't really understand
They're
themselves
questioning.
yet,
That's cool. And there have been endearing gay characters before. Like what's that one about the three homeless people in Christmas time? Who,
Tokyo Godfathers.
Tokyo Godfathers. Great movie and fantastic
Satoshi Kon,
characters.
of course, it's a great movie.
Of course,
yeah. HaruChika though, Haru, man, like in episode 2, there's a part where like she goes to his house. He's like living alone in an apartment or whatever.
Course.
It actually was sold pretty well because the apartment is a complete piece of shit, and he's like half and half paying for it with his parents or something like that. But
That's
cool. She shows up at his apartment and she's like, "Oh no, I'm walking into a guy's apartment." He goes, "I'm not interested in you at all."
Wouldn't she already know? She already figured it out. Come on,
but
bro.
it was funny,
right,
and he's
that's fine.
being a dick about it. Of course, like he's like the whole episode 2, he's always kind of shitting on her, and like I almost felt sorry for her because she doesn't have a lot going for her. Right. Like she just wants to be a cute girl, and she's pretty
Cute
dumb,
guy.
and I love it.
Yeah, she's great. I really like. I like a lot of characters who are super driven in that they've got a goal and they're reaching for it.
Yeah.
But I also like in this how it's a little more. It's like Yui from K-On! Is like figuring out what she wants to do with her life and like finding herself in a community, because that's something that I went through not too long ago, and I love it. Like I like every single character in the club. I like the teacher, and I like his backstory. I think is interesting. I want to know more about him.
Yeah.
Everything about the experience was just great, and the little mystery was campy, but in a cute way that I
love how
enjoyed.
the teacher is that perfect kind of design where I could
be gay.
I could
You don't
see
know.
he could totally be gay or straight. I could equally see girls and guys being into him.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's a total twink. It's great.
I was kind of more mixed on the show, I think.
Really?
Like, I thought the aesthetic, like, compared to most PA Works shows, wasn't like if you look at, like, Charlotte and Glosslip and Shirobako, they're, like, really, really gorgeous and colorful. And this show's kind of more like...
you
You
also just listed 2 shows that are fucking terrible.
I would definitely say
shows.
HaruChika
Glosslip's
is
terrible
not
show.
as beautiful as Charlotte,
Sure.
but it leaps over it in every other conceivable way.
In terms of writing,
Yeah.
Like, I mean, PA Works, they're more inconsistent than KyoAni for sure. But I find it's best when they strike like a balance between production values and actually spending time writing the show, with the Eccentric Family or Hanasaku Iroha or Nagi no Asakura.
Although
they strike that balance.
those were beautiful shows. I mean,
those were beautiful
Hanasaku
shows.
Iroha is
all of their shows
gorgeous.
look great now that I think about it, except maybe True
Yeah.
Tears.
Yeah,
This show kind of... Like everyone I was looking at, I was thinking about how much better everything would look in Hibike Euphonium, like when they were playing the instruments and stuff.
I wanted to ask you guys because I haven't seen Hibike Euphonium yet. Is this just a ripoff? Because I have no idea.
Hibike
this is-
Euphonium is much more of
yeah.
a like. Hibike Euphonium's about the music, and it's
Okay,
it's about characters who actually perform music, and about them trying to like start a band. HaruChika is clearly a mystery show that is like where they just
Music's the
happen to
theme.
be, trying to.
Well, I
build
think
a
mystery
band.
might be a strong term, but okay, fair enough.
But
Yeah,
like
the thing that annoyed me about the mystery in this show was that in this show, the kid, when he was trying to figure out the notes, he just look at the notes every time. Like, there'd always just be this shot of him looking at the notes. Whereas in, like, say, Hyoko or something, there'd be all these, like, crazy visualizations.
I
all the
hate that
things
about
that
Hyoko, though.
Yeah, the only thing that's
how
interesting about
overboard it
to the
is.
show about me, it keeps my eyes busy. Like, it does all these
fuck
crazy
your eyes.
camera
Hyoko
shots.
kept
my
Hyoko
ADD
kept my
cannot
eyes so
stand.
busy that I couldn't read the subtitles. Like
Yep.
Hyoko was I don't know. I've always felt Hyoko was overboard. I felt like because I mean, don't get me wrong, it's probably like the most animated TV show ever. Like in terms of like the most crazy shots, the most how did they do that like moments. But like it was just characters sitting around talking, and there'd be like these crazy, insane moments, and I'm like, this is like let the writing carry the show. You know, like let's.
Yeah.
This
That
is
I
reminds
all-
me
definitely
of-
prefer the characters in this show because Hyoko was really friggin' bland.
Whenever I watch like a Shaft show
People
and they
are
do
gonna
those
hate us for
fast
shitting on
like
Hyoko,
you know
by
when they
the
do
way.
the screens of like words,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
it triggers. I can't really watch them comfortably because I feel like I need to pause and read everything that's coming up. It's,
don't
it's
do
a
that.
personal problem.
Yeah, that's not necessary.
Don't
Especially
do that,
like
or you're
sketch
going to
and a
spend
few.
like every Shaft show is going to be
it's
a
like
fucking
an hour
movie.
long. Yeah.
Well, it's mostly Bakemonogatari that does that, and it's all
That's
cool.
right,
It's all
that's
like
right.
literally the narration of the novel that's just in the show because it's like just all the details they don't have time for in the show. They just throw them in.
But
on screen.
it nags at me, and it makes me whatever.
Well, because it's like we either don't have the time or the budget to animate this, so here's a description of it.
I think it's a pacing thing, like because the way that Nishio writes is so rambling, and there's just so much extra shit that's not necessary, and so they just kind of put that stuff on screen.
They just take it out. Yeah, that's. I mean, that works. You know what? The thing that bugs me most about HaruChika, though.
What's that?
Chika. She keeps saying, "I want to be a cute girl." Does she not realize that she's already cute?
Well, she's an anime,
so she doesn't want to be. It's not that she wants to be cute. It's that she has an idea of like this proper girl.
Yeah,
that
she wants to be a cute girl.
Because she grew up being a tomboy, and she's kind of bad tempered and bad natured, and she wants to put on this image in high school. But what's great is that Haru not only sees through this image, but thinks it's completely pointless. So he's just like shitting on her all the time because he's like, "You're just fucking, you're an idiot," you know.
It's cool.
And
lots to like here.
Yeah, I'll say that I've watched the first 2 episodes. Both of them, I will say that like they get a little heavy-handed in the mystery, where it's like there's so much like drama to the mystery. It's like this like this intense love letter in the first episode that has like all this baggage to it, and like the way he explains it, he's like, when love is put into this music, I don't know, that kind of I don't like esoteric stuff in my anime.
I
that
thought
kind of
that was
stuff
going to be like
me.
an episode 1 thing, and then we just move on to like the recruiting members thing. And it wasn't really going to be a
episode
big...
2 is about recruiting a member, but it's done through a mystery again. And
I want the show to become about the characters.
I would actually say that I would say it's less of a mystery show and more of a puzzle solving show, because episode 2 is actually about
Hey, they should
puzzles.
make a game out of this. That would work.
Yeah, like basically in the second episode, then they try to recruit this girl who is like an amazing oboist, but she quit after her brother had died, and her brother was like obsessed with solving puzzles, and he had like left this last puzzle for her to solve, and so like the whole episode's about like how they get around to that.
Sure.
That's
cool.
I mean, I just spoiled parts of it, so sorry,
whatever.
but like, I won't spoil the ending or anything, but like. That's each episode is clearly going to have some kind of puzzles for the kid to solve. I think there's actually some influence of the BBC Sherlock series in here, because when he started texting, the way they did the text on screen was like identical to that. Because I don't know if you guys have seen the Every Frame a Painting video where he analyzed text the way
that made me think about that in every movie that I see from this point onward.
Same.
And Sherlock totally codified that, and if they're doing that in anime now, I'm happy about that. That's much better than fucking holographic panels appearing in front of them for no particular fucking reason, or other such things that might happen.
Call me old-fashioned, but I just like the shot of the phone screen.
It seems like there's going to be a scene, because I think this was in the first episode as well, but it's in the second episode where the guy, like when he's trying to put together the mystery at the very end, then like it shows a bunch of words flying around him. Yeah, like in episode 2, there's like like he's like like running through all the thoughts in his head, and it's like showing words appear on screen, and I'm like, this is Sherlock. Like they clearly watched it and made it into anime. So yeah, I don't know.
I'm
it's
cool
fun.
with that.
I like it. I think I don't know if it'll ever get amazing, but I think it's a show I could watch every week, and the characters and their personalities are enough to carry it. Also,
I agree.
The main girl, very cute, but the girl they recruit in episode 2, fucking hot. When they show her out of her school uniform,
I'm a big fan of Chika. I don't know if I'll like anyone more, but we'll see.
Oh man, well you'll like the other girl more. 'Cause she has huge tits, and
that
she's
sounds
fucking
great.
beautiful.
I am sold. Give me 20.
I'll take 2, please.
All right, next show. I don't know who watched this besides me and Jeff, but Kono Subarashii Sekai ni Shukufuku o. I don't know.
KonoSuba! I can't wait to talk about this one.
You just skipped Kochin Pa, the pachinko game, turned into an anime. We gotta talk about that.
Wait, what? What did we skip? We didn't skip anything. The Itachi thing? That's not out yet.
Yeah, that's what I see.
Oh, it's not out yet. My mistake. That's the reason why we shouldn't talk about it. Okay.
Yeah. Go ahead, Jeff. Talk about KonoSuba.
Okay, so KonoSuba, the plot of this show is almost identical to No Game No Life, except that he doesn't have the sister. This guy...
Oh, that's much worse.
No, this guy who's a total shut-in leaves his house for the first for like the first time in like a year to go get a special edition of this MMO that he wants to get, and it's a 6 special edition. It's got like this awesome statue in it, this great art book.
All of this is just on-screen details. The main character doesn't explain this. Jeff just really got into this scene.
Oh yeah, no, like I was watching this, I was like,
it's very relatable.
This is important to me as a guy who buys special editions of video games all the time. That
You're
is
wasting
shit
your money,
that
Jeff.
Yeah.
You are
Yeah.
wasting your
that is
money.
shit.
Hey,
that
special editions are cool.
No, they're not.
I got Rayman Origins special edition.
Did
It
you
comes
get the
with
little
an
Metal
artbook and a
Gear
soundtrack.
baby red arm? That thing was
I did
pretty
get
cute,
My
right?
life has
I
gotten
did
so
get
much
that.
better since I started buying things exclusively through Steam sales. Like, it's
Yeah.
just... You don't need all that shit.
Nah, those won't exist in 10 years. I need something I can hold.
I collect Tales of games.
Something you can hold that's going to burn out in 20 years, like my
It'll-
Pokemon
it'll
Blue
live
cartridge
forever.
that I can't even play.
I made the mistake of getting the Watchdog special edition.
Oh, no.
But I digress. This
That
this
special
MMO
edition,
special edition.
I gotta say, the Watch Dogs special edition, I think, is an important historical moment because it burned so many people to the idea
Yeah.
of buying special editions
Yeah,
that now
that's
I
true.
think they've gone into decline. All right, talk about KonoSuba. We're already 2 hours.
KonoSuba, it's got like a statuette, it's got lots of nice stuff in it. Anyway, you only see this because he drops it as he's trying to save this girl from getting hit by a truck. Which isn't even a truck, it's a tractor, and then he dies of embarrassment because he like tried to push her out of the way.
No, he died of fear.
He died of fear because he thought it was a truck.
And he died.
And his family came to the hospital and laughed at him as he
Holy
died.
shit! This is the best plot I've ever heard.
And
died?
he shows,
Yeah, he
so
actually dies.
and he
dies
shows
of,
up-
of shock because he thinks he's going to get hit by a truck
It's
protecting this girl.
It's like a parody of the Yu Yu Hakusho opening.
Yeah, and he
Or
shows
just
up.
how many shows had people almost get hit by trucks this
Yeah, I was
season?
just thinking that.
Yeah,
Because
so far, that
Boku
happened in
Dake had the
Erased.
kid almost
yeah.
get hit,
Yeah.
and then he
A-jin.
fucking saved him. A-jin had
Yeah.
a kid get hit by a truck.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's the
there's
Japanese
lots of-
truck, man. It's the most dangerous vehicle in the universe.
That's the real star of this season of anime. That fucking truck.
That
Yeah.
truck, that what? Except this one's a tractor, and like,
Okay,
so the thing is, so he dies. He goes to this other world where he meets the goddess who's in charge of people who die young, and she's a fucking idiot. Like, that's immediately made apparent, and I'm not just like besmirching her character because she acts like an idiot. Later in the
she's
show,
an
they
idiot.
do an intelligence test on her, and they're like, all of your stats are like way off the charts, except that your intelligence is really fucking low. And she's like, okay,
Great.
so we've got this special deal for you. You can be reincarnated. You can go to heaven, but trust me, heaven's boring. There's no sex. Don't go to heaven. Or you can go to this new world with all of your memories and try to defeat the Demon King. And I think he gets to come back to life if he does that.
This sounds like a fantastic story. I already love this.
It is really, and so he's like sitting there, and he's like trying to decide this shit, and
No.
she's just
She
like,
says you get to take something with you.
you get
and
to
then
take,
he sits there and tries
yeah.
to decide what he's going to take with him.
And it's like magic powers, sword skills, all of this shit. Like he's got like he's in character creation,
Yeah.
and she's sitting there eating fucking bugles out of a bag, being like, "Come on, man, I've got other dead people to see today. Get on with this shit." And he's like, "Fuck it, I'm taking you." And she's like, "Yeah, all right." Wait,
Whoa,
what? And then she
okay.
gets like, so she gets like sucked in. She's his magical goddess indentured servant now.
Okay.
And they like go to this other world. They like try to register to be adventurers, but there's a fee, so she has to beg a priest of one of her subordinate goddesses to get money to register as a hero, and then they spend like a fucking month working on a crew fixing houses because all the other adventurers have
I
killed
gotta
all
say,
the low-level
with this show,
monsters.
this was
And
like
she, oh god. So that montage where she keeps puking is the funniest shit this year.
Why is she puking?
They were getting
Because they
drunk.
get drunk as shit, and
Sounds
she
like the best show
pukes.
this season. What the fuck?
She pukes rainbows.
Yeah.
She pukes rainbows like that gnome in Gravity Falls.
Shmebulok.
All right, here's the thing about KonoSuba, man. This show, okay, it's pretty ugly. We got to get
Okay.
that out of the way. The show's
It's not as pretty
nice
as No
to
Game.
look at, really.
It's not as pretty as No Game No Life. That's for
Yeah,
sure.
no, not nearly as pretty as No Game No Life. It's not very good looking, and this show for me was like a constant series of, and then okay, like, because I was only half paying attention to it because I thought it was just going to be like generic shit, and like, you know, the main character's like an otaku. I'm like, whatever, and like he gets hit by a truck, and I'm like, oh great, another truck. But then they reveal it's a tractor, and I'm like, oh, all right, that's kind of funny. And then like he meets the goddess, and she's like, she starts off, she's trying to act like all dominatrix or whatever. She's like, you know, acting like she's so above him and shit. But then he picks her to come with them, and they show up in the magical world, and she just immediately breaks down crying, like for 5 minutes. She's just like sobbing uncontrollably, like, what have you done to me, you fuck, you know, and then she's just like completely like has to follow along with him and has no power anymore. And I was like, this is great. And then
that sounds great.
They go to like sign up for their powers or to become adventurers, and like he tests like super low, and they're like, yeah, you shouldn't really be, you should be a merchant because your only good stat is luck. And then like she tests and she's perfect at everything, and everyone's like, oh my god, she's so cool. And the guy's just like, what I'm the main character. But
he shouldn't have taken her.
The moment that sold me, and it sold me so hard that I think I actually need to rewatch this episode because I wasn't paying that much attention at first. But the montage is so great. It's like several minutes of like them just like they're building it up, like, all right, we're gonna have our first big adventure, we're gonna be with this adventuring troupe, but they're literally just like building a wall like around the city, and they become
best friends. Yeah, they become best friends with all the other workers.
And, like, they're like sleeping in hay bales and stuff, and like at first it seems like they're like newbies, but then like they legitimately get really good at this job. Like they're painting fences and stuff and getting all into it, and then they
put
going
a
out
tarp
to drink
over
with
the
everyone,
hay.
And they getting
put
too
a tarp
drunk,
over
and
the
she
hay
throws
to
up.
like. Oh god!
Oh my god! This sounds amazing.
I legitimately
Why did no
felt
one mention this show then?
I felt that there was so much heart in that one scene with the montage that I was like, I now want to watch this.
I can't wait to watch this.
Like I didn't have any real. I don't know if it's gonna stay interesting. And again, like I said, through most of the episode, it was always like ugh and then oh, you know. So I was always kind of like, whatever. But that montage scene, I was like, all right, you got me. Like. That was adorable. I want to see more.
You guys
I was paying attention from the beginning, and I was paying attention from the beginning, and I laughed my ass off the whole fucking way through.
I only brought Jeff watched it in the chat because I kept I was watching it, and I said,
I guess I missed it.
I said, Jeff, I think you'll actually like this show. You should check it out. And then he was watching it, and he was like, oh my god, this is great. And like that was like 4 days ago, man.
Well, I fucking missed it.
I fell in love with the characters like immediately, and that. Oh god.
Yeah, it took me a minute. Just because, and again, the show is really ugly, so like it took me a while. Although I will say, like, I thought it was entertaining because it has like fan service elements. Like the girls' boobs are always shaking all over the place and stuff. But like,
that's all right.
It felt like it was fun. I like fan service when it's funny. Yeah. When it's like the characters are sexualized, but it doesn't really feel like the show necessarily expects you to be jacking off to it. It just kind of it's just kind of hilarious that her boobs are all over the place, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I thought it was funny, and
I just finished torrenting it.
Would tentatively recommend.
You mean getting it legally on Crunchyroll, right?
That's exactly what I meant to say.
It's definitely the best light novel adaptation of this season, I would say.
Cool.
Is it a light novel?
It is a light novel.
That's so it's No Game No Life again.
Yeah.
But I mean, No Game No Life was really funny.
Not as sexy as No Game No Life, but it seems like it might be funnier.
Yeah, it is funnier,
less hype,
I think.
More comedy.
Like the fact that he meets his Stephanie Dola right away, and she's not just the fucking Wooby who gets shit on the whole time.
Yeah, I really like the dynamic between them. I think it works really well. All right, let's move on. Koukaku no Pandora, or Pandora in the Crimson Shell. Mm-hmm. Did anybody enjoy this one and want to talk about it?
I didn't talk about how ridiculously awesome it was to find out this is basically, I guess it's a prequel.
Wait. So let's. So, audience, imagine, if you will, that the creator of Ghost in the Shell went and created a new Ghost in the Shell series and handed off creative control to the mad genius who made Excel Saga. Yes. And then you don't have to imagine it, because that's exactly what fucking happened!
It was amazing. I think I liked it a lot, even though I was confused a lot of the time.
See, I bought the manga for this for the exact reason Jeff just stated, because I saw the names. I saw those two names, and I knew who they both were, and I went, what? Masamune Shiro and Rikto Koshi, what the fuck is that, right?
Yep.
And I flip through it, and it's all cute girls. All I see is cute girl lollies in bathing suits, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? And the art style looks nothing like Excel Saga. Like, I don't know what Rikto Koshi has done since Excel Saga, but this looks nothing like Excel Saga. Like, this looks very modern. That was very 90s feeling.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, what the fuck is this? And it says in the back, like, Masamune Shirow explained that he had gotten contracted to create a sci-fi setting and story for a cute girls anime, in like 2010. And he came up with the setting, he came up with like the basics of the plot, and then it fell through. So he took it to Rikto Koshi and said, what if we made this a manga? You can do whatever you want, just make it whatever you fucking want to do with it, and here's the basic outline of what it's supposed to be. And then Rikto Koshi made this like hilarious action comedy sci-fi series. And like the thing is, I was reading volume 1 of the manga, and this was at the same time that I was just writing like part 6 of the Asterisk War series, where I talked about how the setting was like this horrible
I don't think you
cyberpunk
can
setting.
call that a series at this point. That's the Asterisk Wars Odyssey.
Yeah, I was writing about how shitty the sci-fi setting was in Asterisk War, and I'm reading this manga, and I'm like, this addresses all of my concerns, where, like, they're introducing characters and the world at the same time, and, like, building this cyberpunk setting, and, like, there's the, like, a lot of the details, though, are left out in the anime, and the thing is, the anime just blew through like 70% of the first volume of the manga, and like there, in the anime there's a lot more, or the manga there's a lot more setup of like the city that they were going to, that it's supposed to be like this resort city that's like got all this advanced technology, and there's a lot more details about how the main girl's like aunt or whatever is supposed to be like this other scientist who it's kind of implied has a rivalry with the main scientist who she's traveling with. There's like all these background details that were just very quickly brushed past. And
you know, is it just me, or does the booby lady remind you a lot of what's his name, Lord Il Palazzo? I got feels. You know, he's got the same glasses.
She does have that Palazzo feel. I see. Okay,
I'm so proud of myself for remembering that name.
So
I had forgotten.
I can't really like judge this anime on its own because I had just read the manga, and like the manga is gorgeously drawn all the way through. It's really tightly paced, and when I was reading it, I was like, because I found out like a day after reading the manga that they were making an anime, and apparently they already made a few films out of this. Like they made a few like low rent like film like kind of TV movie type shit like last year.
Pilots.
And then they like, this is I guess like I don't know if this is even an original TV series or if it's just cut together from the movie. So maybe it's paced that way because they had to cut like a lot of film down to like a short show or something. But like when I was reading the manga, I thought this deserves to be animated by like a great team, like maybe the people who made Strike Witches or something. Like this should have like a budget behind it and like careful directing and great music, and it doesn't. It's like
I mean that's true.
It's
that's
very
true.
like it feels very run of the mill, very flat directing, no pacing at all.
You had your own experience with this, but my experience was I'm watching this, I'm like, I don't care about any of this. This is a complete waste of my time. And like I'm like, oh, this kind of reminds me of Ghost of the Shell. That's cool. And then in the chat I was like, guys, this sucks. What even is this? They're like, you know, this is made by the Ghost of the Shell guy. And I was like, what? Holy shit, this changes everything. And like when I realized it was, I guess it's a prequel. I don't know. It was just, I was like, holy, it's so fun for me to watch this, loving Ghost in the Shell so much, and to see, like, what if everyone was a lolly? Or just, like, this bizarre take on, you know, that super realistic way to do it versus this, like, super anime one. I don't know. It was super fun for me.
Yeah, I watched it before I read the manga, and I agree that the manga is fantastic. Like, I devoured the whole first volume of the manga, like, fucking instantly, and unfortunately the rest hasn't been updated to legal.
There's a few volumes of it out in the US. So like
right. It's actually available. I should buy that then.
Yeah, I bought it because I saw it in the store.
But yeah, so the anime itself, I super enjoyed watching the first episode. I definitely see where you're coming from in terms of it's missing some world building elements, but I think that's because they wanted to get to the action and then build up more.
Yeah, but if the action was like really well directed, then I'd be okay with that. But it's just kind of flat, you know.
It's funny though, like it's a comedy. They wanted, I don't know. They shuffled some stuff around. Definitely, I'm not sure if it's for the best. But they did get to the important thing, which is
the fingering,
lesbian cyborgs fingering each other to power up. Which that's not in any way an exaggeration of what it is. That is what it is. I
absolutely love Claridine's character design.
Yeah, it's great.
I think that's how you say it. They say it so many different ways. I love that the main character girl is just a complete idiot.
Clarion, right?
I love like she's like next level idiot. Like beyond stupid, dumb main character, and I love that.
And she and Clarion are really cute together too.
It's like
they are
because
together.
when my favorite part, one of my favorite parts of the original Ghost in the Shell is when Motoko is a little kid and the whole "I do" sequence when she's growing up, and like seeing a chipper little kid in a cybernetic body. I know it's not supposed to be that serious, but I'm like, yay, she had an accent and she's doing okay. I'm so happy for you. Yeah. You know, it warms my heart.
Yeah, it is kind of heartwarming. I really love that they present the cat girl as like Kami Father-sama from Azumanga Daioh, like that style, level of presentation half the time, and
Me
like
too.
they really play up the quiet, sullen lolly archetype really well.
Look,
for her.
Okay, I know you've been given you keep saying all this stuff about how I'm a lolly man and how you can't believe I don't watch the shows with the cute girls. Look, if you want to talk about my strike zone, this is my absolute 100% strike zone. Like these two girls is like this is the perfection of character design for me. This is everything I want, especially because they're gay. Oof, out of the park. You can't do better. Like, and the robots. Oh my god, robot.
You don't even have to feel
lolly robot and this other gay robot girl who just wants to fuck her, and they have to finger each other to transform. Like it couldn't be written with my name bigger on it. It's perfect. It's the best ever. I just wish the anime was as good as the manga.
But the anime is still good. Like, the anime is like a 7, 8 out of 10 anime. The
like,
manga is a 10 out of 10 manga. And that's
I don't know if I would consider the manga a 10 out of 10. But
it might be a 9 out of 10. I haven't read the whole thing yet.
Yeah, I don't know.
All right. And, you know, I'm super glad I saw this, too, just for my expanded knowledge of the Ghost in the Shell universe. And you know, I actually just got a tweet from Hyperbit Hero asking me where my Ghost in the Shell video is. You can bet that this is going to feature heavily in the lore of that video.
All right, Subsonic, are you still there? He's still alive?
Yeah, I'm alive.
All right, I'm guessing you didn't watch this show.
Nah, I've just been enjoying listening about the
you got really quiet
lollies
for a while. All right, next up, did anybody else watch Luck and Logic?
Oh, I watched it all right.
I did.
All right, Sub, did you watch it? Subsonic?
Yeah, I did.
All right, you start us off since you have been quiet for the entire last show.
It was a good time. I didn't hate it.
I didn't hate it either.
I was kind of looking forward to the next episode, because since we didn't actually get to see any of the character dynamics of the girls that he met at the end of the episode.
That's true.
And I really wanted to see more of the black-haired girl with glosses.
She was definitely my favorite design in the show, I think.
Athena's pretty hot, too.
She seemed to have the most personality, so I might watch another episode of this.
Athena's pretty hot, too, though.
I felt I could watch. I felt I could watch more. Did anybody else think that this show completely looks and feels like a Japanese free-to-play MMO game?
Yeah.
See,
it might not. Let me just Google it. I think that's what it is.
It's not. It's actually it's an original series, but it's coming out alongside a card game.
Yeah, a trading card game from Bushiroad.
Why do these things sell so well in Japan?
Can I take a moment to geek out about Bushiroad, because I used to be like
none of us know shit about it, so you could go ahead.
So I used to be pretty fucking huge into anime card games. For like over a year, I was a big part of I won't say I was a big part of it, but I was big into the Vancouver Yu-Gi-Oh scene.
Oh, nice.
Okay, the Yu-Gi-Oh trading card game is actually still a legit trading card game.
Man, I like me some Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
It happens to have some really shitty balance. Those of you who are watching, I got into it around Insectors, and I got out of it around Dragon Rulers wrecking everybody's shit, but I played Rock Stun for pretty much the whole time. Anyway, that's not what's important. What's important is that Bushiroad They make so many fucking card games. They made something called Weiss Schwarz, which is basically a system.
Whoa. WeCross. Selector Infected WeCross?
They made WeCross. They made
How did you pronounce that? Weiss Schwarz?
No, Weiss Schwarz is different from WeCross.
Oh, okay. Never mind then. Oh, you know what? I think I've seen that name before. But they also made WeCross, right?
They did also make WeCross. So they, I think so.
That's when you know you've reached saturation point.
Yeah,
when you have Weiss Schwarz and WeCross coming out.
Weiss Schwarz is a trading card game where you can play Sword Art Online versus Persona versus Haruhi Suzumiya, and like they have these character decks, and the thing is that the rare cards have embossed lithographs of the signatures of the voice actresses who play all of your favorite characters from those shows, or the voice actors.
Those. What's up with that? Because in Dengeki Bunko Fighting Climax, that's one of the things you can get is like lithographs of all the voice actors. Like,
yeah,
I guess that's like a thing in Japan.
That's something the Japanese like to collect. But so like they made that. They made Card Fight Vanguard. They also made Future Card Buddy Fight, which very confusing.
Yes, I was confused when that happened and that show came out.
But Card Fight Vanguard is actually one of my favorite card-based anime, because instead of being about, like, kids trying to save the world with trading cards, it kind of turns into that later. But for the first part of it, it's about kids playing a trading card game and strategizing and deck building, and like they get new booster packs from the new set that's just been released, and they're like, okay, how can I modify my deck to be better balanced to work like this, which is what's actually interesting about trading
that's
card
real
games.
Shit. That's cool.
Yeah, that Nanoha manga has a little bit of that. The one that's about Nanoha as a card game. And Gundam Build Fighters is kind of like that if you want something that's not a card game at all. But returning to Luck and Logic, this show is not about cards.
No, it's not. My recommendation is, if you like playing Gwent a lot in The Witcher 3, you'll probably like Card Fight Vanguard a lot more than Lock and Logic. Lock and Logic is Digimon, basically Digimon Season 3, or Season 4 specifically, where they transform into their Digimon, except instead of using their Digivices to do that,
they DNA Digivol?
Well, what's cool about this is that they, like, fuse. It's like you have to have two people and they fuse together.
I like that they, like, become your stand when you're activated. They kind of
they like cool. Armatize. They armatize these gods. Yeah.
But, let me ask you something real quick. So Athena and the dude, the way they fuse or whatever is by kissing. Is that required? Do all the girls do that? Just something for us.
I'm sure that was just flavor.
I hope
it's for us either way, but
yeah. Like if you've got two guys, I'm just saying, if you've got two guys and they're going to fuse together, is that going to have to happen? I just want to know.
I hope so.
Just want to know.
Luck and Logic is the kind of show.
They're probably gay.
I watched this. I was surprised. I didn't hate it more. Like I thought it was just going to be dumb and boring, and the CG is not very good, and the CG character designs are weird. And they all look like onigiri characters. I don't know if that's what I meant when I said like free-to-play MMOs. I've played a little bit of the game Onigiri, which is more like ancient Japan style, but like it has that kind of like overdone, like tons of costume pieces.
Yeah. But the thing is that those costume pieces are very recognizably tied to whatever god or goddess they are. Like you can tell he's Athena when he's got that Athena armor on.
I didn't
really
tell
that. Really.
You can tell that he was a Shura.
I hated it from start to finish. The little sister got to be the most annoying character.
I don't like her.
I like her
stupid
annoying catchphrases.
No, she was shit. Mom would say something.
You're Villager A.
I'm sure that's what Mom would say.
Oh yeah, you're character A. You're no longer main character.
I like that because she repeated it so many times that it was funny to me by that point.
I was just annoyed.
I liked that when the police or whoever came to her house because they were looking for the guy, she told them he's Villager A now. He's not the main character.
They would know what the fuck she's talking about.
But that's something little kids would do. They fucking don't understand shit. They don't know fuck about fuck.
So like the thing is, the character designs are all very much like based on those goddesses though. Which
we don't know any of the goddesses.
Unfortunately, I don't know shit about mythology, so it kind of falls into like the Fate Stay Night. I don't give enough of a fuck realm.
I like when they do that, and I like in general. Bushiroad has really nice card art. That's not.
I'm willing to bet the card art will look better than the show art.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, no doubt.
The thing is, like Bushiroad's like hook is all of their cards are full art. So they have like the stats on them in a small box, and like the art encompasses the entire card.
Oh, that's cool.
Which makes them more collectible, and they do nice stuff with their shinies. But I really like the design of the monster, especially when he turned into like the little goofy guy who was running around. That was adorable and
pretty
cute and.
All right, I think whatever.
It's a mess show,
for sure. We will all forget that this show exists in like 2 weeks.
That's true.
Let's talk about this next piece of garbage, Musaiga and the Phantom World.
Please, let me be the one to cut a giant promo.
All right, cut a promo on Phantom
Yeah,
World.
okay, let's hear it. Here we go.
All right, I'm a big fan of Kyoto Animation. I really like them for the most part. I don't dislike a lot of their shows, but I'm gonna say, for my money, this is the very, very worst show they've ever put out.
I don't think
even
that's
if you don't like Kyoto
contestable.
Animation shows,
I think that's
you can
absolutely true.
Yeah.
What's
Which is
worse
really
than
an
this,
insult.
really?
Because, like, I'm not a fan of Kyokai no Kanata, but, like, I appreciate that show has a lot going on.
It has
like,
the fluffiest main character girl
oh my
of all
god,
time.
the character designs are the most beautiful
They're
ever.
great.
They're incredible.
And the blood powers.
Even
the blood powers
when you
are
don't
pretty
like
neat.
certain KyoAni shows, you can like recognize these consistent things that every show that the studio does has going for it, like the nuanced character acting and the great settings and like the minimal fan service. Like Beyond the Boundary had fan service, but it was tasteful fan service. This show has probably the most contrived fan service of any show.
It's you know what? No,
horrible.
fuck
The
that.
fan
My
service.
favorite
Her
thing about this
magic
show
power
is
is
the fan service.
fondling herself.
I know.
Look,
Gotta
okay.
rub my kidneys for that water power, bro.
Look, all right.
Better squeeze
That
my
shit was-
tits up
the
for that
rubbing
water
herself
power.
was fucking like whatever, right?
Yeah.
Okay. It bothers me that Kyoto Animation seem like sometimes they make shows that clearly are supposed to have more fan service than they do. When they did a Monkey Brilliant Park, there's like all these scenes, like in the first episode, the main guy walks in on the girl naked and they show it for like a split second because they're clearly like ashamed of it or they're trying to make it more tasteful. There's a part where there's one scene in episode like 4 where they get like all the girls are supposed to like wear bathing suits and jump up and down because they're filming a video,
shit.
right? But the way
And
they
there was
animate
no
it,
boob jiggle.
they don't jiggle them at all. They all just jumped up and down. There was no jiggle.
Well,
it was
that just
super
hurts
weird.
believability at that point.
Yeah, it was like they were trying so hard to make it feel less sleazy than it was that it came off as completely meaningless, you know. And I'm glad that in this show that when the girl went, because when she started going down on that fucking pole, I immediately thought she's gonna have to do something. Like the problem's gonna be that her boobs are too big, and I thought, how are they gonna get around that? Then the result was she bounced her boobs up and down to move the weight, and I was like, that's fucking great.
That was some high. That was some high
scene.
School of the Dead ass shit right there.
Yeah, exactly. That's the problem.
And High
with this
School
show.
of the Dead is great, so this was
It
great.
writes
10 out of 10,
like fan service into the story. Like in episode 2, there's this phantom that's peeping on girls, and the only way they can get it to come out is if they start getting changed. So it's just the most contrived, sloppy.
I like that. I like that aspect of it.
And
That's the part I do like. What I don't like is the girl falling down the stairs on him, and then he's like, "Oh, I narrowly avoided the boob grab," and then her pants fall on his face anyway. And I'm like,
because that fairy girl flips her over. Oh god.
Yeah,
so
it was bad.
The thing that makes that, like, everything that ruins that show can be traced back to fucking Navi.
She was real bad. Yeah, she's like the Shantae minus. I wish she was Shantae.
They don't even really explain her presence in the story.
She just follows him around.
She's a phantom. She's a phantom. Oh, okay. She's a good girl. She's a good girl. She's not a bad girl like those other ones. What does that mean?
She's a mascot, is what she is. She's a fucking mascot. And oh man, there's a lot in the show that just makes me angry because it's like, okay, so the show opens, it's like, okay, I'm standing in front of a fucking blackboard. I'm going to explain the plot of the show, but not really. I'm just going to like say a bunch of vagaries.
Oh, God,
and
I hate
then
that
later,
character.
they're sitting in a fucking cafeteria, and he literally says, okay, you already know this plot point, but I'm going to explain it anyway.
The writers admitting that it's the worst, that it's terrible writing, but they just don't care. Like all the characters always tell him why you always have all of this useless trivia.
Yeah.
So he's defined by useless trivia, also known as exposition. So
The main
all he's
character
good
was-
for is expositing.
He was vapid
Yeah.
as fuck.
Here's the thing that bothers me the most about this show. The animation is fucking incredible.
It's great.
Yes.
But the
Oh,
visual
man, those-
design is kind of shit.
I don't know if
I don't
agree
like
with
I don't
that.
like the colors. I don't like the way things look. I don't like the setting. I hate the way the school looks. I think it looked the opening scene, she's fighting this big monster and like every individual animation cut looks incredible, right? Like
Yep.
she'll dodge
Yeah.
a hand and it's like fucking rad, but then it keeps like cutting away from the fight scene to show other stuff and like they're talking in the fight and it's like awkwardly directed. You know, the animation looks amazing, but it's kind of awkwardly directed. It's not really cool. Like that whole opening fight, I was like, I'm not into this. Like, I don't care. I mean, I think you can start a show off with a like. I'm very critical of shows that open on fight scenes, anyways. But I
Yeah.
think you can do it if you like open in a way that has some like drama and some stakes to it, and like an example might be the opening scene of Afro Samurai, which is one that
Sure.
I wanted to bring up in my Astro's 4 videos, but I never did. Where, like, it starts off with the main character, Afro, is, like, standing there with his dad, and his dad's like, I have to go fight this revenge match. And, you know, he walks up to the guy, and the guy's like, you know, this time I'm going to kill you. And you already understand. There's history between these characters. They start fighting. The fight looks pretty okay. You know, and it's like, all right, I get it. I'm into it. I get the set very dramatically. The way the lighting and everything looks really good, you know. But this show just, like, starts off with a fight, and it's a bunch of characters I don't know shit about, and they're all yelling about shit I don't understand, and they're just like fighting, and like it looks flashy and impressive, like the animation, but like I don't care about what's happening, and I hate the girl's fucking yellow goddamn.
I hate
Yeah, that's
all
an
of the
issue.
colors in this show. It looks
what
so
the
strange.
fuck is that? What is that vest? It's
don't know.
so bad. Like and her.
I'm kind of realizing what the problem is as we talk, which is
there's no appeal.
There's no appeal, but like, okay, so the thing is that this is Tetsuya Ishihara is directing this, and he's done Love, Chunibyo, and Other Delusions. He's done Clanad. He's done he did
All the
Hibike
Kyo and
Euphonium
shit. That's
and
not
Hyoka.
the other two guys.
So he's done a bunch of stuff that has gorgeous animation and is basically mostly just people talking, except for Haruhi Suzumiya. But he's got some stuff that he does well, like these. I don't know, the character dynamics and the mystery is fine. But what this show is going for is it's going for, like, in terms of its designs and everything, is it's going for this very Studio Ghibli-esque, and I think you'll agree when you see that girl open her mouth up, that's a very Studio
I
Ghibli
love that.
animation.
That's
That's
the only
gorgeous.
thing I liked
But-
in this show is her
so,
opening
like-
her mouth like that.
Yeah.
Going all
so,
Kobe.
like, you look at the dancing telephone poles, you look at the like that monster that they were fighting at the beginning, you look at all of this shit, it's like this very Studio Ghibli, Spirited Away, Wonders of the Yokai world that they're trying to go for,
I guess I can
but a
see
little
that.
pervier. But this guy has no fucking idea how to direct that
Now,
at
see,
all.
I was noticed that exact same thing, and that's kind of what I liked about it. I liked all that weirdness, and I
Right,
thought
but that's
that
the thing, is that
in
he's not doing it well. It's like the weirdness is there and it should be good, but like if the show was actually like good, then all that
Well, you
weirdness
know,
would make it a great show.
The director doesn't know that you're supposed to hold on long shots of this stuff. Like,
Yeah.
you've got this fantastical, beautifully animated, gorgeously conceptualized monster in front of you that's like...
And you never really see it. You never
it's
get a
all
sense
these
of it.
fast fucking cuts of
Yeah.
like people beating stuff up, and the one good shot in that is like the long shot of that cemetery, and then she like sucks up all of those monsters.
Yeah.
That's
That's
I
the
really
coolest
can't
shit.
stress enough how great that one shot was, of how bizarre her face. You know, first I said in the chat,
Yeah.
like, "Oh man, this is gross. I hate this." Then when I thought about it, when she did it again later, I was like, "This is so fucking cool, man!" And it's those weird things that I'm with you.
Did it give you as
feels
much of
weird.
a boner as it gave me?
No, it just
I'm
made me
really
excited
into girls
to see
eating
her.
a lot. I don't know why.
Yeah, I
You
could
are.
tell
You
there
got
was-
it-
it was
you got a
supposed to be
vor
kind of
fetish?
somewhat fan service.
Yes, I don't know. I don't like girls eating people. I just
It's
eating
just,
a
you know,
lot. I'm a
those-
fan of the glutton girl archetype, and
I guess I just didn't feel as off-put by the dichotomy, the disconnect in the feelings. Like those weird things interested me enough, and there was gorgeous animation the entire time that I am interested to see if they can, pull something out with this.
Also, another thing that kind of ruins the fights for me is that we don't really understand the capabilities of the characters.
That's true.
Like, the girl seems to be like vaguely superhuman.
Yeah,
but
I
the
don't
show
get
doesn't
that.
explain why.
I don't actually know if she is. I thought she's just like supposed to be stupidly strong in general. Like she's just like
she was doing all sorts of
drinks
crazy
a lot
stuff.
of milk and has thick
no,
bones.
You're not gonna be able to do triple front
Think
flips
about
in the
it.
air,
Think about
kicking
though.
giant
You've
monsters.
seen Clannad. Remember like Tomoyo? Like she could just fucking do that kind of shit.
Well,
like,
they told us she was like a martial artist or something. She was like jumping off walls.
I guess this girl's like Tifa. I don't know. She did martial arts. I don't fucking know.
Subsonic, there's a scene where Tomoyo punched what's his name like 500 times in 1 second. Like there was a
What?
counter on screen, and she was
Wow.
like fucking fist of the
oh
North Star
yeah,
punching
and then
him.
she kicked him into a vent.
Yeah, I think it counts as superpowers at that point.
I think he's a comic relief character, so the rules of the show change when he's around, I guess.
Whatever. All right,
Yeah.
let's this
Yeah.
show sucks. None of us like it. We all think it's fucking.
I
garbage.
actually
But
kind of
you
like it. I
really-
think you guys don't like it. I actually kind of like it. I want to see more. It does have some of the stupidest things I've ever seen, but I want to see more.
I'm gonna keep watching it. Like that's the
I'm
thing.
not.
Like it's
Yeah.
it's a train wreck,
Yeah.
and that's that.
Only-
It's got that
Well, Jeff
train
already
wreck
saw
feel
episode
to it.
2, and you said you hated episode 2 even more than episode 1.
It was
right?
even worse.
Really?
in my
I did
opinion.
actually like as soon as the fucking fairy character started talking and she's like, actually,
Yeah.
my name is. I just wanted to like fucking take that voice actress and just drown her so that she could
Jesus
never do
Christ.
anything again.
Hold on, let me find out who that voice actress is before I let you get away with this.
Real world violence. I am
Beyond the
gonna do
Boundary,
real
if you
world
look at
violence.
the Beyond the Boundary light novel, that's the type of show that probably should suck because it kind of has like a kind of lame light novel fantasy setting, and this writing can be really contrived, but it gets saved by the strengths of KyoAni. So it's got really great characterization, and it's
I don't
really
like
funny, and it has these big emotional moments. And none of the things that KyoAni does good come to save this show for some reason. None of the things
Yeah,
that this director
There's
does
too
well
many
come to save
fuck
this
ups.
show.
Yeah.
All right. Enough about Phantom World. We gotta fucking let's lightning round some fucking shows. Did anyone other than me watch Norn 9, Norn
Nope.
plus No
I
Net?
did.
Nope.
I didn't. I didn't.
it was
so this is
shitty.
my time to go to the bathroom.
Same, I'm
keep
going.
talking.
No, I'm not gonna talk about this at length. I'm lightning rounding. I need you guys to be here when I lightning round. They are both took off. I was gonna only talk about this for 5 seconds.
Let's just hurry. I thought Noah 9 was decent because it wasn't as harrowing
Okay,
as I thought
fine.
it
I'm
would be.
back. I won't poop. I will sit here and die.
I only
That's
want to
the
talk
plan.
about this for like 10 seconds. It's boring as fuck. It's got a bunch of pretty boys who are all the only good thing about Norn 9 is that it has a beautiful setting. The background art's amazing. The setting's
Yeah.
really cool. It's on like a flying ship, and like they bring this girl from the surface world, and it looks like it's set in like the past or something, but it's not clear. And they take her up onto this ship, and everything looks amazing, and yet they're all wearing school uniforms for some reason, and they're all just like bland people with no personality, and they do nothing, and it's boring as fuck. And it's a visual novel. It's clearly an otome game. It feels extremely otome. All the guys are cardboard fucking cutouts.
Yeah, but judging from the opening theme, it seems like it has like designated couples, so that it's not just like every
There's only,
guy
like-
loves that one girl.
Well, there are 3 girls, I guess, but there's a lot more guys. I guess half of them are probably gay. I don't know.
Oh,
It was
that'd be
fucking
convenient.
boring. I really love the setting. I really want to take that setting and put it in any other show, and I'd be fine. But like, it's completely gone to waste, I think. So yeah, I got really bored with that and didn't continue. Nurse Witch Komugi-chan R. Anybody watch that one?
I watched
Sure
that
didn't.
show. I actually did sit down and watch the first episode of that, and it was
Trite.
it was trite as
The designs look
fuck.
cute.
It's so like what it is it's just the first episode of a Kamen Rider show, basically. Like main person gets their powers, Monster of the Week shows up, they beat up the Monster of the
yeah,
Week.
this strikes me as a
But-
show that's going to go on for hundreds of episodes.
No,
And it's all gonna be
a Tatsunoko
exactly the
show.
same.
It's gonna be a Tatsunoko show. I mean, that's
Yeah.
It's them. That's what they do. Although in the last few years they've mostly been doing experimental shit when it comes to anime, where they just did Gatchaman and fucking
Yatterman Night.
Yatterman
which,
Night. Like I don't know
great
why
until
they
it
went
gets
this
bad.
direction with Nurse Witch Komugi. Here's what bothers me. All right, I couldn't finish the first episode of this show. I thought it was fucking boring and stupid. But like, Nurse Witch Komugi was originally from The Soul Taker, which is an old Tatsunoko show from 2001, directed by Akiyuki Shinbo, that I'm a huge fan of, because it's just like a crazy-ass Shinbo thing. Like, it's the most Shinbo show that's ever been. It's just this dark, crazy, gothic nightmare. And Komugi is like this weird fucking pink magical nurse girl who's just in the show, completely contrasting with everything else in it. And she serves like very little purpose. She's just there. And then they made a spin-off OVA called Nurse Witch Komugi-chan, and like it's just like a comedy parody, parody of like Magical Girls thing. But like the thing about it is that the character designs of the original were by Akio Watanabe, who's one of my favorite character designers. He did Bakemonogatari, he did the Akiba strip games. He did The World God Only Knows anime. I fucking love his designs. I think they're beautiful and perfect. And Komugi-chan is really adorable. But then they readapted the designs for this new show, and they like clearly have like they have like the fang that he does, in his art. They have like the way that he does hair, but like the faces are totally different, and they're just ugly and weird, and the character designs look wrong, and I hate them. I think it looks like complete shit, and the animation sucks. It opens on some shitty idol scene, and there's so many anime that open with like the main girl doing an idol performance, and like it's never good. It's always like a weak ass segment, and I fucking hated it. I thought everything sucked. If all they had to do, they could have had the same script and everything and just had Akio Watanabe designs, and I would have considered watching it because his designs are great. But they look like shit in this show, and I couldn't handle it. So
are we going to be doing the short series at the end? Because we've skipped over a few. Okay. So Nurse Witch Komugi-chan, the one thing that I appreciated in it was when the monster showed up, he was like this film camera thing who shot a beam at people that made them look stupid. And there's a bit where he's just running through this set that has Tatsunoko properties on it, and he shoots a beam at an old Gatchaman thing, and it turns into Gatchaman crowds, and he shoots a beam at the Doguro gang from the Duranjo gang from Yatterman, and they turn into Yatterman Night, and I was like, I appreciate that nod. And then the rest of it was just and the last gag is she's like trying to be on this show, and this is supposed to be like her breakout role in a TV show, and then she misses the shoot, and the super buff bodyguard of her friend stands in for her, and he's just wearing a fucking schoolgirl uniform, and everybody thinks he's her, and that's hilarious. So there were two beats in it where I was like, okay, I like this, but the rest of it were just...
If I were to hear like that this show turns out to be great, I'd consider revisiting it, but like I don't have much faith in that. Here's another show that's complete fucking garbage. Phantasy Star Online 2, the animation.
Phantasy Star Online is a masterpiece.
As soon as I saw Sonic in the center of that academy, looking down, I knew this was home. This is where I didn't even see
that.
I
didn't see Sonic there. Yeah, so in the middle of their garden, made out of flowers, is Sonic the Hedgehog.
Sonic's head.
That's
all right, let's not
great.
pretend
Sonic
that this
Hedgehog.
is anything other than just a giant commercial. It has no
It
value.
is an infomercial. It is a literal infomercial.
Yeah.
It's about explaining the game.
Yeah.
There's a scene where a character's like, you know what? If you're not playing Phantasy Star Online, your life is probably going completely off the rails.
Yeah.
Like, he literally says that.
Well, he says online games for that particular line, but PSO2 is the only game anyone at school plays, And like,
look how robust this character creator is. I can't believe all these amazing things I'm going to do. I'm just going to hit random. Oh, it's me? Amazing.
Yeah, he hits random and it literally becomes him. Yeah. I actually didn't notice that when I watched. I heard about it later because I had, by that point in the episode, I watched
You had tuned out?
I got about halfway through, and there's a particular line where I started screaming, and then I heard my brother downstairs, and I yelled, "Shade! Shade, come here!" Because me and my brothers are all huge Phantasy Star Online fans, and we've all played Phantasy Star Online 2, like a considerable amount. And I called him up and I said, "Shade, I can't take it. It's the worst thing I've ever seen. Look at this. Look at this." And this was in the scene when he was like reading the manuals and stuff to play the game, and I was just like, I couldn't fucking handle it, man. I
thought it was
bad.
Hilarious, honestly. I enjoyed watching it.
So my scream at the screen moment was, so like, for clarity, because none of you are going to watch this, anybody who's listening to this, the premise is he gets recruited by the student council of his high school.
Oh, yeah.
Because he has okay grades and he's decent at, like, picking up things fast, to be their student council vice president. And the job of the student council vice president of Sega Academy is literally to place Phantasy Star Online 2.
And that's it.
That's his job. And like, what the student council president's like, well, we need to test out our social networks, and that's a very important job of the student council. Does that make sense to you?
What the fuck?
And as she was saying that, I was just like, no. And the main character was just like, no, not really. And then one of the girls in the student council office is just like, well, you're a fucking idiot. And then I was just like, fuck you. Because that's like, no, that doesn't make any sense. Fuck you for calling me an idiot. You're an idiot.
Here was my screaming moment. Okay. My screaming moment was when they're in the cafeteria and two guys are standing next to each other, and one guy says, I fell asleep with auto run on during a mission last night, and the guy next to him goes, me too.
So that's like,
no fucking way. No way would this ever happen. All right, I'll give this show credit for one thing, other than the ending theme, which if you like Phantasy Star Online, watch the ending theme. It will blow your mind to shit.
Oh, really?
In the most... you'll be so confused. It's about a band of dancing rag rappies as an idol group. It's amazing.
I love that shit so much. It will give you...
they're singing a song called Rare Drop. It's great. Or maybe that's the name of the group. I couldn't tell.
And the veteran
I'm getting
sound,
to it.
He dances in the ED.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
Yeah. The main character goes into this game. By the way, here's another thing. They were all talking to each other in the game, but they're playing the Vita version of the game.
They sure are.
They're not playing on PC. So how the fuck are they talking in words?
The Vita has a microphone.
Vita has a microphone, yeah.
What?
It's
The Vita has a microphone,
mic.
but she wasn't wearing headphones when she was playing it.
She's just blaring it on the speakers for everyone to hear.
Whatever.
The PS
I didn't
Vita
know
has
that
a
about
microphone.
the Vita. But whatever.
The PS Vita has everything.
It's dead. It's so dead.
Yeah, it's dead.
Anyway, they're well, not in Japan.
It was
Vita's
before
huge in
Phantasy
Japan.
Star Online 2, the animation came out. It's ready
So
to make a surge.
anyway, the one thing I'll give it credit for is that he's playing the game and he talks to this like big robot guy and like he's hanging out with him, and then it turns out at the end that the robot guy is actually the student council president girl.
Whoa,
and I thought that was
shit.
great because not enough anime have like gender swap characters in MMOs. I hate when they I really hate when they're playing a game and like everyone just looks like what they looked like in real life, you know.
That is, and I really like her personality in that role, how she's just like, well, you're in luck, because I'm a veteran, and I'm going to teach you how to play. And he's just, like, he's almost like Bruce Campbell levels of cocky. It's kind of hilarious.
There's a part at the very end after the credits where it's like doing the next episode preview, and he's like telling the student council president that he met someone in the game, and he's like, yeah, he was kind of an overbearing dick, and she's just like,
Yeah,
That's
so
funny.
the one thing that I actually do want to praise this show for legitimately is how well it does the CGI. Because, like, it does two things right.
Not in the opening scene.
Not so much in the opening scene, but it does two things right that make up for... It does have some failings, for sure. Firstly, all of the CGI, aside from, like, environment stuff, is contained within, like, the world of the game.
Yeah, I like that.
Which... That's a smart way of doing that, so it's like, okay, you're in a video game, I'm going to buy that it looks a little different from the rest of the world. The other thing that they do, which I don't think I've seen any other CGI-driven show like this do, that's really, really smart, is they rotoscope the faces of the characters and hand draw expressions onto their faces instead of trying to render their faces in CG.
Yeah.
And the faces are the worst part of any CGI anime.
That's true.
So they're actually properly expressive. The animation is pretty smooth. It's still that sort of choppy CG that a lot of people don't like. But when the faces are hand drawn, that choppiness isn't as much of a problem. Because the main thing is just watching people's eyes, like, tick through frames one at a time with no motion blur. That looks terrible. When you put...
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Anyway, unfortunately, they show them playing PSO2 in the show, and it looks the actual game looks nothing like the CG world in the show. But but they show the game. They show the actual game in the show. They show people playing it at one point
for like a small clip. I thought that was Monster Hunter.
Weird.
Actually.
All right, you guys talk about Princess Stride. I got to go to the bathroom. Someone talk about Princess Stride.
Prince of Stride is just a very, very poor man's Free.
That's exactly right.
I won't even. Okay, I guess I can.
Like, if you look at the main character of Princess Stride, it really is just the guy from Free. He's the main character from Free. He has the exact same emotions.
There was a fascinating thing going on with his hair. Was his hair tied up, or was that just some sort of optical illusion?
I don't know. Actually tied up.
These are the big questions that Prince of Stride forces you to ask.
They keep you up at night.
They do.
So Prince of Stride, like, it's a show about parkour.
Yeah.
It has one job. No, but it has one job.
Yeah.
Which is to make the running look nice.
That's right.
What does this show not do? The running looks fucking terrible.
That's okay sometimes.
The whole appeal of Free is watching the guy swim.
Yeah.
So
that is actually, and you know what? In Free, they look like they're swimming because Kyoto Animation can animate shit.
They nailed it. The water was perfect.
But this is Madhouse.
Trapezius biceps.
What's happening in Madhouse over there?
I'm guessing the guy that did One Punch Man just took his check and went home.
He's done. Yeah.
They spent all their money on One Punch Man. Actually, no. Apparently, One Punch Man had the exact same budget as this show.
Really?
So,
what the fuck?
Yeah, it was just handled by a really great director.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's just a good director does stuff a lot better than a shitty director.
Yeah. No
and Prince of Stride, like, I don't know, man. They keep doing like these cuts of like the shoulders of the guys running.
Yep.
How you should do parkour.
Hey, Princess Stride's director is actually not that bad. She's done good shit. She did No Game No Life.
That's true, but the thing is, you need a budget to do parkour, and they clearly don't have a budget. So instead, what they're doing is they're showing just close-ups of their faces while they're running.
I hated that so much.
To do parkour properly,
my experience watching this show, I got to the point where the race began and they finally started running, and I just completely passed out. Completely. And then 5 hours passed. The laptop died. I was asleep. It was like 3 a.m. I have no idea what's going on. There's no light anywhere, and I'm fully dressed. I'm just like, what the hell happened? I'm like,
the Prince of Stride coma.
Oh yeah, Prince of Stride. Something about Free.
So like, it needs wide shots. Is what it needs.
Yeah.
Like,
it needs a camera with some distance if you really want to like, get cool.
This is a problem with a lot of anime because like the default for anime is you show it really close so nobody can tell that you haven't animated it at all.
Yeah, the same with Haru, whatever it's called.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, Ao whatever the fuck.
Kanata.
It's
Sky thing.
Ao no Kanata. For some reason, they do the exact same directorial trick in Phantom World, even though Phantom World could do wide shots and look gorgeous.
I guess that show's just being lazy. That's the one thing that show was going for it, like cool production.
Yep, and it's just like they're too ingrained that they have to do it this way. And like, so they should either have a wide shot or the much harder over-the-shoulder tracking shot as he runs for a long period of time.
Yeah.
And they don't have either of those things.
I mean, the thing is that this, Princess Stride, I get why it's not like an amazing sports anime because it's a visual novel about a bunch of pretty boys and one girl.
It's a visual novel?
Of course.
Yes, it's a visual novel adaptation.
I think it was just copying Free exactly.
Apparently the visual novel has like parkour segments in it or something though, like gameplay wise.
That would be very fun. Some God of War like mini games.
If this was based on a sports manga like Haikyuu is or like Baby Steps is or something like, then it would probably have been done by someone who really has done research into the sport, understands it really well. Like the person who wrote the manga, I mean. Like, it's always like the sport already looks good in manga. So when they make it anime, they can really like go off of that. Stride is not a sport. Like,
Yep.
it's some shit they made up, some weird combination
Yeah,
of
that
relay and
brings me
parkour.
to, like, the animation was fucked up, but what exactly was happening here? So they have to high five, but they have to do it at max speed, or what is happening?
Why is this so popular that it requires a club?
That's an excellent
Like,
question.
is this just a wall?
Well,
This is a
apparently
really
it's
popular
not, because
sport?
they had to struggle to bring the club
and people
back
are willing
together.
to wall off, like, city streets for events
Yeah,
like
that
this.
was the weirdest thing to me, was like how the whole school had to shut down so that they could do this stride.
Yeah.
Can run
And
around for a
everybody in the school helped. That's the weird thing.
You know what it is? It's literally the Yu-Gi-Oh effect. Like, the whole world revolves around Stride.
But what's weird about it is
Instead
that
of children's
you
card
can't
games.
you can't have both, right? Because once they start up the Stride match, everyone in the school shuts it down, and they're all concentrating on it. And someone says to the main guy, like, yeah, this, last time this club was around, then we had like one of the best stride clubs in the country, so our school has a lot of pride in its stride club.
Oh,
Yet
that's right.
also the stride club is struggling and they can't pick up any members. And
It
it's
has
like,
to be like combined with the shogi club.
yeah, this stride club was so good that a girl from a different school transferred in to go here,
Yeah.
but somehow they're struggling in
And
the
by the way,
context
I'd
of
like
the
to point
school.
out, a simple phone call would have, it's like, when she gets there is no stride club. It doesn't exist, basically. One phone call, she would have known what was going on over there. She did no research. Fuck you, main character. Fuck you, Hanakata.
Did the girl do any
Yeah.
running? Did she do
No.
any stride?
No,
she's
talks on the phone.
She wanted to be the manager.
Yeah, she's a watcher. She
Yes.
watches them.
She
That's-
appreciates it. It's fine.
which is
okay.
I think why they can get away with
Also,
it
there's
being
a thing where
visual
like
novel.
girls can't do it, because that was actually brought up at one point. Like, can a girl? She says like, can a girl even be the coordinator or whatever? Which implies that normally they aren't, and
Well,
they
because
certainly can't be the
most
runners.
sports are gender segregated, so that was
That is true.
I guess that's fair.
And like the thing is, like it goes for the stride club is like in disrepair thing,
Right.
Which is the exact same plot point in 90% of sports anime,
Right.
Yep.
like
Yep.
Haikyuu. But the thing is that then the entire fucking school sets up a stride course for them. So apparently they've been waiting for stride to come back.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
everybody loves it, but nobody wants to do it.
Pretty
Yeah.
fucking weird.
It's bizarre. I think if you want to watch a show about pretty boys doing sports, Free is infinitely better animated. If you want to watch one that has a great narrative, Haikyuu is infinitely better animated. If you want to watch one that's if Haikyuu is a little bit too like good for you, Yoapeda is pretty fun.
If you want to watch something that's not well animated but has like the best story ever, watch Baby Steps.
Well,
Watch
that's not
Baby
Pretty
Steps
Boys. I'm talking about Pretty Boys playing
Oh,
sports.
Eiichiro is cute as fuck.
Yeah, I can see.
No,
I think
his
Eiichiro's
nose
the
is
kind of guy
crazy.
who girls would fall for his personality in the long run, and not so much for his looks.
And
You'd have to
Natsu
get over
is
his
best
weird
girl.
eyes.
All right, let's move along because this is fucking. We're already 3 hours in.
Yep.
I don't think I'm okay. This Ray Kenzan show, I don't think ever got subbed, so I'm assuming none of us have seen it, right?
Nope.
Nope.
All right.
Don't even know what it is.
Next up, Seijaku Muhai no Bahamut. Did any of you watch this fucking piece of garbage?
No. Oh wait, yes,
no.
I did actually. Wait, what the
Bahamut?
fuck happened in this? I don't even remember.
Dude, it's literally the same
Oh, yeah!
fucking show as
my
the
God.
Asterisk War and Chivalry of a Failed Knight. The girl's a fucking princess. The guy shows up and he's like the most strong guy ever, and they want him
Yeah.
to join their school, which is an all-girls school that for some reason they need him. And the girl's a fucking princess. In the first scene, he sees her naked. He falls into a bathhouse on accident and sees her and all the other girls naked, so they all think he's a pervert. Then they have to fight because, I'm not going to accept him into the school until he fights me because he saw me naked. So they have a whole fucking fight, and I was like, this is the same fucking show!
This show was an enigma to me. I couldn't understand anything that happened in it. So like there was an empire that crumbled, and yet they like let the princess of the old empire that I assume was evil. Is the new empire evil? Who's evil here?
Dude,
why did they go away?
They're
I don't
asking
understand
way
what's
too many
going on.
fucking questions.
You're right. I'm thinking way too hard
It's
about
light
this.
novel du jour. It's the same shit, the same exact shit. It's a little better looking than those shows. It's got some decent fantasy art. The
Yeah.
character designs are pretty nice, I will say. They looked really good in the original novel art and everything. I think they're hot. They're hot girls. They got
totally. Main girl was cool.
It's Lerche Studio. They're pretty new, but they've kind of proven they can do hot girls. They did
Monster Musume. Yeah, they killed it.
And the girls look cute, but goddamn, the show's fucking terrible. It's
it was
boring.
Retarded.
The CG is god awful. It's a mech show, by the way. It's a fantasy show with mechs,
dragon mechs,
but the mechs don't look like they come from a fantasy show. They just look like mechs. Like, if you watch like Escaflowne, where like it's a fantasy show and it has mechs that look like fucking fossils of dinosaurs or some shit that they're fighting in.
Yeah.
Or a Battler Dunbine. No, this is just like modern shitty mech like power suit things that look like garbage, and they're fucking dragon mechs that they fight. Everything looks like shit. It's a piece of shit. I hate it.
I just watched the movie Escaflowne again, which is like my favorite movie of all time. And like one of the great things about Escaflowne is the slow ass way it moves, which is kind of like Big O. I love that lumbering, slow, all like this.
The show
like
had
they
that
all
too.
fly. They just fucking zip around. I don't know. It's whatever.
It's fucking dumb. It was stupidest thing ever. There was no thought put into it. It's just by the numbers, carbon copy of every other fucking light novel show. It's a piece of shit, and it deserves to die. I hate it. All right, next up, Schwarzmarken. Did any of you watch that?
I watched that one.
Jeff, did you watch Schwarzmarken?
Yeah, who else watched it?
I think Jeff's gone.
Okay, Jeff, you piece of shit. He's at the bathroom.
Enough.
Okay.
I watched
So the second time he's gone.
He's got to pee a lot, small bladder. Maybe he's drinking a lot of coffee. So I'm currently reading Muv-Luv, and so that colored my experience of this as I was watching.
Which Muv-Luv are you reading? Alternative or the original?
I read the original already, and I'm currently on alternative.
I'm alive. I heard you guys shitting on me. I didn't go to the bathroom the first time because you called me back.
Okay.
That's right.
Well, we're talking about, what is it,
Schwarzmarken?
Yeah, thank you.
Right, this show.
Did you watch it?
I did watch it, yes.
Okay.
I was... Okay, you finish your Muv-Luv opinion, and then I will give my opinion.
Okay, sure. I was just going to say that I'm not that far into Muv-Luv, but I think there's a clear difference in my experience of reading Muv-Luv versus watching this show, and I think it might just be the visual novel effect, which I think is much more effective for like what's supposed to be a really gritty military story like this, because it feels very anime in the show. And I do like that like a character dies and shit is clearly fucked, and people are paranoid.
It's like exactly the same thing as what Muv-Luv already was.
That's right.
It just happens to be set in the 80s.
Like, what exactly is the intent of this series? Do we really need like a story about the I mean, I guess need is not what they're interested in. Like, if you can make a show based on Muv-Luv, that's the thing though. I'm confused. Is Muv-Luv that big a brand? Am I just in the dark here?
Did you miss that there was just a couple months ago a Kickstarter to translate the Muv-Luv books that met its goal in a day and then made $1.5 million just to bring them over here?
Even though I'm currently playing a free translation that's already here, guys. You don't need to.
The thing is about the Kickstarter is that there were a lot of reward tiers that had a lot of really cool shit. So I think people spent a lot on that, and that's why it made so much money. Because there was like model kits and shit and figures that you could get of like the robots and everything. But this show, man, I couldn't finish the first episode. I was just like, it's just Muv-Luv. It's a bunch of monsters eat people. It's gonna be, the whole show is gonna be nothing but edgy fucking drama. It's gonna be, oh my god, they're all dying, but they're cute girls, but they're dying and they're getting eaten, and it's so. It's like, they're all gonna die,
I was already had an issue reading Muv-Luv of like, okay, why are all these cute girls being forced into combat positions? It's because the men are already dead. Okay, sure, I can buy that. What's the reason here? Are the men still already dead? Because it's 20
the
years
80s.
difference.
Yeah.
What's going on? I don't understand. How long have the men all been dead?
So I think it's because, like, A, that's kind of how it's been, and B, this is East and West Germany and something, I don't know.
Hey, you know what? Yeah, I like that this is the Eastern Germany story, All Quiet on the Western Front. Shout out.
Yeah.
Good book.
Totally. This is totally the equivalent of the quality equivalent
this is
of
the
All
anime,
Quiet
Quiet on the Western Front.
The long-awaited adaptation is finally here. Thank you, Japan.
Oh, God.
So, like, this, I went into this not knowing that it was a Muv-Luv thing. And my thoughts were, firstly, hey, these alien designs are pretty cool. They're very, like, out there. They're not explicitly humanoid, which is kind of a big problem for a lot of alien designs is that they look just like people, or they look like something that we'd expect. These look like aliens. And, like, there's, like, a physiology to them, and somebody clearly thought about how all of these different species would evolve in an ecosystem. So that's nice. And I like the fact that as a story, we're talking about a world where aliens have invaded the Earth, and none of the countries can cooperate because people are shit, and that is why the aliens are winning. That's a neat idea that isn't in enough stuff.
I don't know.
And
I don't know if I think that's not in enough stuff.
But it's like most of the time it's like the aliens unite all of humanity.
Yeah, but
and
I like
that's the
those.
plot.
I like those stories because that makes sense to me as what would happen.
Yeah,
like,
I like
it
to
does.
feel that way.
I think it's
It
a very
does,
pessimistic outlook. Kind of like how I criticized this about Sword Art Online, where like in the first like week of the game, like half the fucking people die because they're just no one works together and they're all stupid and they all doubt each other. And I'm like, I can't see it being that way. Like I feel like we as a species would immediately like up our game if we had to deal with this
I
kind
hope
of
so.
shit.
It depends. Like, I mean, like, right now, we as a species are dealing with some shit that could hypothetically kill us in, like, 100 years, and we're still not getting on board with that.
Yeah, but it's less of, like,
Keep
an
your
obvious
goddamn
threat,
liberal
you know? I think
agenda
that's
out
the
of my
problem.
anime podcast.
Okay, yeah, okay. I'll stop filleting Bernie Sanders. I'll stop talking about global warming. I'll go back to Al Gore.
Hashtag feel the burn.
But yeah, so it in some ways it is kind of like baffling, but at the same time, the ideological differences of the Cold War make for an interesting dichotomy like that, or dynamic like that, where like people would be trying to kill each other. So yeah, it's super edgelordy, but at least it's different and a sort of what if storyline. But then Digi, you told me that it was a Muv-Love thing, and I started looking up Muv-Love, and I was just like, oh, this has been going on for 40 years, and all of this is fucking stupid. Yeah. And I started liking it less. But the thing that I still do like about it is the fact that the Stasi play like a prominent role.
Yeah, that's cool.
And that's like, East and West Germany is so underutilized as a setting in fiction because it's too recent. Is part of it. Like, the Berlin Wall fell like, what, 30 years ago?
Yeah, something like that.
So it's like too fresh in a lot of people's minds.
It needs to be a little more mythologized.
Which is funny because it's kind of like only a series as edgy as this would take on as risky of a setting as that, you know?
We did also get it in The Man from U.N.C.L.E., which I don't know if anybody who's listening to this saw this, but The Man from U.N.C.L.E., great show, or great movie. Watch that movie. I haven't seen the TV show, so I can't comment. Anyway,
is that the prequel to Uncle Grandpa?
Yes, it is. That is the prequel to Uncle Grandpa.
Okay, good.
Oh no.
Yeah, so I like a lot of stuff about the setting, even though it's super fucking edgy and it's super fucking everybody's dying.
I just the scene where he fucking has to kill the girl who's like suffering and dying. Yeah. All I could hear in my head was the voice of fucking Filthy Frank going, "Now that's edgy as fuck."
Hilarious and original.
Yeah, it's time to stop. That's how I feel about the show. I'm not keeping.
All right, next one. Shoujo-tachi wa koya o mezasu, or Girls Beyond the Wasteland, as its slave name
boy.
is. Jeff, I made you watch this because you watch everything, and I figured if someone had to suffer with me, so
I watched it.
Oh, Subsonic, you did too? Let's let Sub talk first because he didn't talk about the last.
Yeah,
one.
I've been talking a lot.
I didn't hate its guts. Like, any show with a cute date in the very first episode can't be all bad. But then the second she mentioned making Bishoujo games, I was like, okay, never mind.
How did you like? Okay, since you did watch it, Subsonic, did you at least think, as I did, that this was the best HaruChika performance of the season?
No, she was annoying.
You thought she was annoying? I thought she was adorable.
She was
like
a Genki
so
girl.
Over the top.
She was Genki as fuck.
Can we talk about her character's hairstyle and how
yeah,
weird
it's
it
the
is?
worst.
It freaks me out.
Hairstyle ever.
Something's going on there that does not sit right.
They live in a universe where people just wear bird nests on their head. This is what's happening.
I I was just glad that after watching Princess Stride and
timeline.
HaruChika is just completely flat and monotone. I watched Sekko Boys, which I didn't. Well, we'll talk about that in a bit, but I didn't find it entertaining. But then I watched this show, and it's like, the show is fucking terrible, but HaruChika is so, like, hammy in this. Like, she's over the top with her acting. Like,
That sounds nice.
It's, like, weird. And I like that. I like that she was so over the top. And I'm a huge HaruChika fanboy. So, like, hearing her do a voice that I haven't really heard out of her was like, yeah, all right. You know, as opposed to fucking Princess Stride, where she sounds like just bored and has
it's
nothing
not
to
good.
say.
Yeah, she was fun
in
in
Princess
this.
Stride, she's the self-insert character.
She sure is.
Yep.
Good shit.
But so HaruChika was really fun in this. I kind of liked the weird dark-haired girl too.
Yeah,
like,
I thought she was the best thing about the show to me.
She strides into the bathroom. She does the wall slam on the guy. There's like a lot of cool inversion, and the fact that she's like really, really into Yuri visual novels. But then this is also based on a visual novel where apparently the guy gets to bone all of them.
Nice.
She kind of
so there-
strikes me as
Is
like
it a
a
is this
dull
a
school
sexual
version of
visual
Senjo
novel?
Kohara.
Yeah, this. I don't know if it's like sexual, but it's definitely like a dating sim. So,
Because here's the thing:
but-
this visual novel is written by Romeo Tanaka, the guy who wrote what's it called, Jinrui wa Suitai Shimashita, or Humanity Has Declined.
yeah, that's the one.
right.
I was trying to
and-
remember the name.
And
but
he
yeah.
also wrote another. He wrote a one that was adapted into a movie that I haven't seen yet, and I don't remember what it's called. It was about like Chunibyo or something. But people really like Romeo Tanaka. People like seem to really think he's like an excellent writer and shit. And so I saw like a lot of people kind of hyping this, that it was going to be like, oh man, it's a Romeo Tanaka thing. And like I couldn't pay attention to it because like I just thought the directing was terrible. I thought it felt really awkward. Every scene felt like stilted and too long. The shots sucked. There's a couple of parts that I noticed, and I told Jeff to keep an eye out, but he didn't seem to notice. But like, there's a couple of parts where it just cuts to black to transition a scene. Like,
Yeah,
there'll
that's great, guys.
there's like music going along, and the characters are talking and everything, and the conversation's over, and then just everything cuts out, and it's black, and then it's just the next scene. You know, like, not for like dramatic effect or anything. It's just like we didn't have any better way. The music just stops. Like, bunk, we're done. You know,
like they couldn't even be bothered to do my lazy thing, which is I just do the default transitions in Premiere. Couldn't even be bothered to do that.
well,
It just
what most
fucking,
anime do,
blank.
like if you watch Dagashi Kashi, like when they transition scenes, it just cuts to a hot picture of Hotaru sitting in some
Yeah.
weird place.
I like that.
Yeah.
That
Most
is really
shows
cool.
do that,
That's
and
just-
it makes a lot of sense. And this show just like cuts to black and cuts back, and I'm like, whoa, what's
You can
going
get like
on?
10 high quality wallpapers per episode in that show.
It's like what it's like for a narcoleptic.
There's a scene where they literally do paperwork.
That sounds great.
It's boring as fuck.
The thing about it, the show has two problems, in my opinion. The first one is that you have no idea what the fuck it's about for the entire first episode.
It takes
and
till
not
the fucking last minute before she explains the plot.
and not in the erased way where it's like, oh, this is intriguing, and I'm like trying to figure out what exactly is going on, and there's clues. It's literally just like, oh, we're just gonna have cute girls running around, and I'll get to the problem with the cute girls in a second. We're gonna have cute girls
They're not
running
really
around.
that cute. That's the problem
Yeah.
with the cute girl.
Yeah, so the
Kind of
problem.
idiots.
Yeah, this visual novel will not survive on the strength of these girls. They're really bland.
The
looking at the
animation
poster.
is awful.
Yeah,
like
it's bad.
it's very smooth, but the faces look wrong. The weighting is just off. They like turn in like a really weird, sometimes stuttery way. Like there is something just fundamentally wrong about every frame of animation in this show that just destroys any chance of me getting into it. Because, like, I can see that in some places the writing is pretty good, and I kind of want to see where it's going because I come from a game design background, and the fact that it's about making video games.
I don't think there's a single anime about making video games that's good.
Saikano. I like Saikano.
Wait,
It's
you're
like
forgetting
so
Ero Gay.
much.
Sexy girls make sexy games. That's the best one.
I
ever
also
made.
hate Saikano.
I know you hate Saikano.
Saikano makes me sick. When they do more of
Saikano
that-
is the A1 picture. So Saikano, I guess, is my opposite erased for Digi, because I know that Saikano's actually probably pretty bad, but I enjoyed watching that, and that's probably
everybody
because
likes that show. I don't think that it's necessarily bad. I just hate the characters. I hate all their personalities, and I hate the idea of the show. It's not that I think it's actually like a badly made show. I think for A1 Pictures, it's probably one of their better made shows. But that's not really here nor there. Let's move on. I want to talk about the last fucking show on this list, and we legitimately saved the best for last, just by sheer coincidence. Shouwa Genroku Rakugo Shinjuu.
Oh, boy.
This is easily my favorite show of the season so far.
Yeah.
I don't really see anything else like topping it. But yeah, it's fucking great. And I dude, it makes me so sad because I know no one's going to watch this show.
Yeah, it's going to be a
probably
crazy
true.
hassle to watch this show every week because it's nearly feature length.
No,
Every
it's
single
only the
episode.
first episode was 45 minutes. That was a special. I've
that's
already
good.
watched episode 2. It was a normal length episode.
Oh,
we
thank
should have
God.
put this at the beginning so that we could tell people.
That's why
watch
I thought
Shouwa
about doing
Genroku Rakugo Shinjou.
Yeah.
Oh
We'll
my
We'll
god.
put the key in. We'll put the contents in the description, I guess.
Yeah, just it's actually like straight up the. I mean, Erased is also really good. It's hard to like
I disagree.
waffle.
But
I waffle
let me
between
talk
them in
about
terms
this show.
of which
all right?
has
Let me just
better
talk about why
direction.
this show's so fucking cool. All right.
Okay,
this
go
show,
for it.
It's Studio Dean. I know that's scary, but this is the
Yeah.
kind of show that Studio Dean does best, which is where it's just like, it's not really animation intensive. It's pretty
Right.
much just characters sitting around talking for the most part. But it has like a really, like, they're good at doing like this sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? Subdued color palette, right? Where everything's
Yeah.
just kind of like looks kind of realistic and rustic and a little old
Washed
feeling.
out. Washed
and-
out a little bit.
Yeah,
Pretty appropriate
and Dean
for a
does
show
that a
like
lot.
this.
They do a lot of that like rustic feel, and it looks really good in this show. The character designs are phenomenal. They're very like, this is a josei manga. It's very like josei shoujo-y, like guys with like thin, beautiful eyes, and like everyone's kind of tall and lanky. But the characters look amazing. The setting looks really good. It's set in the Showa era. I think it's like probably the 60s or 70s. I don't know my eras that well.
Yeah.
It's the Showa era. Yeah, that's the 60s to 70s.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. And it's a show about this guy who gets out of prison, and after being like basically set up by his gangster friends because he's a dumbass, and he gets out of prison, and
He didn't seem to mind.
while he was in prison, he had seen this Rakugo like performance by this
We
famous
have to
guy.
explain what Rakugo
is Japanese stand-up. Yeah, it's
sit down more like, I mean,
Sit down.
kneel
Yeah.
down.
it's basically a combination of stand-up and storytelling, where there's all these stories that they have memorized, and they just kind of tell a story where they're playing all these different characters, and like it's like a dialogue thing, like they're having a dialogue with themselves, and they're just these funny little anecdote stories.
And there's one thing, they get one prop, which is a fan, and they have to make that into everything, and they
Right.
spend the whole time kneeling, so it's like a one-man play.
Yeah.
And it's
And-
always funny.
Yeah,
usually.
but the thing is, the funny thing about the Rakugo, because I've heard a lot of people say, or not a lot, but I've heard some people say on Twitter that they were like, oh, I'm going to skip out on the Rakugo show because I don't think I'm going to, get the jokes, because it's a very Japanese form of comedy. But actually, all of it made perfect sense in English. Like,
Yeah,
it
it's
was
true.
all just stories, and the stories, like, the reason they were funny was pretty evident. Like, maybe there's some puns that we probably didn't get, but, like, I thought that the way this show portrays the Rakugo, you easily get what is supposed to be happening and why it's funny and why it matters.
And it goes a long way just how much passion all the characters have for it.
Yeah.
It's so endearing to see these guys just loving what they're doing. And I gotta say, having a main character gets out of jail, like, right off the bat, loved it. That was the best
already more
beginning.
interesting than every other main character of
That's right.
of anime.
And
he's
so
he's
excited
got a
about it.
dream.
Yeah,
he's got a
exactly.
dream.
Oh,
yeah,
man,
and he's
I
like
love
this,
him.
he's like
I
this
love
very
every
happy-go-lucky, like, he's very, like,
Yeah.
plucky and wants to do good, and all he cares about is doing Rakugo, because he really doesn't have anything else,
Yeah.
And the what I love is that, like, there's a lot of shows that do the, like, straight man, funny man type characters, right? But this is, like, really different, because the main character is kind of like an average guy idiot, but the guy who takes him in is like a wizened old conniving asshole man.
Yeah.
He
He doesn't give a fuck for any of his shenanigans.
yeah, and I love that he's like like, I believe that this character is 30 years older than this other character. Like,
Oh, yeah.
I completely buy into both of them, and, like, I love that the main character is so not complex, and that the other guy is so complex, where his emotions are so, like, he's so petty, and he's such an asshole, but he's also, like, smart, and there's, like, such a long history with what he's doing.
And the girl there, too, like, everything going with her, not only do I like her a lot, I thought I was going to hate her at first, but she totally won me over, because she actually has things that she cares about, and her relationship with the old guy, and I cannot wait to find out the whole mystery there. The only thing that kind of makes me wonder if this is going to work out is the whole, like, this is really, it's that thing that anime likes to do a lot, where, like, people just will not tell you the straight story up front, even when you just ask them.
I hate that.
You know?
And I hate that in most shows, and that's a big part of why I hate mystery shows. I hate when nobody knows what's going on. Okay, here's the thing. I've already watched episode 2. And I get why episode 1 was 45 minutes long now, because episode 2 is entirely about the past between the guy. It's like a flashback episode, and it's about how the old man met the girl's dad, like when they were kids, and how they both trained and like came up, and it's about like them realizing that how they're like polar opposites in personality and comedic style, and it's sort of setting up why they hated each other, or why he hated him by the end, you know. Which didn't even get to that point by the end of episode 2. It's all just like set up, but like, it's great. Like, the character interactions are fucking spectacular in this show. The way that the way that everyone just talks about their problems and feelings and everything feels so right. It feels real.
Yeah, it just doesn't feel like it's got any of that fucking anime baggage. It feels like real.
I think you'll really
like
appreciate
people.
episode 2, and how the actual like plot of episode 2 is like as anime as it gets, because it's like this poor kid from the streets who's like a rough and tumble kid, and then this prim and proper kid, and they both have to train under the same guy and become friends. But the way that it's written is so believable that I kind of forgot that it's like a dumb cliche, that it's, you know, because at first I was like, oh, it's the rich guy and the poor kid, of course. But then, like, once they start interacting, they had such good chemistry together that I was like, yeah,
that's like how a cliche
works.
should be used, like as a jumping off point, and you use your skills to make it work. Yeah.
And that's like the thing. Like, if a cliche is used correctly, it's like I instantly understand the basics of what's going on here.
Right.
Now flesh it out.
Exactly.
And that's like good storytelling. The thing that I love about this show is how well directed it is.
Oh yeah.
Like, for me, I'm very much like I'm a cinematography and animation like geek. That's almost what I get the most out of shows. I probably watched Sword Art Online for longer than you guys did, because I appreciated those elements until they also got bad. But, like, in this show, the way that they present the Rakugo is so ingenious, because, like, you can tell who's not so good and who's good.
Yeah.
When the main character
Did you watch episode 2 already?
I have not.
That's like the whole, like, episode 2 is all about like showing it. Basically, the whole last part is just showing you 2 different Rakugo performances, and one that's just like miserable, and one that's like great. You know,
I need to watch that. But like in the first episode, the details that they put in to, like, when he's first starting out, they show most of his Rakugo in one take, and they don't even, like, play him talking half the time, because everybody else is having their own conversations and not really being sucked in. And then there's, like, the midpoint of the episode where he finally does good Rakugo. And, like, the camera starts cutting between different perspectives as he's getting into these different characters. And at first, the cuts are actually off from the dialogue, like, because he's shifting into character a little bit before he's supposed to be saying the line of that character. But then his timing starts getting on point, and you can see him becoming these 2 different people and these 3 different people, and it all comes together at the end. And then they go to the next thing that he's doing, and he's doing it a lot worse. So he's had this one magic moment, and then he's back, because it's a process of improvement. And they show him through a TV in, like, the background. Most of these characters aren't even paying attention to him. And then to contrast... to contrast that when the Master comes on, not only do they cut between him being all of these different characters at all of these really sharp angles that like define his personality, but as he speaks, whenever he's describing the environment, like it shows this like dream image of like a fire flickering in the wilderness or like the door of a house, and you can like see him painting this picture in your mind. And that contrast is so beautiful, and it's something that you can only really do in an anime to that effect. And, like, Erased also has moments like that are just like, holy shit, take my breath away. I wish that I could direct film as well as these guys direct film. But, like, man... Rakugo is a ride.
This is another one of those shows that really couldn't have been done not in anime.
I don't know. That was actually the one big question I had in my mind was why anime for this? Why not live action?
It was those cuts, the way it would when he's playing a different character, it would do it from a different angle and stuff.
Well, you know what film? I would think was the most
I've seen
genius...
that done with film before.
I thought the best single one cut in the whole show was during that first scene where he's doing well for the Aniki guy, and he's putting on a great show, and like not only is he showing the Aniki guy, like what Rakugo is, and like that he's proving that it's like real art. It's not just this bullshit. And like my favorite cut in that whole thing was there's this one like 1 second long cut where like he shifts his legs and you see like how sweaty his legs are. It's like, oh shit, this is fucking real work he's doing up here. He's putting in fucking time up there. That's when I was like, holy shit, I'm totally on board.
I really hope that gang boss becomes a reoccurring character.
Oh, me too.
I want to
He's a
see
great
his
character.
redemption.
He
and
could
him slowly coming to respect Rakugo.
What really sold that scene to me, and I couldn't believe that they did this, and they still do it in episode 2, is that it was the whole routine. Like, this is a 5-minute scene of him doing Rakugo. Like,
and they suck you in.
Yeah,
they sure did.
And that's the thing. Like, even though, like, on the dramatic level, you're caring about it because you're seeing what the main character's going through, how he's developing his skills, how he's like, you see what's going on with the gang boss. But then also, you actually are interested in this funny story he's telling, where it's like you're kind of laughing along, and you're like, oh yeah, I get this humor, this is funny, like. So
I get why a bunch of old people would find that hilarious.
Yeah, exactly.
The sturdy blue cotton, I was laughing my ass off.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, me too.
Yeah, that part was great. Yeah, it's a joke with a good payoff. All the stories are good. There's a part in episode 2. I'll spoil this a little bit, but it's not a major spoiler. But like basically, it shows like another time where it's one performance that's really bad. Like it's the it's like the old man when he was a kid, like giving his first performance. Yeah. He's like terrible because he's like super stiff. The cutting is like not energetic at all. Everyone's just fucking sitting there. And then it's his friend, and he's like super lively and energetic, and everybody's into it. And there's a part where he's like dropping coins into his hand as part of the gag, and he's like saying like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and it cuts to on the 4. It cuts to a little kid in the audience who has started counting along with him, and the kid's like 5, 6, 7, 8, and I was like, oh my god, like the detail is so fucking good.
That's genius.
On that moment.
There's also that moment when the main character is doing his thing in the first episode, where like when Aniki is watching and the girl is speaking along with him as he does the lines.
Yeah.
Like, she's like nervous, and then she finally relaxes. The reaction shots in this anime are so good. Everything that they do with characters' body language and character animation is just like blows me away.
Yeah, this is the type of character acting that I wanted to see in like Myriad colors, but I just didn't get.
Because most, so like this is the Hayao Miyazaki, everyone who's working in anime today sucks problem, which is that animators today don't know how real people act. And when you see an anime that's made by people who know how real people
in that
act,
otaku sphere, suddenly it has a completely different vibe to it. And then you don't need all this exposition anymore, because the characters, you can see how they feel.
That's
like,
true.
You can see them developing before.
Well, that's what's great about getting a fucking
Josei
speech. Adaptation for once. Something that's actually fucking aimed at adults and not fucking children. But yeah,
and not also edgy as fuck like a seinen show.
Yeah,
that's true. Whoever made this just had such
Yosei
passion
for some
for
reason.
Rakugo, and it comes through so clearly. Couldn't. Yeah.
The other thing is, like, the way that the writing is done between the characters, it's very much like a Rakugo play. How they, like, talk to each other. And that, like, back and forth.
You say so.
And the music...
The thing is here, man, this is a show, unlike Erased, where I actually was interested in the mystery because I already cared about the characters by the time they introduced the mystery. Because right from the get-go, I loved the main character guy, right? Like, they establish his passion for Rakugo. He's this, like, desperate newbie, but he really does care. He's got a lot of heart, you know?
Yeah,
he meets this old guy. You kind of see how they play off each other. Meets the girl. You see how they play off of each other, you know? And it's, like, setting up how he's getting into Rakugo, and it's really interesting. And then, suddenly, there's a whole other layer of intrigue where he starts getting into her dad's Rakugo, and there's all this drama and backup stuff. And now I'm like... whoa, I want to know all this shit, you know, like, because I'm already interested in these characters. I already love this show, and, like...
So you get invested for episode 2.
Yeah, see, the thing is that, like, with a show like Erased, I get that it's like, okay, I want to know what's going on, but I don't care already. I might care in the future, but I don't care already. In this show, I cared already. And then, like, once they introduced a mystery, like, I'm not watching it for the mystery. I'm watching it for all this other great stuff, but the mystery also has my attention and makes me want to continue watching.
Yeah, this show has enough things that it's rewarding to watch on a moment-to-moment basis.
That's true.
That
is
is true.
This is how anime tends to work for me, because I watch the first episodes of everything every season, and there's the shows that I watch the first episode and it seems like it's setting up for something, and then I don't care that much, and then there's the ones that are fulfilling on a moment-to-moment level, but they don't really have any draw, so I don't feel like I need to continue. Like, all the slice-of-life shows, I always go, man, that was a great first episode, and then I never watch it again. But with Rakugo, it was like... I loved everything that was happening, but they also grabbed me. Like, I really want to know what the fucking deal is, you know? So I really have to watch the rest. It's perfect.
So, like, with the reason that I put Erased kind of on the same level is because I really like the main character of Erased.
That's fair enough. I mean, I hate him.
I don't actually like that guy anywhere near as much as I like the Rakugo guy.
I don't like him as much as the people in Rakugo, for sure, but I have a certain affection for, like, that misanthropic, failed artist
I hate
archetype.
Those characters. I hate all misanthropic characters.
I can see why you wouldn't like Erase that.
Yeah, and, like, the thing is that he reminds me a lot of... I did my manga that I think should be anime video.
Yeah, I Am a Hero.
I Am a Hero. The main character of I Am a Hero is also, like, a struggling
I actually thought that
manga artist.
When I first heard about this show, I thought it was that. Like, I thought it was going to be that.
Oh man, I Am a Hero is something else.
It looks pretty great. All right, returning to Shouwa though. Genroku,
Shouwa
Rakugo, Shinjuu. Let's call it Rakugo because that's obviously the most.
I get the vibe this show is not really going to blow up. Or at least not while it's airing.
I think it'll be popular in Japan, though.
Yeah,
like,
maybe in Japan.
I don't think anyone in America is going to watch this shit, except for the people who watch it on Crunchyroll. You know?
Digi, guys, we have to just make, like, a commitment right here to just shove it down all of our subscribers' throats for the rest of the season.
It's a good idea.
Until they fucking watch it. Because it's, like, I don't want this to be another Baby Steps where it's the best show in terms of writing of that season and nobody watches it. All
right. I got to talk about the voice acting in this because it was the main character guy is voiced by Tomokazu Seki, longtime favorite of mine. He was the voice of Domon Kashu from fucking G Gundam.
Yeah.
He was the fat guy from Steins Gate. Debu, I think was his name. No, that just means fat. Did they call it Daru? That was his name.
Daru, yeah, that's it.
He's like a great actor, and he plays the main guy, super cool. But then here's what really got me. And when you watch episode 2, I'm glad I caught you all before you watched episode 2, because I can maybe possibly blow your mind with this. Because the old guy is voiced by Akira Ishida, right? Mm-hmm. Now, I mostly know this guy for playing Pretty Boys. He's the voice of fucking Kaoru from Evangelion.
Sure.
Like, he plays all these, like, young, smooth... He plays a lot of gay characters. He's always, like, the pretty, like, kind of, you know, smooth-voiced guy.
And I totally see that
and
as
he's
the old
playing,
guy.
Yeah, he's playing this old man, though, and he sounds like an old man. He sounds like he's in his 50s, right? Or 60s, even. And I was like, man, I looked it up, and I couldn't believe it was him. And then I looked at his profile, and he is 50 years old. The actor, right?
Okay.
And
That's cool.
then I started wondering, like, who is like, what's more natural to him, playing a 17-year-old like Kaoru in the new Eva movies, or playing this old guy? But then episode 2 rolls around, and it's about the history of the characters. And at the very beginning, he's played by a girl because he's like a little kid. But then it cuts to them both when they're like probably 17 or 18, and it's still Akira Ishida, but he's playing like a young guy voice.
Cool.
And like he totally sounds like a young guy because he has such fucking range. And he's like, this is a mixed narration scene. So like it's him as a young character and him as an like narrating as an old man. And it's the same voice actor, but he's nailing both roles. It's fucking awesome.
So that's kind of what I mean when I say that the show is sort of presented as a Rakugo.
Yeah.
Because like they have all of the characters who have to do Rakugo have to have that incredible range to be able to play all of these different characters in their mini plays.
That's true.
And it makes sense to cast him as a Rakugo master because he has that range.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Like, I almost like. I would kind of like to see a version of this show where he voices every single character.
Oh, that'd be cool.
It would be a little much, but it would be cool.
If that were a Blu-ray special, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Or, alternatively, a version of any TV show where Norio Wakamoto voices every single character.
I think he might be retired. I haven't seen him around in a while. All right, so I think we said all we had to say about the show. Everyone needs to watch it. It's fucking great. Episode 2 is just as good as episode 1. I thought. Well, I mean, it wasn't as long, so it couldn't go through as much. But I started off a little worried that it was a backstory episode, and then it completely sold me through the quality of the dialogue. So I completely on board for it. We're gonna do the TV shorts now. I don't know what you guys have seen.
I saw a bunch of them. I don't know.
Maho Shoujo Nante Moi Desu Ka dropped. It's just boring.
I watched the first episode of that. I was like, it is exactly the first episode of that show is exactly the description, which is she finds out she's a magical girl, and her magical girl costume is a swimsuit.
Yeah, and that's the plot of the show.
Deconstruction.
And she wasn't quite cute enough for me to keep watching it. Because I'm big into magical girls. And I was like, this seems pretty trashy. So if you're going to make a show that's trashy, I have to at least find the girl really cute. But it seems like they kind of tried to have that middle ground where they were like, we don't want this to seem too trashy. And I'm like, you're not.
Never a fan of that.
Not doing it.
I did think that it was funny that like the magical girl mascot that shows up is just like in a fucking dumpster.
Yeah.
and like just a disgusting piece of shit right off the bat.
I thought it was supposed to be like a parody of Kyubey in a way, where he's like kind of this like dark and sinister magical girl thing, but it's like funny. All right, whatever. Niji Ito Days. Did you guys watch it?
I saw an episode of this.
Yeah,
It's exactly what it looks like.
It's not though. It's not what it looks like, and that's what got my attention about it. Because the guy, it's 4 pretty boys, but they're not gay. And
they look gay to me.
The show is called Rainbow Days, and it's got 4 pretty boys and a rainbow in the background, and they're not gay.
The idea
they're all into girls. It reminds me of Nichi Bros.
I thought Nichi Bros too. That's what it reminded me of. Because I was like, like they are very, more so than Nichi Bros, they are very pretty boys. And, the main guy he's a little effeminate and he's like, sort of a hyperactive idiot. But the way they all treat each other is totally bro. Like they're all kind of like just like whatever, like they kind of treat him like shit a little bit, but not like in a asshole way. They just kind of felt like my group of friends or something. Like I could totally imagine hanging out with these guys, and I was like, like they're all pretty boys, but they're guys I would hang out with. This
is the one show this season where like after I watched it, I actually just went out and read the manga because I was really enjoying the characters. And, okay, so, like, the thing is, they don't give them quite as much personality development in the first episode as they do in episode 0, which is the first chapter of the manga, which sort of, like, tells you that the main character's girl or like his ex-girlfriend is a super user and just wants him because he has a nice watch.
A nice
and
watch.
there's
cool.
like she thinks he's rich because he inherited his granddad's watch and he wears it to school every day. So she dumps him on Christmas because he gives her a scarf and doesn't want to take her to an expensive restaurant.
Lol.
So she's a piece of shit. But like the thing is, like the other guys are talking about their girlfriends. And one of them is dating like 5 girls at once, and he's just like, dude, that's complete. The
I can
other
tell
guy's
which
like,
guy by the cover image.
It's the red guy. It's the red guy,
yeah,
isn't
the
it?
redhead guy.
I know.
Yeah, and no, like, so the dark-haired guy is just like, dude, that's completely fucked up. You got to treat your girl right. And then he gets a phone call, and you just hear the phone call, and it's just like, hello, master, I'm wearing it, and I'm holding it in, and he's like, did I tell you could fucking call me? No, I just wanted to give you.
That's awesome.
And then he hangs up, and he's like, I mean, you gotta have like a good relationship with your woman.
I almost wish they were gay, because the girl that he falls in love with like has nowhere near as much personality as like just his friend.
She does though
it was
in the
kind of-
manga.
I thought
in
it
the
was like
manga,
she
she
straight
does-
up has the downs. Like, that's what I
Yeah,
thought.
exactly. In the anime, she has the
Like,
personality
I
of a
didn't
wet
get.
carrot.
Well, I got the impression that that's the joke, though, because they were all they were like, she shows up
Okay.
and he's like when they're doing karaoke and she leaves and they're like, he's like, I'm in love, and they're all like, with that, like, all she did was say words, like she's
It's like
completely
that
dead.
Arrested
She
Development
gave him-
thing with Anne. Like her?
Oh yeah, bland.
Really?
Egg,
Yeah, bland.
Egg.
Right.
But like the thing is, they kind of play it more in the manga. I don't know. She's got a really fun friend. There's that scene where he just like goes up to stop those guys from hitting on her at the karaoke bar, and it's just like, no, they're just foreigners asking me for directions, and then he goes and cries in a corner.
Yeah, I gotta say, I don't think it's an amazing show, but I enjoyed it so much more than I thought I was going. Because I was just watching it because I was watching everything, and I was like, whatever,
right.
fucking put on the Pretty Boy show, and then I was like, these guys are bros. They're a
I
bunch
love
of
the
bros.
characters. That's like.
And the episodes are only 13 minutes long, and I feel like that's the perfect length before I would have gotten fucking tired of it. So
Exactly. Yeah,
it's like Wakaba Girl with guy characters. All right.
Or it's Nietzsche Bros with pretty boys.
Now let's talk about the stupidest fucking show that we all love.
Yeah.
Oji-san
The
to
greatest show of
Marshmallow.
all time.
This show blew my mind.
Oji-san to Marshmallow is a show where there's this really hot deadpan girl who's in love with this big fat guy who's completely oblivious.
Kevin James. She's in love with Kevin
she's in
James.
love with,
For no
Paul
particular
Blart
reason
Mall Cop.
that we're known of.
And she's just super duper duper hot, and she wants to fuck him super bad, and
he's oblivious.
And he's oblivious, but he loves marshmallows, so she tempts him with marshmallows to try to get him to recognize her sexual advances. And it's fucking stupid, but the first episode has an amazing fight scene.
It does. It does.
Best fight scene of the
I just
entire
realized
season.
I
Rap
don't like
scene.
this show because until they let him eat a marshmallow, I'm not gonna enjoy myself.
Oh, fuck off,
just
dude. That's the
keep
payoff at
pushing
the end
it.
of the series.
She gave him a whole bag of marshmallows by
No,
putting it
they'll
on his
leave it
head
on a
at the end of
cliffhanger and say go check out season 2 in 2018.
That's
No,
true.
no. End of episode 1, he gets his marshmallows. She puts them on his head, and she's like, "Give me a baby." And then the
Yeah.
next day, he comes with baby sardines.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Episode 2 is equally stupid. It's just the whole show. I literally
Yeah, I
described it
saw it.
all.
It's
She
just
just
her
wants to
making
fuck him, and
sex
he
jokes
doesn't
on the phone.
understand. That's all.
I see on the thing though, on the image here, there's another girl with fat tits. Is she gonna show up and be like a rival? What's I don't know. I don't really want
seeing
that.
him. He's not that cool.
Maybe he's great at his job, man. Who knows?
What are their jobs?
The premise of the show, they just say he has an insatiable love of marshmallows, and Wakabayashi, a woman in his office who loves him, and it's just like, his performance is what really sells it. Like how, like when he's she's got the marshmallow in his mouth, and she's like, why don't you, or in her mouth, and she's like, why don't you take this marshmallow? And he's like, yeah, and he's like this tired, out of breath fat guy, and it's
And he won't just admit. If he said like, "Can I please have a marshmallow?" They'd give it to him, but he just won't admit it. He won't. I'm just wondering. I'm looking at his design now. Is it a coincidence he looks exactly like a marshmallow himself?
Probably
No,
not.
of course
Probably
not.
not.
That's what marshmallows do to you. You are what you eat.
true.
All right.
That's true.
Oya-san wa Shishunki. Did anybody else watch this?
That's another show that's exactly what the premise is.
Yeah. Jeff, I bet you liked the OP though. The text integration into the backgrounds and everything, like the credits were a part of the OP sequence.
I can't even remember it, honestly.
You should watch it again. It's pretty cool.
Is it actually cool, or are you?
The OP is cool, yeah.
Okay.
The show is just like, it's only 2 minutes long and nothing happens, so it's just kind of like
very frothy.
I watched 2 episodes and I was like, I don't even know what I just watched, but I'll keep watching it because it's, I don't know, it's kind of cute. Like it's too little.
Yeah. So it's like it's so short that you can just watch it and be like, oh, okay, I'll watch more because 3
it's
minutes.
2
What's
minutes
3
long
minutes of my life?
Yeah.
And like the premise of the show is this guy moves into a new apartment, and the landlady is a 13-year-old girl, and he's really creepily into that.
Yeah,
Is he? Did he say that?
It's
Who
trying
wouldn't
to
be?
it's trying to like make it more of a balancing act. Like he's not sure if he's into it or not.
You know,
but,
I'm reading the description. It says the landlord has the physique of a little
that's
girl.
the thing.
What
it's
is
a
that
mystery because she apparently
goes to
she
middle
only
school.
wears middle school uniforms, but that's
Yeah.
because they're all handed down to her.
Now, hang on, it
Like,
says here that she
tell-
attends middle school with her friends. Is that accurate?
I don't
No.
know.
Okay.
She
Episode
does-
2 implies that her status as a middle schooler is the mystery of the show. Like that's something you're
That's a cool
supposed to
mystery.
question.
You know what? I want to have him fuck her, and then like have to deal with the consequences of finding out what went down. Did
That's
he
a little
commit
too heavy for a 2-minute
crime
show.
or not?
Like I want
Yeah.
that court case to be like
Yeah.
4 episodes where he's just like,
Yeah,
I swear to
yeah.
God, I thought she was like 30,
Like
and they
bringing
just
the case
look and they're
forward,
like,
yeah, to present
really?
the arguments for how old she actually was.
All right. Enough about that show. We've talked
Yeah.
about that. We literally spent more time talking about that than it would have taken to watch the first 2 episodes.
Yep.
Oshiete Gyalko-chan, or please tell me Galko. I was
This is just
surprised how
gross
much I
sex
liked this.
toilet humor.
I
Yeah.
loved it. I loved it.
I
thought it
kind of
was
like
dope.
this show, yeah.
It's very dirty.
It's super
It's
dirty. It reminded me
dirty.
a little bit of a dirtier version of, what's that other slice of life when like the girls are all big pervs?
It's
like,
Girls High, or it's just called High School Girls.
okay, whatever that one is. Yeah, it
Yeah.
kind of reminds me of that. But this was
Or no,
way
you're
dirtier.
thinking of Seito Kai Yaku Indomo.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of. Like in this, they'll ask like, teach me, Galko-chan. Do girls' eyebrows indicate what kind of pubes they have? And they're just like, yeah, my pubes are thin. My pubes are thick as fuck.
I am a big fan
And
of.
then she goes to the bathroom to pluck her,
Yeah.
to pluck her
Yeah.
eyebrows.
I'm a big fan of
'Cause
like
she's-
very matter of fact like crudeness, like when
Yeah.
because like I didn't like Seito Kayaku Indomo because I felt like they were trying to play out like, oh, look at how dirty we are, and I was like, but this show is just like really matter of fact about it. It's just like they just
Yeah.
start talking about their periods, and it's like it's not questioned by the show.
true. It's
you know,
good.
it's not like something that's like,
Man,
oh, they're
when the
talking
guys
about
like
this. It's
don't
just like,
blush, and I love it when guys just like aren't inanimate and they don't like fucking blush or like squirm when they talk about like.
Well,
boob.
they
like, this guy just
totally
walks up and is
do.
like, dude, you got a nice rack. Just
oh
letting
yeah,
you know.
that part was great.
that guy's my hero. That guy's
Yeah,
my
all the
hero.
guys in class want to fuck Galco.
Who could blame them?
The plot of this show is that everyone thinks she's like a super slut, but she's
Yeah.
actually just like a really nice, like normal nice girl who's just really stupid and
Really stupid. Like the big toilet humor joke of the episode is
The spicy butthole.
I can
Oh,
get away
yeah.
with eating spicy food because I'm constipated. And then her friend's
not
like,
work out.
it's all gonna catch up with her at once. But I
Yeah.
think it's too late to tell her that.
Yeah.
So she just
And
Comes in with a burnt
man,
dad.
and she literally put sugar in her butt to try to like calm down the spiciness. She thought that would work. That's
in episode
okay.
2,
All right.
In episode 2, there's a part where Galco goes to the bathroom, and then they start, like her friends start a timer, and when she gets
Yes,
back, they
yes.
stop it, and it's 5.5 minutes, and they were like making bets over whether she was peeing or pooping.
They were talking about the size of the shit as well.
Oh, is that what it was? That
Yeah,
it was
I believe
the size?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, it was
See, good stuff.
It was
good
weird
stuff.
and
I really
hilarious.
like the like nerdy girl's design. I just think she looks cool. You know,
I like
Yeah,
that
I'd
she
enjoy
looks
the
like
show
a
a lot more
legitimate
if the main
nerd.
girl had a decent
Yeah.
design. Because hers is just way too thick and chunky that she kind of looks out of place in the rest
It's exaggerated
of
on purpose. They're meant to, like, if you look at the Ojo girl, who's like the rich girl, like she looks like a standard
She's an
anime rich girl.
girl,
So like
yeah.
obviously they're all meant to be like extremified personalities. You know, Galco is like giant tits, super blonde hair. You know, all right, that's enough about that. Seko Boys, I thought it was boring and not funny.
I was wrong, by the way. The main girl is not voiced by Kono Hanazawa.
I didn't think so. See, you fucked with me.
Oh,
I didn't see Second
okay.
Boys.
I
It looked
googled
kind of
it, and
funny.
it's just some person that doesn't even have a Wikipedia
I like
page.
the premise of this show is that this girl has to become a producer for an idol group, and the idol group is 4 statues of like classical Grecian statues.
Saint Giorgio,
They're literal
David
busts.
or something. I don't
Mars,
know.
and
I'm just remembering this is the stupidest goddamn show.
And they all have like they all have like good
Medici.
voice actors and everything. It's like, you know, 4 like pretty boy voice actors.
Yeah.
I'm pretty
right
sure one of
before
them
she
is
gets introduced to them, she
Tomokazu
gives like a
Sugita.
4-minute speech about how much she hates sculptures.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah,
And then
because
she
she's
gets
from an
introduced to
art
a series of
school.
these sculptures.
Lol, gotcha.
I
Nice.
just like I thought that the premise was funny, but I just didn't actually find the jokes funny.
Sure.
Yeah, that could not translate into a good show.
it's all idol culture, and like
Yeah.
the joke is that all of these, like the poses that all of these statues in
Are
happen
perfect.
to look like very stereotypical idol poses.
Yeah.
That's
Okay,
it.
I get it.
That's the joke.
But yeah, it's very one note, and I can't see watching it. I mean, these episodes were only like 3.5 minutes long, and I already got bored like watching it. So,
No, these
yeah.
are 8-minute episodes, so it's twice as long as it should be.
Sushi Police looks like
Oh,
a
man.
Oh lord,
Sushi Police looks like
godless
a-
abomination.
a show, like a CG animated show from Cartoon Network from like the mid 2000s that no one liked and no one remembers.
Yeah.
That somehow has made it into 2016.
I hate nothing more than bad CG.
It looks
Yeah.
like a show from the era of the Donkey Kong show.
Pretty
like,
much.
straight up.
Was this commissioned
Yeah.
like for the Olympics or something? Is that happening?
Oh,
like,
I
is
didn't
that
even
what's
realize
going on?
this is about the Olympics.
It says
Might
with the
be.
2020 Tokyo Olympic Games around the corner,
It
there's
had
a
to
worldwide
be.
sushi
It
boom. Is
had
that
to
what it
be.
is? Yeah, I don't know.
I I'll say I thought that the premise of this was pretty creative, and the idea of like
I guess.
these like really pretentious elitist sushi police who go around
Sure.
and fuck people over for, you know, not having sushi. And the comedy was like kind of oddball, but just not funny.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it was, you know, ugly 2000s CG, so whatever.
Penguins of Madagascar looking
yeah, pretty
So
much.
I'm gonna
maybe
plug
sick.
I'm gonna plug one of my favorite things right now. If you are looking for a show about or like a story, I should say, not a show, about police going after people for eating the wrong kind of food, there is a
Chew.
comic. Chew.
Yeah,
Yes,
I thought of Chew.
I
when
was
I
just
watched
gonna say
Sushi
Chew.
Police. Yeah, I thought of that, and that comic is great. I've only read the first volume of it, but it's really fucking solid. And it's the same exact plot, except that the main character guy, like, what is it, that he can eat anything? Like,
And it's like so Chew is a psychic detective who gets impressions from eating food.
That's
so
right,
if
that's
he
what it
eats
was.
so if he eats the body, he can find out who murdered it.
Ew,
but
gross.
he has to eat a dead body. And like
the whole thing?
that's
Or just a
that's-
bite?
That's like just
a
a bite,
bite.
usually.
Okay, good.
And it gets so weird because everybody in this universe has like these powers based on food. So there's like a Savo scriber who can write descriptions of food that make you feel like you're tasting them. There's like a terrorists who use like mind controlling food. There's all sorts of great shit in Chew. Chew also has going for it this dystopian world where a bird flu pandemic was 9/11, and that has made the US FDA, as opposed to the
Okay,
NSA,
yeah.
the most powerful law enforcement agency in the world.
Like that.
all right, that's enough about Chew. We can't keep talking
Yeah,
about it. We're
yeah.
close to the
Yeah.
4-hour mark of this podcast, so we're gonna run through
And
these
there's
last
one
couple.
more show to go.
There's yeah, I guess we won't talk about TQ, but I am watching season 7 of TQ.
I mean, we're not talking
Season
about
7.
any
How many
extended.
anime get to 7th friggin'
Well,
season?
TQ is 2-minute
TQ is
episodes
great.
of absolute. Everyone needs to watch at least one episode of TQ. You
I
need
watched
to.
like 10 episodes in a row and it gave me a terrible headache.
Yeah, it's
So-
it's
oh
so
my
God.
fucking insanity. And like I watched the first season and I went, okay, that's enough of that. And then like sometime later I'll just like keep watching seasons at random because it takes like 20 minutes to watch a whole season, if that. And it's just like, what the fuck is happening to me the whole time?
So Take You is basically like an entire show written by Mako from Kill la Kill.
Yeah. And it looks like the show looks like Kill la Kill in its character designs.
That's true.
It does. Like it looks like the shitty parts of Kill la Kill or Inferno Cop. Yeah. And so it's funny as fuck though.
It's pretty great, and it has a great HaruChika performance in it. Anyway, Tabimachi Late Show is the last one. Did anybody else watch this?
I watched half of the first episode, and like I don't want to be like a snob about this shit, but I cannot stand that fade in and out style that they do for the animation. The way it is,
there's about 1 frame per second, and they just kind of fade into each other. If that, maybe 1 frame per 4 seconds.
So like if you grew up in Canada...
It's a picture book. It's a picture book.
So it's like those cartoons, I say in big question marks, that they used to put on PBS, or like the National Film Board of Canada did a lot of these things.
Yeah.
So basically what they do is they crossfade between frames of the characters doing stuff, and it's like, okay, it's about food. I'm interested in that, but...
Well, the show's not about food, and I've watched the first 2 episodes. I actually really like this show, oddly enough, even though I don't think it's like amazing or that I'll remember it ever. But like it's going to be 4 episodes, and each one's like a little mini story that's about 7.5 minutes long with the theme of goodbyes and journeys. And so the first episode is about this chef girl who's like got this guy who's like, I guess, been training under her, and it's just like he's about to leave the country to go study in another place, and he's like super attached to her, and like all he's wanted to do is recreate this one dish that she made, you know, that like when he tasted it, it made him want to become a chef. And so like he makes the dish for her, you know, right before he's leaving, and she's thinking about how she was the same way with her mentor, but now that she is mentoring someone, she realizes like how much of a pain in the ass it is that you have someone who like who looks up to you, even though you see yourself as having a long way to go.
Right.
You know, like she sees herself as like, I'm still working, I'm still trying to be a great chef, and this kid, you know, looks up to me so much and wants to be like me. So she's like, you know, happy that he's going off to like find his own voice in his work or whatever. And it's also tied into like the guy who was her mentor, I guess, is like now her husband, and she had to see him off at one point too, but now he like lives with her, and she gives the kid the dad's suitcase, or the husband's suitcase or whatever. I just thought it was cool because like it's something that I've gone through a lot, where like a lot of people that like look up to me and tell me that they look up to me and want my advice on stuff, and I'm like, I don't consider myself to be at my full potential, you know, like I'm still trying to become much better, and like I look up to people who I consider to be superior to myself, and so when people look up to me, I'm like, man, that's weird, because like you should be looking past me, you know, like you should be looking at something higher.
That's pretty cool.
I get those same questions sometimes, and it is weird. The writing of this actually sounds very appealing to me.
Yeah, and then the second episode is about a totally different thing. It's about 2 girls who are in high school, and it's just like, basically one girl's like the super sunny, like has all the friends, like popular girl, and she's trying to befriend this like Yankee girl who doesn't talk to anybody. And it just kind of amounts in them getting into a big fight. And it was this. What's interesting about this is that after this fight is the moment in any other show where they then would have become friends.
Right.
But it's actually the only time they ever spoke. And then it just kind of cuts to the girl as she's like, after she grew up, and like she says, like, you know, I finished high school, I was just friends with everybody, and my smile got me through. But then I got into college, and I realized, you know, I stepped into the real world. It all kind of fell apart. She's just like smoking in her apartment. She's all like like haggard and stuff, and just thinking about how like, man, I wish we had been friends back then, because we both clearly wanted to be friends, but they never did, because they wouldn't admit it to each other. What the hell is that?
That's my phone going off.
So yeah,
Someone just called me.
both episodes were surprisingly interesting, but they're also like 7-minute shorts that I will never remember in a year. You know, like
shorts can only be so much.
They're very much one shots, and I know there's a lot of people who love their one shots. They love their like little short stories where it's like, you know, there's a deep impact in that one little piece of time.
Well, if it's like Studio
over.
Colorado, then
Yeah, well, Colorado, you can watch those over and over again because they're beautifully animated. This show is not even animated. So, like, I can't see watching it ever again. But so far, I've been enjoying it.
It should really just be like an audio drama or
it really
or like
should.
A comic or something.
It's basically that, anyways.
Yeah, it's like in terms of what you would need to produce this show yourself. Have you ever worked in PowerPoint before?
Yeah.
Great. You can make this show.
I think I have friends who could draw as well as these drawings, and I can voice act well enough, and I think I could make this show. I would need someone who could write as well as this writer. I don't think I know anybody who can write stories this sort of poignant in such a short time.
You know me. But
I haven't read any of your fiction.
You haven't read any of my writing. That's fine.
All right, that's it. That's all the shows.
Jeez.
Last thoughts.
Oh, boy.
I think the Rakugo show is probably all of our favorite. I don't know. Does
Now
anybody
that
have
I
I
don't speak
think
for
it kind of
me,
draws with the race.
because Dimension W is by far the best show this season, and I will not accept any substitutes.
Dimension W is probably the
Excuse
thing
me,
I
sir. Phantasy Star Online 2 is a work of genius.
You gotta give props to Sega for that. There's
All right.
no denying it.
Thanks again to
Sonic
our
the
audience.
Hedgehog.
Thanks for listening to what is probably very close to 4 hours of of us ranting about
your
new
original
anime.
projected time for this is 45 minutes.
Really?
Yeah, that was your predicted time.
I knew.
Digi was like 2 hours.
Yeah, I had a
This
feeling
is-
it would go longer because when me and Nino did this for last summer, it took an hour and a half, and there's 4 of us now.
Yeah.
So
Imagine if you were here. That would have been even longer.
That's true.
Yep.
It's true.
But I don't know. I had fun talking with you guys.
Me too.
Yeah, and
I hope
maybe-
that
Good
the
time.
audience.
maybe there'll be another one of these Weebcasts. By the way, I forgot to mention at the beginning that this is the Weebcast.
Yeah,
We're calling it the
Weebcast.
Weebcast. All right. That was.
All right,
that was
everybody
my
stop
title.
your
I'm
recordings
proud
and
of that.
send them to me.
Okay.
Okay.
Gotcha.